All right, it's day 5 here on Giant Bomb's Game of the Year 2016 Deliberations. What do I say here? It's all come down to this.
This is where it ends.
One must stand, one must fall.
What a season, what a season.
Our
What a
Game of the Year,
season.
One Must Fall 2097.
Yes. What a season it's been.
Don't forget your booties.
The granddaddy of them all.
It's cold out there.
Showcase of the immortals.
Hold on to your butts. We're going to talk about some more categories today. There are 4, as on all previous days. We have 4 more categories.
Slow down.
That
Come
big
on.
reveal
right?
at the end.
Yeah, what a shock. So here are the 4 categories for day 5.
Hit me.
Overwatch Character of the Year, Best Story, Worst Game, and Best Game.
Oh,
It's funny how that works.
2 extremes.
I know, right? It's the yin and the yang of Game of the Year.
Glad those lined up this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Worked out well. As always, there may be spoilers today. We're talking about Best Story, so there will absolutely be spoilers. So tread lightly. Be careful. Play stuff you haven't played yet.
Or just give yourself over to the notion that you're probably not going to play that stuff anytime soon, and spoilers aren't actually that big of a deal.
Yeah, just
I had my wife run down the full season of Westworld for me this morning.
Mm-hmm.
now you know.
It made me want to watch it. I did not want to watch it before.
It was pretty good.
It sounds all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, anybody got any other housekeeping before we dive into the final day here?
Feel good. Let's go.
Okay,
I
let's
love
do
you
it.
all.
Let's jump right into Overwatch Character of the Year. I'm sure some of you will have strong opinions about.
Hell yeah.
I'm just going to read this list of characters.
This is a pretty good list.
Yeah. Some strong nominees this
It's a
year.
long list.
Yeah.
May, Soldier 76, Diva, Winston, Zenyatta, Torbjorn, Zarya, Reinhardt, Reaper.
Really? Who put that on there?
Yeah, really.
Cool.
Lucio, Roadhog, Sombra, McCree, Ana, Bastion, Junkrat, Mercy, Pharah, Symmetra, Widowmaker, Genji, Hanzo, and Triple H.
At the last minute. He was the
Yeah,
last
he
minute
really just
introduction.
Pretty excited.
Snuck on the end
He's
there.
in the public beta test region right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
actually going to replace Tracer.
He's
Thank
right,
God.
He's on the PTR.
Well, wait.
Wait, I haven't-
Do we know if it's going to roll out of the PTR this year? Because if not, then I don't think we can count Triple H for this category.
I think next week he's supposed to. That's what
Does
they're
that mean we
saying,
have to
yeah.
put Tracer on here?
Wait, is Tracer not
Wait,
on
Tracer's
here?
not on there? Yeah, of
Why
course.
is
he got
Tracer
it.
not on here?
We'll put Tracer on
She's
there.
cool.
All right, go ahead and
Change.
put Tracer on there.
Change Triple H to Tracer.
Oh.
Are you saying we should keep Calm and Tracer on?
No, I'm saying you should write Tracer on here.
I'm doing it.
then...
All
right.
Triple H here.
Done.
Okay, now go ahead and remove Tracer.
All right.
Tracer's
I am the game.
Tracer's all right.
Tracer's gone.
Tracer's a lot of fun.
She was on the list for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, all right. We had our moment with her. That's fine.
Okay, who can we get rid of
I have no
immediately
qualms
here?
with Tracer.
Zarya? Zarya sucks.
I will say
No,
on the
Zarya
record.
does
I
not
hate Zarya.
Oh, fuck. I don't care if you hate
Okay, hang
Zarya.
on. We need to do this.
We're cutting
She's
Genji
a
and Hanzo,
strong
right?
kid. Oh.
Yeah, you can cut both of them.
Can I make a suggestion of an easier way maybe to go about this than
Yes.
all of us shouting at the same time? The characters we like most. Why don't we go around the table and just pick the 2 characters that each of us feel most strongly about?
We could do that, but I don't know that I have an opinion enough to
Well, if
pick.
you don't have one, then that's fine.
Okay.
You can abstain if you want.
We're talking
You
pro,
You
right?
could just agree with me.
What's that?
The ones we
sure.
like.
The ones we like the most.
I'll back Vinny on this.
Okay, great.
Is that an okay way?
He's suffered enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You want me to start?
Well, by what metrics are we establishing the character of the year?
Like any and all, really.
Who was our favorite Overwatch character of the year?
Okay.
And 2 runners-up.
Who do we feel the most strongly about, whether through ability or just personality, whatever?
All right, why don't you
Yeah.
start?
Who's the most fun to play? Who do you think is the coolest? Whatever.
Yeah. All right. So for me, it's Diva and it's Zenyatta.
Okay.
Who is? This reveals my ignorance. Is Zenyatta the robot?
Yes,
He's,
he is your
Zen
he is your
robot.
Zen robot. He is my beautiful orb son.
The floating robot guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He's my least
pretty
used
good.
character.
He's great. Those are my 2.
Okay.
I'll go with Reinhardt and Mercy.
Okay.
Good choices.
Okay.
I'm going to go with May and May.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Come back to me. Like I said.
All right.
I'm thinking here.
Yeah, boy, I last played Overwatch a while ago.
I would.
Lucio?
I like Pharah a lot.
Farrah's great.
Pharah is very strong, is especially with a little help from Zenyatta. Pharah's real good.
Junkrat's kind of like the demo man, so
He's very demo,
He's very annoying.
but effective.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Maybe too effective. That tire.
Yeah, the tire's good. Shoot it before it hits you.
It's hard.
Damn.
Who wrote, I'm waiting on. Doesn't Drew have another one?
No, I said Lucio and Junkrat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll go with 76 and Diva.
Okay.
76 is on this list?
Yes, he is.
76 is my main.
He's the only attack character I play.
He's great.
I'm definitely going to throw in Roadhog.
Okay.
And did somebody say Junkrat already?
I
Drew
did.
I think we should have.
Man.
We fucked up here. We should have been marking each character that got mentioned.
No, I remember who we talked about.
Okay, someone wrote Mass Effect 2 on this list.
I think we can take Mass Effect 2 off.
I would get behind that.
This list must be haunted. It must be like when you kill somebody before their time.
A vengeful
and
spirit.
shit's just coming back up because it's a haunted spirit that won't go away until something's righted.
Or it's just embittered and actually doesn't have any real justification for
has-
coming back, but does.
just like
This
a ghost.
malign spirit has unfinished business on this earth.
This will just never go away.
Can
I
everybody
don't know
like
what
put a
we can
star
do.
next
the
to
ghost-
who's been nominated?
the ghost
Yes,
of Mass
I'll
Effect
do that
past.
right now.
Jason, you can take Junkrat, and I'll take Winston because he is an ape with glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
he's-
that's a
he's
good
pretty
point.
Great.
I hadn't thought about that.
And I thought we were doing 2. Oh, man.
Yeah, who's your second?
Okay. All right. So Junkrat.
Okay, Dan, stop.
Are we going front or back?
I'm doing front.
Okay. Okay, front.
And
We got a Roadhog in there.
We did get a Lucio.
Nobody said Reaper.
Wait, did
Nobody
somebody,
said Reaper.
I like Reaper a lot.
Did somebody
He's
already
actually
do
super fun
Roadhog,
to
or-
play as.
No one else did Roadhog besides
Okay.
you.
I just
All right,
removed
I guess
Reaper.
that's-
Don't remove Reaper.
Yeah, no,
dude,
remove
like, we
Reaper.
have to. We fucking
Anyone
have
who
to
didn't get
remove
voted on?
characters who didn't get a vote.
Yes, I agree with
Or
that.
this will never.
Wait,
end.
no, we
Oh,
can't get rid of Symmetra. Symmetra's great.
But no, but that's the
maybe
thing.
maybe you
Vote
should have
for
picked
it.
Symmetra.
I can only pick 2.
Then.
I like lots of characters.
Then too bad.
I like
If she's not one of your top 2 and she's not anyone else's top 2, then she doesn't get to be in this
Man,
list. I don't have a problem.
Cesaria's
with Symmetra.
gone. Cesaria's gone. Get her out of here. She sucks.
I will not
Hey,
abide
by the rules.
Listen,
See ya.
Wait, was she the strong German lady?
Russian.
Russian.
No,
Dan?
No,
What?
I was going to change my vote. Put Zarya back.
No, you did
Put
not.
Zarya-
No
put
one
Zarya
voted
back.
for Zarya.
Put Zarya
She's
back.
gone. By the rules.
Dan.
If you put Zarya back, I'm putting Reaper back.
Dan,
Then we're taking Soldier off?
It takes
I
Soldier off.
voted for Soldier.
Yeah, I know. But
I'll take Diva off.
Okay.
I'll change my
Throwaway
Diva to Reaper.
Yeah, let's make this list
But I already-
longer.
Because that's
But
the
I
Diva's
also-
still safe. So
Reaper's
win-win
already
for
gone.
me.
Yeah, let's game it. That makes this
No,
fun.
You're not adding Reaper
if
back.
nobody votes for Zarya, that's fine that she's not on there, but I will not
You
have
can exchange, Jason.
denigrating the good name of Zarya,
She's
the
not a good
best
character.
defense tank there is.
She's a great fucking character.
Roadhog's
You can
better.
exchange Junkrat for Zarya.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah?
I'm going to
Okay.
do that.
Wait, so we can't exchange?
What?
If we're exchanging, then I'll.
He's
then I'm
taking one off, and
Then okay, then yes, I'll do that.
Okay, see you, Junkrat.
I'm just playing by the rules.
So
here.
which one did you
really
take
know
off?
how to have a good time.
I'm
with
just
the
playing
fun
by the rules
categories.
here.
what did you take off then?
I took off my Diva.
Which I because I voted for Diva.
Diva
stays
safe.
on.
Okay, let me say this. Did anybody vote for Sombra?
No.
All right.
Nah.
She's too new. I mean, she's
I've not-
cool, but
I've
I
not
haven't
played
learned how
her
to
yet.
play her at all yet. So.
Nobody voted Hanzo, right?
Nobody voted
No,
for
Hanzo's
Hanzo.
gone. Genji's gone.
Genji's gone. Widowmaker.
No, I
Oh, no.
She's all right, but she's gone.
I never play Widowmaker.
Bastion is gone.
I played a decent amount of Widowmaker.
I
but
like Bastion as
whatever.
a character.
I
think he's
don't
cool.
care.
McCree.
Bastion has a cool story, but I don't like Bastion.
McCree's all right, but no one voted
no
for
one,
him.
no one picked McCree.
I thought
so.
somebody did say Junkrat.
I like McCree.
I did, and
Drew
I
did.
I thought
yeah.
Drew
I did, but
you?
I changed to Winston.
Okay. And then so Junkrat and Anna?
I'm fine with Junkrat and Anna going from this list.
I can go.
And nobody's voted for Torbjorn, right?
Yeah, I like Torbjorn, but no
Yeah,
one voted
Torbjorn's
for
like
him.
probably like a third or fourth most played character, but I
He's
would
good.
put others above him.
Yep.
Okay, now what do we do?
All right,
Get
so
rid of
here's
Soldiers 76.
So here's who we have. We have May, we have Soldier 76, Diva, Winston, Zenyatta, Reinhardt, Lucio, Roadhog, Reaper, Zarya, Mercy, and Pharah.
May is the worst character.
Maze,
That's
pretty great.
100% not
Reaper
true.
says die, die, die.
Yeah, and then he kills everyone when he spins around with the shotguns.
In
Reaper
terms
is
of like an
super lame.
edgelord,
He's super lame.
Super lame.
He's a
He fits
fucking
his
edgelord.
He's super lame, but I think he's intentionally super lame. He's supposed to be the like, oh, I think I'm
That
dark
doesn't
and
make
brooding.
him better.
But
Nah,
he is
that's-
fun to play as. It's fun warping around, being invulnerable, warping in, and invincible, shooting guys with shotguns, zapping out of there. It's super fun to play as him.
There are a bunch of other people on here who are also super fun to play and not terrible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Should we do another pass through this and now you only pick one?
Oh,
Out of this list,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, we can do that.
that's not the worst idea.
All right, Alex, you start.
Zen.
All right, so Zen
Just
gets
put
2
a
stars.
put another asterisk
Yeah.
next to whoever
Yeah.
you pick.
Reinhardt.
I continue to choose May.
It's going to be May.
All right. I will say Farah.
What's Winston's abilities?
He has a lightning gun thing.
the
He can make a
Tesla gun.
bubble.
He gets really
he can
angry.
dive. He can jump and get enraged and hit people.
But he punches a lot, right?
He's a lot of fun. He can cause some major trouble.
He's a scientist.
I also just don't think he's that good of a character.
Oh, I think he's great.
I think Winston is super lame.
Like I just don't feel like he's as effective, and I also feel like the people who play as him are the ones that always just get their asses fucking smoked because they jump so far ahead of the group and then just fucking die all the time.
It's fun to
voted
jump
for
up
Lucio.
there.
Okay. Dan?
76.
Okay.
Oh,
We're all soldiers now.
I'm going with my heart.
What's your heart say?
Zarya.
Wow.
Man, I'm actually really bummed that Diva's going, but if there's no votes,
Oh, Diva's
besides-
going? Oh,
And,
man.
and Mercy.
Oh, man.
I know.
They're great.
It's a real
Yeah.
shame.
I like Diva a lot too. And
He was so good, especially now.
Diva and Zen were the two characters I spent by far the most time playing this year.
And Roadhog.
Junkrat was my top.
But
I think I find Diva abrasive the way that you all talk about Tracer.
I agree with you. Like, her personality is not great, but as a character, she's incredibly fun.
I feel
very
like-
fun to play.
I feel
Fly
like
around in that robot and
I've
shit.
seen the internet turn on Diva pretty sharply in the last couple months.
Because of her personality?
Yeah.
Or
Give a
because,
fuck about the internet.
She's just fun to play as.
So
Yeah.
have we all picked a different character?
Maybe?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
there's 7
guess.
here.
Okay.
So now we have to kind of whittle this down.
All right, so Zarya's bad.
It's a team game. Can't we
Zarya's
just make a
great.
team of 5? Like, you can't
A team
play
of
this
6?
game. A team of 6. You can't play this game by yourself.
Overwatch Team of the Year?
5 Reapers.
Yeah.
You need one bash.
all bad.
All Torbjorn.
Oh, God.
Just turrets for days.
I think Soldier 76 is bland.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like as a character, I don't think he's interesting, but
Right.
he is good to play
This
as.
is
He's a
character of
useful
the
It's
year.
but it can be a mixture of things, and I do agree. Like,
I
as
think
much
it
as
should be a mixture of
Yeah.
the best things.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
as much as I like playing as Soldier 76, I mean, his whole thing is he's literally the most generic first-person shooter hero you could imagine.
When I was
Yeah.
playing that game and didn't want to have to think, I played as Call of Duty man.
yes,
His ult is really, really, really good, especially if you have someone backing you up. And then the health thing is super useful for a team.
yes,
He's a good character.
Yeah, he's a good
He's
character.
very
also
fun to
boring
play
as
as
hell.
Someone has highlighted Soldier 76.
I'm not going to defend
Uh-oh.
the character as
I'm
a
ready.
character.
It's got to be a
He's just
mixture
fun
of
to play
things.
as.
It's got to be a mixture of things.
I guess I can see that.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Do it.
If you get rid of Zarya.
I mean, look,
Jason, why do you like Zarya?
She's pretty.
well, there's that.
She does bubble stuff.
Yeah, the bubbles are cool.
The
The bubbles are really
great.
useful, and like people who know how to
She's-
play Zarya are.
She's got a really interesting like main gun.
yeah.
So I don't know. She was the most fun for me to play, even though I didn't play her as much as some of the others.
If you learn how to use those grenades in an effective way, and don't just rely on that beam, like she's a nightmare.
The beam scares the shit out of people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want to shoot my fucking bubble? All right, I'm getting in. I'm gonna kill you with my beam, and she's gonna do it all sexy like.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I
understand.
have strong feelings for Zarya.
I get it.
I think so. I think one of the most impressive things that Overwatch does is make support characters super fun to play.
Agreed.
Like
Mercy, even like Mercy, yeah.
Yeah, well, Mercy's not on here, but like Lucio is.
Yep.
And Zen
Zenyatta
is.
is.
Lucio's great because he's got that speed boost, which is
very helpful.
so great.
Yeah.
I love it when Lucio's on my team. I just don't really like playing as him.
I think he's really fun to play.
I think
Lucio was my healer of choice when I was playing that game, for what that's worth.
like he's got a neat gimmick for his like switching between the speed
Yeah.
thing and the heal
The
thing.
song thing,
and
that's
the, and
cool,
the boost
yeah.
thing. So
And
that
he's
makes
wearing
him,
rollerblades.
And he's wearing
Yeah.
rollerblades, which is okay. But he's got that hockey skin, which makes that better.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the hockey skin.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I think he's a really fun healer.
Knocking people off the map or like into that
Oh, yeah.
big hole is,
All right.
is super
And he can
fun.
ride on walls.
Let me tell you all about orbs. Orbs are good.
Like
They're
Rose
strong.
from- Rose from Street Fighter 4.
And
I'm gonna need some more
They're
detail.
my friend.
they're bad.
They're good and they're bad. That's true. They are the yin and the yang of that game. Zen is great because on top of him just being this peace-loving robot, he is a sneaky nightmare character if you know what you're doing. Like, if you are good at aiming and you are able to fucking line up shots from a good distance, you can fuck up a team real fast and not have to get anywhere near them, which is part of the reason why I like that character so much.
Alex.
And people
Alex.
who only play attack Zen are awful. I hate
He's
them.
kind of a shitty healer.
No, he's fine.
He's kind of a shitty healer.
Not if you know what you're doing. Not if you know what you're doing.
Kind of a shitty healer.
Not if you play your class.
If you play your class right,
Wait, so let me.
he's a great healer.
So what's the point of Overwatch?
To
It's to move
win.
your
crush your enemies.
to move your team
It's
onto
to
a,
look at pretty skins
and pay and
go
get loot
like,
boxes?
yeah.
It's to move onto a point and take
She's
a point and hold
like
a point,
wearing a
right?
fireman's suit. That's crazy.
You've got to get as many people onto a point to
Yeah,
hold it
okay.
as possible, right?
Sure. Yeah.
How do you do that? You get behind a giant guy with a big shield
Yeah.
Okay.
and push forward
Every-
and
Okay,
shoot
yeah.
through a shield.
Every time I see a Reinhardt on my team, I'm like, okay, awesome. We got someone that can lead us forward and push this thing forward.
You
We can
come
get
out of the
behind him.
shield, you die.
I'm with that Reinhardt. Reinhardt
Okay.
is great.
It's sounding like Reinhardt might be a strong top 3.
Even
Yes.
as someone who does not play Reinhardt at all ever,
Okay.
I think Reinhardt should be on this
I'm
list.
putting.
Yes.
I am putting the lucrative 3rd star. next to
Whoa,
Reinhardt.
whoa!
Goddamn.
I think we should throw another on Farah. I mean, everyone likes playing as her, right?
I would back
She's
that.
really fun to
She
play.
plays.
Yeah,
she's
Mobility, the
kind of that
rockets.
quick character.
She's the Quake character. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all I need to hear.
But she's kind of a boring character.
She's the space Egyptian.
She's got a fucking. She's got a fucking.
fucking rocket bird
She's
suit,
a robot
man.
bird,
I
man.
cannot deny that. Oh my god.
Infinite rockets.
I've seen better space Egyptians in the past.
That's fair.
For what that's worth.
That one time we were streaming that game and I did that ult where I killed like the whole other team with that rocket barrage. It was pretty fun.
That ult is fun.
A good Farah is one of the best assets you will ever have on your team.
You can also knock people off of cliffs and into the hole with her.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
You know,
Yeah.
Brad, if I fire my ult, that's a really good opportunity for you to score play of the game.
True. That's true. I think I did that time.
Let me say my piece about May.
Yeah.
I feel like, as somebody who plays Reinhardt a lot, and that man has a charge that once you commit to, cannot jump out of, I have been stymied by my own team's May's fucking ice wall.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get this person.
She's haphazard, man.
And then an ice wall pops up and I crash into it, and that sucks.
You know what's awesome? Ice walls.
Yeah, ice walls are pretty
They're
good.
so cool. She's so cool.
The
She's the ice lady.
Look, May is the troll of that game by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
she changes the match instantly.
pretty drastically.
Yeah.
And the magic of her is that she's actually a pretty good character if this is not the kind of game you play regularly. Like she's a good starter character because like her ice beam doesn't require a lot of accuracy, but she has that sniper shot if you do have some accuracy. That ice wall can be very effectively used or it can be a total fuck up for everybody. And her ult's great.
on your
She has
own
a great
team.
ult.
Like, if you don't coordinate with May, it becomes kind of a nightmare.
Like her ult is basically the difference between victory and loss in a lot of maps. Like if you are able to drop that in Hanamura when you're on attack and knock out that fucking team, that's one of the only ways you can capture that second point.
I think she can screw
like
up
her
your
glasses.
own team enough, though. Like the same way Vinny says the Reinhardt thing with May when you're charging. Like I play 76 a lot, and if I do the visor and I'm like, okay, I got them all right here, and all of a sudden, just can't shoot any of them.
Yeah.
Wasted my entire ult. It can be
She's
infuriating.
a very effective character
No,
on
you're,
defense.
you're saying infuriating for you.
On
Yes,
your,
yeah,
on your own
like
team.
even when it's on my team, and I'm like, you idiot! I was about to kill all of them and save the point.
Or when
Well,
you
that's why you get into chat and you tell them what you think. You give them a piece of your
I try to
mind,
turn
man.
chat off.
Play as Reaper,
Yeah.
both in chat and in game.
regardless of your character.
I think of the characters on here, the ones I would vote for are Farah and Zenyatta.
I'd say Farah, Reinhardt.
Reinhardt's already on there. I'm just saying
Okay.
the other two.
I would back Farah.
I'd say Farah.
I think I would too.
Lucio?
Okay.
I would
Alright.
say Farah and Lucio.
All right, Farah sounds like a lock.
Yeah.
For top 3.
Ah.
Why you gotta hate?
Don't hate.
May is the only character I care about on this list, so whatever.
How do people feel about May?
I like
don't
May a
like
lot.
May.
I don't think May is going to make our top 3.
character.
I'm anti-May.
I think she's got cool hair.
Yeah.
She does have cool hair. She actually has some good costumes.
I like her jacket.
Yeah.
She reminds
little
me.
robot buddy.
Every time I see her, she reminds me of Velma from Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
Sure,
but that's
totally.
okay. That's a half a star.
So I could back that. Sure.
My only problem is, like, whether it's a blue ice wall or a red ice wall, I find myself saying "fucking May"
Yeah.
in my head.
yeah,
and that's her job.
But I'm saying, like, when it's even blue,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's her
I've
job.
I've never been happy about an ice wall.
She just wants to keep you safe.
Even
She
when
just
it's your
wants to
ice
just be
wall?
Like, hey,
No,
just
I never play as her.
don't go over there.
the only time I think it's fun, but it's funny, I should say, maybe not fun, is when you're fighting a guy and she happens to pop you up in the air from the ice wall, and you're like, "Well, that fucking happened." But now I'm dead anyway.
May is the only character in
that.
that game whose dialogue I find to be pleasant and likable. I guess I would say.
It may be
the only character that I like.
Winston
I
is
thought
nice.
was all right. Winston is. I feel
He's
like
very
Winston
nice.
is super
I like-
lame across the board.
I like quite a bit of
Mercy-
the dialogue
Mercy
in
is
the game.
Mercy's great.
Lucio's
I'm
very
I'm
positive.
okay with
Yeah.
May being our third here.
But like Lucio,
I know it's a
has,
controversial choice.
Again, it's that specific Diva Lucio interaction pre-match where they go like, "Your latest album is like, oh, I want your autograph." That I
that
those
was spot
characters
on.
are
That was-
fucking garbage.
That was spot on. Garbage that's real strong.
Yeah,
and I
strong.
mostly play Lucio, but like every time I heard Lucio speak, I was like, oh fucking god.
I mean, that's why I like Reinhardt so much. He's kind of I feel like he's just detached
Stoic.
from it all. It's like, whatever you fucking kids are doing.
And that's why I like Zen, because Zen's just out there just like trying to calm everyone down. He's just like, peace be upon you, man. And it's like, that's cool. I'm into that.
And I'm like, give me better fucking heals, you son of a bitch.
You're getting the wrong Zens, man. A good Zen will keep you healed at all times.
I agree, but it is you got to put in work.
Fuck attack
to be a
Zens.
good
That's all I'm
healer with
saying.
him.
Are we getting a lot of love for Zarya?
No.
No, I think
I
it's
have
fine.
like enough love to fill this fucking room for Zarya.
Hey, Zarya's
but
great.
I like Zarya too.
She's a really interesting
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
I think one of the most like interesting movesets out of everybody. But nobody's gonna back me on this.
I mean, look, I'm with you to a point, but there are other characters I feel more strongly about.
I like May as that third. I think she's really interesting too. She's got a really diverse moveset. She's got a cool personality. Huh?
Yeah,
But
but
we
what
did,
about
I think we
school?
did that one, didn't we?
Yeah, I would like to see a support or a Zenyatta or Lucio in the
I
third
think
spot.
Lucio's the better choice.
I think Mercy's the better
How
support
dare.
choice, and we lost her.
How dare every one of you denigrate my beautiful orb son?
I said Zenyatta.
I feel like Lucio's so clutch when you have to race to a point,
Yes.
and he's got that speed boost.
Yeah.
When they're
right.
at
He is
99%, then you have to
multifaceted.
rush, and then he can heal you. Yeah, it's the speed and the healing, I think.
Even in the relatively tiny amount of time I've spent with Overwatch, that speed boost really came in handy.
I will say that Lucio ended up being the character that I played the most of, but it was like this begrudging
Somebody's got to do it.
It's Lucio.
this dialogue.
But everybody's annoying.
I got into you.
Zenyatta
Not May.
is a robot.
He's Mecha
He's a Zen robot. I call him Boy Orbson because I'm seeing him in dreams.
That's pretty good.
How long you been working on that one?
The last 5 minutes.
I think I played 5 minutes as Zenyatta. I got confused and never played as him again.
Big surprise.
This seems like that seems like something in line with everything you've said about Overwatch and how you play it.
he
like,
requires-
like honestly, like Soldier 76. Like of course,
I
yes.
put like 12 hours into Soldier 76. He's
yeah,
great.
no, that's
Zenyatta
I don't
just
think
needs,
you're disproving his point.
Yeah.
he needs a
course he did.
clear mind. He needs a peaceful mind.
I don't dislike the character. I just don't really know what he does. I know he gives the orbs.
He fucks people up and he keeps people alive.
Okay.
It's really all you can ask.
Like you really don't know what he does? Like you
I know
haven't
Discord
researched,
Orb
like,
makes it so you can get hurt more, and Healing Orb heals you. And then the Iris thing always confuses me. Does it just make you invincible for a little bit?
No, anyone who's in the zone of his healing thing, like basically it will like very quickly heal any character that is
Okay.
nearby.
Okay.
And he's invincible during that time.
Okay. I like killing things in Overwatch, and he didn't seem great for killing.
Oh no, dude,
he's
he's
pretty good
practically a sniper,
Yeah.
but like
And see, I don't like snipers.
but he's a
either.
mobile sniper.
Yeah.
That's the wrong argument for Zenyatta because he's probably the most aggressive healer on the. Well, actually, I don't know. I haven't played Ana that much, but Zenyatta is
A
definitely
good
damage
Ana
dealer.
is very solid and for attack as
All
well.
right. Let's take a step back here.
It
Here-
seems like
here are the-
we're not going to get May onto this list
No.
because you people are bad people. So go ahead and pull it off.
All right.
And I think
Except for
May has
Jason.
my vote.
Except for Jason.
and I think Zarya does not have the overwhelming support needed
Okay.
to
No.
stay.
Okay.
Hey, Zarya's great.
Sorry, baby.
Zarya rules.
All right. So it's down to Lucio or Zenyatta.
Yeah.
Lucio.
I think if I were building a team, I'd feel more comfortable with the Lucio on
Yes.
the team.
Multifaceted.
Do you need a Lucio if you've got a Reinhardt?
Yeah, 'cause
Oh,
he's a
yeah.
healer.
Okay.
And actually, it makes it a lot better because Reinhardt is really slow.
Yep.
So if you can get a Lucio with a Reinhardt and like a Farah on a team, like that's
sure.
a
That was
pretty-
usually how I played Lucio. Is like I'm going to stick to Reinhardt to make sure Reinhardt can move and stays alive.
Yeah.
Like, that was
that's a strong combo.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad
Okay.
we all
Agreed.
know.
All right.
Listen,
Sounds
listen to me, you goddamn bastards.
sounds like it's Lucio.
I have given up so much during these deliberations. I have given you everything.
You've taken
And you are going to take away my son?
Alex,
That's what you're going to do?
I am not anti-Zenyatta. I just don't understand Zenyatta.
And you always fear what you don't understand.
The other guy can dress up like a hockey man.
It's true.
And that is true.
Lucio got his own mode at one point.
Yeah.
It wasn't
They
very
named
good.
a sport after
That was
him.
my least favorite
true.
thing they did this
yeah,
year.
it is pretty fun.
He shoots bass at people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zenyatta shoots harmony or discord at people. Literal concepts.
I think you're in a distinct minority here.
Yep.
I'm
Do
afraid.
Do it. I've abandoned my child.
I love you, but I've
My
chosen
son.
bass.
It's such a silly category.
Even when I get smashed into a wall by Reinhardt, I like it.
I think Reinhardt is a great character, but I bet as far as all of us playing a character, we probably all like playing as Farah more. Like I am always happy and appreciative of Reinhardt when he's on my team, and he is fun to play as. But I think everyone likes playing as Farah, right?
Yeah, but you can't win with Farah alone.
I know.
Reinhardt-
You
it's a
can't win with
team
Reinhardt
game.
alone.
Right.
But I feel like a Reinhardt is a much stronger anchor to a team.
That's true. Farah is kind of a lone wolf.
Like Reinhardt
Yes.
is a character you build a team around.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a good argument.
That's my argument for that.
Reinhardt can block Farah's missiles.
Farah
And Reinhardt can shoot
Not
Farah out of the
Symmetra's.
sky with the with his little
fire thing?
Farah is a good value add on an already strong
All right.
team.
Yeah.
But like
Reinhardt's an anchor.
Reinhardt is what makes the team strong.
That's a good argument. I could see Reinhardt winning this.
Yeah.
I also really like seeing two Reinhardts on opposing teams try and fight each other. There's
pretty great.
something very like epic about these two
Everybody
guys.
stand back.
Yeah,
Trying to hammer
like
swings and-
when they charge each other, an explosion should go off if they hit.
100%. I think Reinhardt.
Lock it in,
takes
Brad.
this.
Sounds like Reinhardt is going to be our Overwatch character of the year.
I'm okay with that.
Zenyatta, I'm so sorry.
The best 76.
What about the special ice lady?
I'm sorry for May too. I like May,
Not for May.
but my beautiful orb son has been abandoned.
Congratulations also to Lucio and Farah.
You're all trash. Every single one of you.
All right. That went all right.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, we got
That was
through it.
productive. Vinny, how you feeling?
Good.
feel-
I think
Reinhardt is the Mass Effect
Yeah.
2 of
Of this
Overwatch
category.
character.
That's what I was going to say. You feel a little vindicated.
I feel like I can go on now.
Some,
I love you, buddy.
Some measure of justice has been served.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Vindicated.
Mass Effect 2 presents Overwatch character of the year, Reinhardt.
I'm in a fucking orb of discord, every one of you motherfuckers, when we get out of here.
Mass
All
Effect
right.
2 is a pretty good game.
They should put Garrus into
greatest.
Overwatch.
Oh, God, yeah. That would be. He would be a sniper character, wouldn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I feel bad for.
But Rex.
Okay. That's a good tank option.
Shit, I'm thinking about
Fucking,
this now. Like,
how about just make a Mass Effect 2 team shooter?
What's the Orbulon guy that dies in the tower?
The who?
Orbulon?
What?
You're thinking about WarioWare.
Is he? He's an alien with a head, and he dies in a tower.
Morden?
Yeah,
Morden.
Morden Solus.
Yeah,
Morden.
Morden Solus.
An
That's
alien
it,
what
that's
got
it,
a head?
say-
What will they think of next?
Say
Morden,
Orbulon?
you mean best new character of 2010? Morden Solus.
Bayonetta.
Oh, okay.
No,
You mean
it was-
Bayonetta?
No, it was Morden Solus.
That guy's all right.
It was fucking Morden.
He
It
was
always was. Okay, all right. We've got our Overwatch character of the year. We're going to take a quick break and then come back with the rest of the categories. Okay, on to our second category, best story.
Best story.
It's gonna be a humdinger. There's a lot of games on this list, and I still feel like we're maybe forgetting something. I don't know, but I'll read what we got here. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Zero Time Dilemma, Titanfall 2, Inside, Doom, The Bunker, Superhot, Oxenfree, Firewatch, Mafia 3, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Virginia, Batman, a Telltale Game Series, Watch Dogs 2, Event Zero, King's Quest, The Turing Test, Uncharted 4, and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Hearts of Stone DLC.
In the interest of time, Event Zero is cool.
Yeah.
It's got a
Yeah.
pretty good twist.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of a neat story.
It's a really neat story.
story. Sorry,
Just people should
that's just
play
going to
it.
keep happening. I'm sorry.
It could be almost a true story.
Go on. True story.
I like the story of Event Zero. I don't know if I'd be
Me too.
ready to
Top three?
It sounded like you were about to say it's cool, but
Yeah.
something. Is there a but?
I mean, it's
Or do you think it's top three?
it's short.
It's a little. There are some cliche bits to it.
Yeah.
In the rogue AI-ness.
Okay.
This is the big spoiler one, so I'm just gonna say what the story is, right?
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
Okay. So you find yourself on here's the short version of it. Find yourself on like what seems to be an abandoned ship.
Okay.
With an AI.
Yep.
You're trying to figure out what happened to the crew. Turns out the ship.
Stop me if you've heard this one before.
Yes. Turns out the ship was holding some kind of crazy drive in it, like interstellar drive on it, that the AI was programmed to at some point get as far away from Earth as possible. Right, Drew? You with me on this?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they eliminate the crew. The ship eliminates the crew, basically, or at least one or members of the crew, to keep this ship from ever going back to Earth. And tries to convince you that if you repair the ship, you can go back, but it's all a big lie.
Right. You can go back home.
You can go back home. And then at the end of the game, you find one of the last members of the crew has tried to merge herself with the AI to take it over. And they ask you to put the helmet on and merge, and together you could do this, and you have the choice to do that or not.
And there are two endings.
Is that right?
Yeah. And also, it plays up, or it tries to convince you that two of the crew members killed each other,
Yeah, which I think they did.
which I think they did, but
Yeah.
because of the AI tricking them to do so.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of reminiscent of Soma in a way.
There are definitely some cliche parts. So like you get rogue AI,
Yeah.
but some of the neat parts happen in the story with you interfacing with this AI who is unreliable narrator-esque.
Yeah, and seeing it all come across like a text prompt can be kind of chilling sometimes.
Okay. Does the stuff you guys have mentioned about the text parser stuff not being perfect, does that detract from the story?
Only in the parts where like you're playing the game, like gameplay wise,
Yeah.
when you're like, can I do this thing? And
Yeah.
it gives you one of those responses that in any text input game would be like, I'm not sure what you're talking about, kind of thing. I think it does it pretty well, but you wind up trying to go down a list of things it might recognize.
You think it's top 3? On the fence?
I'm on the fence
All right.
about it. Like I would say it's probably top on this list, maybe
5?
like top 5
Okay.
or 6.
All right. Well, we can table it for sure.
Not to go about this too backwards, but are there games on this list that people feel super, super strong about?
So I really like the story in Doom.
Dude, I think Doom is a
Yeah.
strong contender here.
Okay.
Like it's
I'm with ya.
nonsense, but
just-
it's really well built nonsense.
It's not nonsense at all.
It's just
dude.
hard to make my words.
it's absurd.
My
It's-
mouth
it's-
form
Yeah,
those
that's
words.
that's more what I mean.
It's ridiculous, but,
But
yeah,
it all
I know,
makes.
right?
I mean, it makes its own kind of sense. But when I
is-
call it nonsense, I just mean like they go for it in such a ridiculous way, and
Right.
but they
Okay.
actually make it all fly.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Like, nonsense sounds like incoherent to me.
No,
And
I don't think it's
the game-
incoherent.
The game is incredibly coherent,
Yeah.
actually.
Which game has a really good story?
Doom.
I just have to hear
Someone had to say it out loud.
When you finish it, like the screen melts and there's a page there that you can read and you go like,
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's a rabbit head.
Doom story. Okay.
Firewatch, I feel pretty strongly about.
I
thought
do too.
Firewatch had a
Really?
really
Okay.
strong
Yes, I do.
story, yeah.
Do we want to go knives out on Firewatch yet?
I like Firewatch a lot, but they really didn't completely stick the landing for me.
I was okay with that ending
yeah.
to Firewatch.
I like it again. Like
I think
I enjoyed it a lot, but the ending, like the last act, didn't come together for me.
I think the problem for me was
the way.
not so much the direction they went with the ending, because I actually kind of like the way they subverted the thriller aspects of that game.
I'd see
toward
that-
the end, but I think the way that they delivered it was a little too hasty
Yeah.
in the sense that there are pieces of that mystery that don't completely get explained by what takes place.
Yeah, so like it's jarring because like when you talk about subverting the thriller stuff, I feel like they did that very abruptly and without any justification. Like
think the
they,
way-
they build it up, they build it up as like this chilling 70s mystery kind of thing, you know, with all the government agents out there and then all that stuff is just like swept aside.
Like the thing I like about that is the fact that most of that paranoia and what happens, I mean, you can understand how that becomes a product of just being in the environment those characters are in. They're completely isolated. The only person that Henry ever gets to talk to is that Delilah woman who seems like she has her own hangups and weird shit going on, which just makes him more suspicious. And, you know, she just seems like kind of naturally that way to begin with. And the fact that in the end, again, spoilers, that you know, most of that stuff does not bear out to be true. I don't think is a bad thing by any stretch. I think they play that stuff up pretty well.
I found it pretty disjointed. The build to what is actually going on in that forest, I found pretty disjointed.
I like the reveal. I think the red herring stuff is a little too convenient.
Yeah,
and a little
yes.
too.
Yes, the convenience is definitely
That's how I would put
there.
it. Like the
Sorry,
only
Drew, didn't mean to
the
cut
only
you off.
genuine build up to the fact that it's that dude, the crazy dude out there with the dead son, is you find that backpack at one point. I guess this is the best way to put it. Like you find the backpack with the names and their old camera with their photos on there and stuff, but then they get so far away from that with the like government
The fence and the
research base and all that shit
That's disappointing.
that by the time they loop back around to the guy and his dead son, like you've forgotten the names of the people who owned that backpack. Like like I had to like go back and think like, okay, what was up with that backpack?
I didn't forget them.
Like they go here, and then they break off like this, and then they come back like late game, and none of that feels like a good steady build up to what the conclusion is.
Sorry, go ahead.
For me, I agree. And after the game, it wasn't until I had completed it where I put it all together, and only then was I like, okay, that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
It was not during the
Yes,
fact that
that's-
during when the story was playing out that I was like, oh, cool.
Right.
It was more like
what is
That's-
the research base again? Like, how does that factor in? Like,
There's that like government weather station
Yeah,
or
yeah, but
whatever
what-
out there,
what-
and you go there.
The father with the dead son created that to distract you.
was that right?
Wait,
Yes.
And he
Well,
made,
he
like,
didn't-
he
he
made, like
didn't-
fake documents. And
I don't
stuff
think
for-
he.
Yeah.
I don't think he invented it out of whole cloth. I think he just like he had been in the forest for so long, like he had been collecting random shit to basically like to try and throw you off the trail.
Yeah.
But, like there had been, I think, some government research shit happening there.
Yes.
But it wasn't like evil. It's just that there were people in the park and he had just stolen a bunch of their equipment.
And he was planting documents, making it seem like they were using that stuff to spy on him and listen to the radio transmissions and putting papers like, oh, Mail talks to, Delilah.
Yeah, but I feel like this is just kind of reinforcing what me and Drew were saying, because like a lot of that stuff is not very clear.
No, it's
Like-
not.
Like even in retrospect, it's not clear. Like even as you're telling me this now, I'm still going like, wait, was it really the dad that made those documents in that government station? Like really? Because he was off in a different part of the woods doing other stuff. Like I get like.
Yeah, like
it's a little too all over the place for it. It's like 90% of the way to a really good story, but it doesn't quite all fit together.
I agree that it's not all the way there, but I think the work they do with the characters, I think the way that they build tension throughout that story, and honestly, like the way they kind of tie together the various themes of guilt throughout that game, which is really the whole thing that story hangs on, is Henry's guilt over what happened with his wife, the crazy father's guilt over what happened with his son, like the way that all kind of plays into each other. Yes, it could have been delivered, I think, in a much more coherent, like it needed about a half hour more, I think, toward the end there to kind of just put it all into a little bit more like of a gentle, into the place that it needed to be.
I don't think it needed more. I think it just needed what was there to be tweaked a little bit just to fit together a little bit better and be a little bit clearer and have a little bit more unity to it.
Yeah, I think for me, it felt like they rushed to that conclusion from a place where it needed a little, like at least one or two more steps before they got there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just go ahead.
I think I like the story overall. The red herring stuff felt a little too like I said, convenient, like manipulated in a way that was like, this can't be realistic. Where something like Gone Home with the haunted house stuff felt a little more integrated into the story, where it didn't feel like there were what was the other one that we played through with the got monked.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, where like at the end of it, it's like, well, we had projectors and Scooby-Doo stuff for ghosts.
Well,
and
that's
it's
a
all,
weird
like,
one. That's a weird one because
nonsense.
so much can change in that game.
Well, so like
But-
at the end of it, you're like, how did these ghosts come about? Well, I had a projector with the screen, and like Firewatch in some of that base stuff felt a little bit like that of like, where the fuck did you get all this stuff? Like a radar detector and like a
I
transmission.
really had that reaction at the end of that game of like, this is just a little bit too much for me to swallow.
Yeah, because you're trying to piece it together throughout the whole time, and
Yeah.
then when they unveil stuff like that, it's like, well, all right, you kind of cheated.
Yeah, totally.
Like I feel like,
a little
oh,
cheated,
Like
yeah.
the reveal shouldn't be confusing. It should be connecting. It should make you look back on everything that happened and go like, oh shit, that's what those things meant. Not like, wait, how did that fit together? Where did he come from? Like, it's
or like, I guess since this is a video game, you can cut those corners.
right.
But I did find the story kind of emotional.
I did too. I did too. I'm not trying.
Yeah,
I still
That
even,
stuff hit well for me, and I was really afraid right up until I got on the helicopter.
And that's the thing. Here's the thing: is that I agree with most of the criticisms we're having here. Like, I think that there are aspects of that story that do not cohere properly. That said, I would still call it one of the 3 best game stories I experienced this year by far. Just sheerly for the character work, the way that they build up that tension, and the payoff. I agree should have been better, but I don't think that payoff is completely without merit, and I think that most of what they do in that game is really, really strong.
Okay,
Well,
so
let's not cut it yet.
But it sounds like we've got 2 games that people feel really strongly about, which probably means there's a lot of stuff we can wipe off this list.
All right. So what are those 2?
I like Watch Dogs 2 a lot.
Wait,
I think it's
hang on. What's
Doom and Firewatch.
Doom and
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I think Event Zero still hangs around for at least for the time being.
I will just put stars next to stuff
Okay.
that we're still.
All right, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is the best story they have had in a good long time, but
Is it a good story?
It is, except for the part where the bad guys are not fleshed out in any way. They're just like generic evil frontiersmen that you're just like, why are you so mad? Okay, well, all right, I guess we're fighting. I think that aspect of the game is really poorly done. But like in terms of just like themes and tone and character work and a lot of that stuff, I think I just want to say that they did way better than you would expect from that franchise.
Yeah, like what you've said about it made me want to play that game when I didn't think I did before.
Yeah, like they give it emotional weight that like doesn't feel cheap in the way that they've had people die in the past. It's not no Russian, it's not nukes. It's like they introduce you to characters and then kill most of them off.
Yeah.
In it after you've been like, oh, this is like an all right team. You're like, oh well, it's not anymore. And so the game really does become about like loss and sacrifice in some interesting ways. But that said, it really is just the space terrorists blew up our stuff. Go get them.
Yeah.
And then you go get them, and there are costs along the way. It's not, I don't
fair.
think it's one of the 3 best.
I also, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm surprised at how well Watch Dogs 2 was written and how much I actually kind of did like those characters based on what we've talked about, how, the initial reveal. But when it comes down to it, the overall plot of that game just boils down to like, fuck Google and corporations and Facebook and data. And there's no real, it's
And
just
I
the snotty.
think the ending kind of fumbles it as well. Like there's some cool stuff that they build up with some of those characters, and I think they kind of fuck that up toward the
They
end.
throw away stuff that they should not have thrown away
Yeah.
around like deaths of characters and stuff that could have been more impactful. Like it's a fun little roller coaster ride.
Yeah. But it's not
But
top 3.
It's not top 3.
No.
I no one else has probably played much Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and I certainly haven't finished it. I will say that it's it's a lot of JRPG nonsense, but it's couched in some really fun stuff. There are some really fun characters in that game. I like its brand of nonsense, but having not finished it and seen it all the way through, I don't think it can stay on this list.
All right.
We can probably take Virginia off this list.
There's definitely some interesting things going on there. They didn't stick the landing.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's the themes of that game, and less the actual story they're telling.
Yeah.
I
I had some
think-
issues with the storytelling itself. And Vinny, did you actually stick through the credits? Did you see what happened to like the son? Because he was kind of a central
I'm
fixture
pretty sure
in that
because I
story.
think it's unskippable.
Yeah.
So I must have.
Like, it was kind of a murder mystery or, missing person kind of thing going for a while. And then, you find
there's
out
the
some
walking
stuff about
down the road part.
That's exactly what I'm talking
Okay.
about. You've got this missing person thing.
Yeah.
You
That
don't
was
know
never
whether or not
about
like the dad, did something to the son or something. And then it's, oh no, the kid's just walking down the road. And took
But,
off.
yeah, but that game was less about that stuff and more
I know,
about
I
the
know.
failing of establishments and institutions. But you're right. It gets up its own ass a little bit too much.
Okay.
A little bit.
I think it's really surprising and cool that Titanfall 2 had an awesome single-player campaign, but the actual narrative of that, I don't think is the thing that's going to stick with
A
people,
boy and his
you know?
robot is like a fun story.
Oh,
Yeah,
it had so much potential if they had just gone a little bit further.
a little bit
Yeah.
further. Yeah. Like again, I think it's like Call of Duty, but from a different angle. Where like I don't think there's anything particularly bad about that
No,
story.
it works.
It probably needed a little. Or they could have gone further with it.
Yep.
They
Workmanlike.
definitely could have gone
I did.
further
I
with
did
it,
feel
yeah.
like most of the villains, like most of those mercs, are just sort of like cardboard cutout villains.
I mean,
there's
I like
not-
that.
But yeah, like those guys are just like
boss fight bad
between
guys.
their names and the trophy names and stuff. At some point, they were just like, I don't know, action movies are good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that flying Titan boss guy was so silly.
I love that.
But yeah, I kind of
They
liked it
felt
too.
like Metal Gear
And
bosses.
talks like a jet pilot the way you want from a flying Titan. You're just like, oh, fuck this guy.
I'll say it again though. Effect and Cause is like a fucking incredible mission. Like not even just from the time travel mechanic standpoint, but like the storytelling in that level is like a cut above everything else in that game.
Yeah.
I agree. They have put Titanfall in such an awesome place that I hope that they get to iterate on like a lot of this story stuff and a lot of their multiplayer stuff down the line.
That'd be great.
I feel like the bunker was a very cool premise. I don't know if the actual story
That's the FMV.
really bears out.
So the story there is you're in a bunker. Nukes go off. You're all trapped in the bunker. But you wind up being the last person alive. Everybody else has died in this bunker. And you
Throughout the course of the game.
Nope.
No, like early on.
You're the only one there, and there's radiation leaks, and it's not going to end well, and you don't know what's going on outside. But you piece together why everybody died in the bunker through flashbacks and notes and stuff like that. It turns out that there weren't going to be enough rations, and you were the only baby born in the bunker, and your mom kills everyone else in the bunker so that you can survive until the radiation outside
hang on.
dissipates.
But do you never meet your mother?
You do.
She's in the game early
The game
on.
opens
She's
with
still
her
alive?
dying. Yeah. So the game opens with her on her deathbed, probably from radiation poisoning.
Oh, okay. So she just never told you what happened.
No.
Okay.
And you find that she put poison into the filtration system and killed everybody else in the bunker so that the rations would last for one person instead of everybody.
Do you play that game from the first person, or is your character like in the video?
Is in the video.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more cinematic.
Okay.
So like it's kind of a neat tale.
Is that like a late game reveal?
Yeah,
Is that like you
that's
spend
the
the
end of
whole
the game.
game wondering what's going on, and then
Yeah.
oh, I see.
Because you find a room basically with bodies in it.
I see.
And like you find like the poison next to the thing. And
Yeah.
it turns out you have a flashback to you were the kid who put the poison in the thing.
Wow, that's a little bit much.
It's pretty dark.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Like there's some Norman Bates shit in that game, which is it plays around with, but I think the actual storytelling is not super great.
Yeah, it's not so great.
I think that
It's a cool game.
I think that Inside is great at creating atmosphere and moments, but as far as like what the story is,
If this were best setting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I agree with that.
I can't necessarily defend
yeah.
the style of storytelling. in
I
that
like
game.
what happens in that game. I think the way they pace it out is really interesting. But yeah, like the storytelling is less the thing of interest in that game.
Yeah.
It's everything they build around it.
There's a lot of interpretation. It's a lot of what you bring to the story inside.
Yep.
I agree with that.
The Turing test is also another really interesting one. It's a puzzle game, but the story winds up being a ship on Europa, AI on the ship. Humans wind up finding this thing that basically can heal you, so you almost become immortal. And the AI will not let that go back to Earth because Earth cannot sustain immortal people. So it winds up with this fight between the AI and
Like a brutal sort of logic.
where the AI it takes over your brain because there were chips implanted in everybody, and it can take over. And the people had to cut the chips out of their head, but you did not. And so you wake up and you're the whole game not sure if you're controlling yourself or the AI is controlling you, and you go back and forth on it. It's interesting and dark in a way, but also comes down to kind of like rogue AI.
It does have the most personable AI of any of those, like very charming
Until it wants to
until it's not.
kill you. But I would cut it from this. It does kind of boil down a bit down to like rogue AI. Can you trust the AI on a system?
All right.
I think we've established the answer to that is no
Across
across the board.
Usually no, except I don't know. Titanfall, you can trust your robot, buddy. Seems like he's good.
Guy's all right.
Yeah.
Vinny, you mentioned King's Quest. I agree, but since neither of us finished it, I don't know that
Story so far seems pretty good.
It's a really good, lighthearted, fun retelling of like that whole series and like
in a good presentation, like the mechanics of it.
The like season or whatever you want to call this 5-episode arc that they've made for this thing, like is a retelling of like the whole King's Quest series. So like each episode jumps forward in time to cover kind of another game or like another step in Graham's like path to becoming king and then having children, and they go off and do things, and it's extremely well done. But since we both haven't Gotham.
I like the framing device a
yeah,
lot.
yes, and the kind of flashback narration stuff is really good. But since we both haven't played like half of it, it's kind of hard to keep it on here.
Speaking of retellings, Batman Telltale game series. Stop me if you've heard this. Bruce Wayne's parents are dead.
I thought we weren't
Yeah.
doing spoilers.
Yeah.
So
sorry about that.
here's the hook for Batman
Yeah.
with me, which is that they do not just root themselves in the existing comic canon. They kind of rework some of the framing of like what you know Batman's origin to be, which is to say that yes, his parents are dead, but the Waynes in this are revealed at the end of the first episode, so this isn't even like a huge spoiler, to have been in league with Carmine Falcone back in the day to essentially help control Gotham City. Like Thomas and Martha Wayne are not like innocent victims the way that
As
they're
they've
always
always been,
portrayed.
yeah.
They are in fact have ties to the mob, and they were assassinated as part of that, which completely upends the entire notion of why Bruce Wayne became Batman and sort of fucks with his he, like basically his the like a lot of the second episode is him just like frantically trying to figure out like what all of this means for him.
And it plays around with like a lot of well-established characters, and you see, Batman or Bruce, interact with these characters in ways that you haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
Telltale's good at telling stories, actually.
I mean, it feels like they're 18.
And I didn't think that they'd be able to, put a different spin on something like Batman.
Like
that's been so well established, but they've done a great job so far.
It's still a Batman-ass story for sure, and some of that choice stuff definitely plays into familiar tropes with that series. Like there's literally a choice that more or less means are you going to create Two-Face or not, depending on what you do. Things like that. But I think that stuff is done pretty well in that game, and that thing could have been the most tossed off thing in the vein of other tossed off licensed Telltale games, but I feel like they put more effort into it than usual.
Pleasant surprise for sure.
Yeah.
Over the course of these deliberations, I feel like Oxenfree has come up, and the reaction to it has been kind of like it's good, but
I think
do you think it holds here?
I think the story is the best thing about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely like, young adult sci-fi, but I think the characters they establish are better than just, your average teen tropes.
Yeah.
I think the cosmic horror aspect of it is delivered very well. My only real beef with that story is that because it's a fairly short game, its second act almost doesn't exist. Like there's a lot of really good setup for what's to come. There's like an hour or so of what you would consider to be the middle part of a game, and then it kind of gets to the end. And the end is good and solid, and the way it all plays out is really good. But it felt like they hit a point where they could have done a lot more if there maybe had been more time or budget, and they just didn't. So
that said, I think what's there is really strong.
yeah, what's there is really strong, and I do like.
I would feel good about it being in the top three.
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel like I'm ready to cut it loose just yet.
All right.
Tell me about Zero Time Dilemma.
Oh, fuck. How much time we got?
Give me the log line.
0.
Then I have a time dilemma.
Yes, you do.
All right. So this is the third game in two other games that are very closely knit together.
Is this 999 Virtue's
Yes.
Last Reward
Yes.
territory? Okay, just making sure.
Which all deal in time travel. So this game takes place, I think, between the first and second game. Oh, man. So you have three groups of people that are in this game, right? Like it's kind of not Saw-like. It's not brutal. It's a little brutal like that. But like three teams that are trapped in this like warehouse thing, right? The hook is over the course of it, you begin, and they let you play story beats from each team, right? Play the story beat, switch to the next
At
team.
your leisure?
At your leisure, you kind of jump around. Some are locked off. At some point, you can then travel, make your consciousness go with everything you know from one beat to another beat, so that you know how something's going to turn out. So like if you know like you're going to take a chance, like you're going to play Russian roulette, right? I point the gun at you and I pull the trigger, click, nothing happens. But it actually fractures into two, where one time I pulled the trigger, click, the bullet went off, and now you're playing through this story beat where that person's dead the entire rest of the time, and this one where they're not dead and you have everybody, but sometimes this person can remember that when that person died, because this person, you went out to find a code for a door, and you can jump back into this other story beat. And it just gets fucking insane where everybody's freaking out because some people are supposed to be dead, but they're not dead in this story beat. And you wind up basically killing everybody, but everybody survives, and going back to the very beginning of the game, but knowing everything you know by the time you've killed everybody to be able to get out of the game.
Whoa.
That sounds really cool.
It sounds like video game primer.
It's kind of like that. It gets really crazy because of all the splintering and fracturing that happens.
Can you follow it? Like, is it?
Yes, they do a pretty good job
Okay.
of letting you follow it. So like it gets so fucking crazy, which is why I'm having a hard time explaining it, because you meet for the first time. You are in a room with your grown-up daughter that you have met in 50 years in the future, who is the same age because she can travel her consciousness through time, but your consciousness is that of an 80-year-old man who's gone back in time to his 20-year-old body. So you know the events of the last 60 years, but you're talking to your daughter, who you then get into a relationship with this woman in the game, not the daughter, in the game, to birth the daughter, who you then put in a time stasis pod so that she winds up being able to continue into the future to be able to have the events to come back and be with your team here.
This is just like an X-Men plot line.
It's it's really insane. But like while you're doing this stuff, you're slowly piecing together what's happening. Like you're like, oh shit, like you and I are going to get into this relationship and have this kid.
Yeah, we are.
And then I think that kid's going to become in the future this person who travels back in time to be this other character who's here. It becomes incredibly complex in a way that is nonsensical, but also kind of fun. And they try to like Metal Gear Solid tie up everything from the other two games.
Okay.
Where you're like, oh, but like these events have to happen this one way, otherwise these other games don't happen. But like I can totally stop this. Oh no, I can't. It always goes wrong. And the game starts, and this is big spoiler stuff, but the game starts with a coin flip of whether you could just walk out or not. And so like you flip the coin, and if you win it, you walk out and the game's over. But if you don't, you have to play through all the events that make this game happen. But by the end, I'm pretty sure this is what happens. By the end, if you walk out and you don't do anything and the game's over, the world ends. Because what was happening there was a virus was getting made and it's going to be released. And the whole purpose of this game, whatever, you wind up going back to the original events with everything you know, so that when you flip the coin and walk out, you can then stop the virus from happening. But does that mean all those events don't happen, but everybody shares consciousness?
I have a headache now.
I'm into it.
I don't know if I can render an opinion on all that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds really awesome.
It's complicated, that's for sure.
It's pretty crazy and cool in a way. I do think the second game was a little better, but like this game tries its best to tie up the insanity of what's happening.
Is it the last one? Do they frame it as this is the conclusion to this trilogy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fucking insane.
I will go with you wherever you want to put that game.
I'm having a hard time like keeping it on here because it's so insane.
Yeah.
But works, but is really crazy.
I mean, if it goes to those kinds of levels and you think it actually ties itself together in a way that works, that feels like a strong enough case to not pull it off
That
yet.
stands
Okay.
out.
Yeah, we can
it's
flag it.
definitely most story.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I feel pretty strongly about Uncharted 4.
Being
Pro?
on here,
Yeah. Like,
it's
It's
one
the
of the
best
best.
one.
It's one of the best stories in that series.
That's like the one thing they do well.
I think it's the best story
I was
in the
gonna
series, I think.
I was gonna say it's the one thing they do better than the previous games, but that, like kind of, I mean, everything about Uncharted 4 is better than the
Yeah.
previous games, but everything besides the story was already like top notch.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
yeah.
Whereas this, what are you at?
I wouldn't say everything about that.
There's some parts in those games that are not
yes,
100%.
there are
but
things.
I'd say the biggest improvement
Yes,
it makes is in the
what I'm
story
trying,
department.
that's what I'm trying to say. Like
Okay.
the gulf between what their storytelling used to be in that series and what they do with this one is so much bigger.
Yeah.
than everything else that they improve.
It's a game where the quieter moments actually stood out in a way that a big blockbuster action game almost never do.
Little things like driving in the Jeep with Elena after you have that fight, and it's just kind of quiet and weird. And
Yeah, that stuff's fine, but for me, it's less the little moments like that and more the broad structure of it and how they like weave in and out of flashbacks at like really unexpected times throughout this. Like even like the 2 or 3 chapters from the end.
The breaking into the mansion at night.
Yeah,
thing?
like just at the time at the end of the game when all the shit is hitting the fan and you think like fucking all right, they're gonna get through the end of this now. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, they flash back to like Drake's childhood again.
Yeah,
Is that super frustrating?
No,
You
no,
have
no,
momentum and-
it's paced out well.
I mean, that particular flashback, it is a little bit of like, whoa, wait, we're back in time again. But by the end of that chapter,
You understand it.
there is a massive reveal in that flashback chapter that completely recontextualizes what's going on at the end of the actual game.
And I think that, as much as Nathan Drake is still the lovable, if murderous chuckle fuck we have always known him to be in that series, like the stuff they do between him and Elena in that game, the way they... I don't love the brother character, but the way they build up that relationship between them and the ways in which, Nathan feels sort of indebted to him, whether he should or not.
Yeah.
Like that stuff I think is all smartly done. And on top of that, like as much as the villains are your average video game cartoon villains.
Oh, I wouldn't say it.
Well, what they want to do is very much cartoon villain stuff.
It's Indiana Jones
But the
stuff.
characters are personable and understandable enough. Like their motivations make enough sense and they work within the context of what they're doing.
We already talked about what a great sniveling villain Rafe is, but
I'm trying to remember at the end of that chapter. It's obviously a big spoiler, but you find the old lady and the real is something about your mom and your last name. Like what was the actual?
So I mean, I guess I could just say most
it's the story
people
thing.
have finished it here. The big reveal at the end of that game completely flips the entire premise of the Uncharted series, which was like at the beginning of the first Uncharted, he's Drake, and you're looking for Sir Francis Drake. You're the descendant of Sir Francis Drake. You're the heir of this adventuring lineage going back centuries. And then you find out actually at the end of Uncharted 4 that there was just a family name change between like Nathan Drake's parents and him, where he was actually like his real name is like fucking I don't know what is it Nathan Martin or something.
The mom changed it though, right?
Yeah. Yes, like this entire series you have been laboring under the pretense that Nathan Drake is some like anointed adventurer royalty or whatever.
This is your legacy. You have to go into the family business.
And like turns out actually he was just some fucking schmuck. It reframes it as like
I wouldn't say that.
What?
He's a schmuck. No, he is.
Well, he's just a whoever.
pretty capable.
His mom seems like a very.
You know what I mean? Like he's an everyman. He's not some.
Yes.
He was not
Destined.
deemed destined.
It's like Solid Snake learning he had the inferior genes.
Like the mom was also like
She's
a
like
researcher.
a famous archaeologist or
Yeah.
whatever. Obviously, there's like pedigree there and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was a neat twist, but that's not like the twist of the game. It's just one of many ways that they like flesh out the history of all these characters, and
Yes.
like they spin like 3 or 4 plates in that game really effectively without dropping any of them, and it's super impressive.
Yeah, I feel like they take a big iron to that game and smooth out all the wrinkles.
Yeah.
By the epilogue, it's like, okay, here's a human Nathan Drake with his daughter.
So
and
there's like in the course of one game, they introduce the brother character, they build up that relationship, then they pull the rug out from under it when you find out that he has been lying to Drake the entire time. You find out about the family history stuff. You get the epilogue that like totally fucking puts
hopefully
closes the book on the Uncharted series.
Close
forever.
the book on Nathan Drake.
Or
the
for
Nathan
sure.
Drake element.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well, and with the brother stuff, when they announced that 4 games in, I think everyone just kind of rolled their eyes like, "Oh, great! Oh, he has a brother." But then they actually make it make sense.
Especially when you saw it was Troy Baker.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just like
fucking-
wow.
It seems like a gimmick,
You
but-
fucking cast Troy Baker as the new character in this game. Of course you did, but it turns out that was like super knowing and smart.
It totally works.
So that's my biggest quibble actually with the story in it is the reintroduction of the brother goes by so quickly with so little shock
You
from
think?
Nathan. Like,
I don't know about
dude
that.
opens the door and is like, "Hey," and hey, want to go outside and talk?
I thought that was really well done.
Long chat on the dock.
I did not at all. I thought it was like you thought this guy was dead for what 20 years.
I got the shock coming out
I
of
did
Nathan Drake
too.
there. I really felt
mean,
like
I thought
he
they
was
dropped
really
the ball.
Do you want to like roll around on the floor and scream? I mean, like, what?
I like at least like just like immediately shut the door kind of thing. Like his whole life is defined. They set up defined by
Yeah.
the death of his brother,
Yeah.
right? And he opens the door and it's like kind of like a little too subtle for. I don't think he has to hand
I
it
don't
up.
think so.
I really thought it was appropriate the way
Yeah.
he reacted when he realized his brother was just standing in front of him.
that ends up being like a pretty conflicted thing of just like, oh, I should have looked more.
But like,
or,
right,
or,
but like,
or like all that stuff.
I
like
would, yeah, especially
Yeah.
because I would say because he felt so guilty about it. Like
Yeah.
it's not just joy that his brother is alive. It's like
It's like the specter
because he
of
left
guilt.
his brother to die. Like remember, like the other dude. Like, was it Rafe? Or
I think it
whoever
was,
he-
yeah.
It is Rafe. Is like
Yeah.
he's just like his brother's been shot and he's just like fuck him. Come on, let's go. And like he's lived with 15 years of guilt that he left his brother to die.
something about that didn't play right for me. Like, this
well-
seemed a little too like, fuck, man. Like your whole worldview is now changed.
Yeah, even if I agreed with you on that, I feel like that would be one low moment in what is
Like I
otherwise
said,
like
it's my
incredibly well.
quibble with it. That's
Yeah.
it.
I think just everything else in the game
Sounds like
is
a pretty strong.
Yeah, I think there's
yeah.
a very
So
strong
well.
case for that game being on this list.
And I absolutely love when is it Nadine who's the mercenary?
Yeah, yeah.
Walks away
At the
from
end.
everything at the end.
Yeah.
And
Like,
is
fuck
like,
this.
yeah, like you fucking dumbasses.
It's cool how they draw a line between the villains. Like she's just in it for the money. Rafe is the fucking
weird
like
glory
maniac. Like he's gonna stick it out and potentially die to stay
And
there. to the
literally go
end.
down with the ship.
Right, and
but-
she's like, nope, fuck it, I'm taking my money, I'm out.
But that's the whole parable there, right? Is like, how much are you, Nathan, like Rafe, and like when can you walk away? It's a very like let it go, Elsa, or Indiana Jones style cup thing.
Yeah.
Of like just walk away, and like he kind of can't, and he kind of almost dies for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe miraculously doesn't.
Indy, let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
The Witcher 3 DLC.
So I talked about this already.
Mm-hmm.
This is the deal with the devil stuff.
Yeah.
Which is actually all really good.
It's a really fun storyline.
It's very Faustian. It is, and the character work is really good. It is, again, you are conscripted by the devil to make good on to basically void a contract with somebody else who tricked the devil, like kind of got the best of the devil. And so you're there to kind of break that contract as the devil's servant. And you have to do these like ridiculous quests to, at the end, kind of have a but pretty touching story with the guy who made this deal with the devil and like kind of sold everything to be this immortal fighter, like gave up his wife and his loved one. And you get some good Witcher choice stuff in there of like, do you try to kill the devil or do you just kill this other guy whose contract you can give up? It's really well done. I'm looking at the rest of the things on this list. I'd take it over Event Zero.
Okay.
But would you put it in the top 3?
I guess maybe the faster question might be: should we cut Event Zero from this list?
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At this
it's
point,
probably
I
time.
think so.
Okay.
Cool game.
Done.
And I think we can cut Oxenfree as well. Compared to some of this other stuff, I really like that story, but there's stronger material here.
like I think I would take the Hearts of Stone stuff over Firewatch. Maybe Zero Time. Zero Time is great and amazing, and there's so much story in there. But if you came into that game cold, it would be even more nonsensical. So that's the only thing in my mind that's really driving a wedge in it. Is
It
that
requires the
You have to
foreknowledge.
have played all those other games.
kind of really does.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, you're talking about Zero Time Dilemma?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
like
all right. But what about Witcher? Is
So,
that standalone enough that it works? Because that sounds
it
like
definitely
could
does
be the
stand
same
alone.
thing.
It is very much a standalone piece of DLC that you don't need any backstory for.
Like the only backstory you need to know is just he's a Witcher.
Witcher.
I mean,
Two
you
swords,
can
one silver.
You can play that from the title screen with just like a pre-leveled character.
Yeah.
So I'd take off Zero Time or no.
Well, why don't we cut around it here just to make sure? Mafia 3 is that going to stick?
The best part of Mafia 3 is definitely that intro. I do think that the character work in that game is pretty exceptional, especially for like an open world type crime game, which, those games are not necessarily known for their brilliant storytelling, but I think they do a really good job of setting up those characters and giving them some real humanity. Lincoln especially. Even just some of like the weird mafia sub bosses you meet in that game are smarter and more interesting than you would typically find in that sort of thing. And I really like the way that they build up the lieutenants that you meet and work with over the course of the game, like the people who sort of become your crew are all pretty like there's a lot more to them than you would expect. My main beef is that
Chief beef.
my chief beef here is that for all the cool like visual style and documentary framing device and all that stuff, the story it is telling is a very straightforward revenge story. Like, these are the people who wronged him. The setup for that revenge is great, but after that, it is literally like, okay, territory by territory, take down these bosses, gonna get to the bad guy, gonna kill these bad guys,
Okay.
and then you kill those bad guys.
All right. Spoilers. That sounds good, but maybe not top 3 here.
No, I don't think it is top 3. It needed to be called out because it is way better than average with a lot of that stuff. I wish they were more willing to go in other directions other than, well, you just get your revenge.
All right. Down to 6 games here.
Super hot.
Super Hot is awesome, and I like that world, and I like a lot of the concepts it puts forth. But I almost feel like calling it a story is a bit much.
A bit of a misnomer.
I kind of agree. It's a little abstract.
Yeah.
Or they're like
There's a narrative thread.
There is a
There is.
thread. Things happen, but it's
I feel
And
like
it's a good threat.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's more based on like themes than events, if that makes sense. Like not a ton. I mean, great. There are like 2 or 3 moments in that thing where, like, obviously the ending and I'm trying to think. Well, there are things you can point to and say that is storytelling, but a lot of it is more like a feel.
It would be
It
way
evokes-
worse
Yeah.
if it didn't
Yeah.
have it.
Totally.
Like, if it were just a bunch of levels you jumped into.
It is a way different and better game because of all that the
That
layer
stuff.
of story stuff on top of it. But I'm kind of with you. Like,
I want to see more of it. Like, I would love to see that stuff fleshed out in a way that even the
What's the rest of that world look like?
The VR stuff doesn't really take it any further, which is a little disappointing. Like I want to see the Super Hotiverse.
Yeah.
And I wonder, and
I don't know if I do.
I doubt the developers of this game have even really put that together.
Is there a world?
Yeah, because
I
there
don't
are like
know.
there are parts of it that you look at and just go like, they just strung together a bunch of really cool shit, and if they decide to make more of it, they'll worry about that later. I bet that's how it is.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, part of me
or
think-
maybe they've got
yeah.
a book this thick of just like, no, here's what's really going on. Super hot. Which would either is okay by me. But that said, this game probably doesn't play here at all.
all right, I'll cut that. I'm glad now that I played through the entire thing since we did Best Style. Like, I'm glad that game won that. I can see why it needed to get its props there.
Yeah.
You could probably take Wild Hunt off. And
Okay.
I think I'd rather leave Zero Time Dilemma.
Okay.
I mean, that thing sounds like it goes in some real directions.
It really does, and it is really the vehicle by which you play that game.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see what you do in the story to impact the other story elements.
So my only problem is that that's the one on this list that I have definitely not played, and I have played all 3 of these other ones, and I feel pretty strongly about all 3 of those other ones.
I feel like your description of Zero Time Dilemma has me pretty sold on it, and I look at this and based on what people have been saying, Firewatch sounds like the weak link to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I would have to agree. Like, again, I really liked Firewatch. It was almost all the way there, but just like I said, those misgivings I have
Fourth
about the way
best.
the story rolls out is a little bit.
It sounds like Zero Time Dilemma is like weaving together this intricate thing in a way that does pay off and kind of makes sense in its own weird fucking way.
And that whole game
Seems
is
like a
that
hell of a
story.
feat.
Yeah.
Like, story is and the way it's told and the way it's untold and retold. Like,
So
that is
Zero
that
Time
whole
Dilemma,
thing, right?
yeah, it also has this crazy mechanic where I think it's every 5 hours you get injected from your wristwatch with a poison that knocks you out and makes you forget the last 8 hours. So every time you pick
So
up
you
from another
double forget sometime. Every 5 hours you forget 8.
So every time you wake up, they wake up and it's like Drew's just a dead body there, and they're like, "What the fuck happened?" So then you don't, or like he's decapitated, or like everybody's gone, and you're like, it's very much like who killed whom, and there's a whole other game element of it where there's a certain amount of people have to die in order for them to escape. You get a password for the door each time, so you're never sure if like somebody killed somebody to get a password.
Do you ever have to convince anyone that they have to die, but don't worry, you're alive in another dimension?
Yes.
oh God.
There are parts, because there's a part where also I think it gets so fucking crazy. Like, you have to be under high stress to be able to shift out, and they're like, don't worry, we'll live. We have to get shot by these turrets for this to happen.
So Firewatch has a lot of different threads that most of us think don't really come together.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the big difference there, is that it sounds like Zero Time Dilemma pulls off this big, crazy, intricate thing, whereas Firewatch introduces a lot of things, and I think we like the story overall.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's some misgivings about how by the end some of that stuff didn't really pan out. I have not played Zero Time Dilemma, but that sounds like it pulls it off better.
Yeah, I mean, that it pulls it off in a way that's really fun during it, and at the end you kind of have to accept or not accept this whole time travel disaster they have made, and been like, fuck, okay. Like, I don't know, could that ending ever be truly satisfying in a way that's like everything has happened but nothing has ever happened, and this all had to happen because there's a game that happens after this?
Alex is shaking his head down there.
Yeah, I don't know. Firewatch is a good story. It's just not told as well as these other ones.
Okay, well then,
Yeah.
does Doom belong
Yes.
here?
Yes. 100% yes.
See, that's the one.
Doom has the smallest amount of story,
Right.
but is told the best.
Yeah.
That's actually the one I'm leaning least toward.
That's you're out of your mind if you think Firewatch is better than Doom in this category.
Okay, then I'm out of my mind.
Not to be blunt.
Okay, I'll be out of my mind on this one. I think Firewatch is better than Doom in this category. I think that telling a small personal story in that kind of context, while not completely alien, is not a common thing. And I think that the way they sketch out Henry, especially in that game, is, I don't know, like it was very affecting to me. And yes, I agree. I agree with a lot of the criticisms about the way the ending is delivered, but I don't think that the ideas that they are trying to put forth there are negated by the fact that they are not explained as well as they could have been.
I think it does lessen the impact of them
in some ways, yeah, but I still, like, by the end of that game, I'm not afraid to say I was a little bit of a sobbing mess, and this is anecdotal, but, sitting there playing it with my girlfriend, like, she was equally, and she does not cry at fucking video games. She does not care about the stories in video games typically, but she was very engaged with that game in a way that nothing else this year did. And I don't know, like, it just, between that and just sort of like the, sort of almost like De Palma-esque sort of, thriller trappings that they built around, which, again, don't pay out the way that you would expect necessarily, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think the buildup for it works. So I don't know, like, I feel like it's really underselling the things that game does well to harp on the fact that the conclusion is not delivered, I'm going to say 75% as well as it should have been.
All right, how about this then? Is the story in Uncharted good, or is it just told well by virtue of it having better technology to convey facial animation?
No, it's not just the facial
It's a good
animation.
story.
It is a good
The
story.
structure of it and the content are like several cuts above anything that they have ever done with that series.
All right.
I think the fact that we're still...
Okay, several cuts above anything they've ever done with that series?
Well,
or
better than
several
most
cuts
games.
above? Okay.
Better,
Yes, yes.
it is one of the best.
It felt to me like they did a Batman Begins with Batman with Nathan Drake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
Like, they made him an actual person instead of like this comic book character.
And they made the treasure hunt the background story, which I thought was a good move.
And on top of that, I think it's the kind of cinematic storytelling they've been alluding to for 3 games, but could never fully deliver on, and then they finally actually just pulled it all together.
It's got a better story than any actual action movie I can think of. Like, it's
in recent,
it's got a better story than the thing that it's drawing from or the thing that it's emulating.
Like, the Doom story made me laugh a fair amount. It is cool that they did all that work, and that work was most definitely not. It's excellent, but I also think that the story is still it is a supplement to what that game is, and it is not necessarily important to why
I
people
really
like
disagree. I think it is crucial to how good that game is.
I think the writing in that game is crucial to it, but it's.
I don't know how you draw a distinction.
Well,
there.
for me, it's like, like codex entries that are filling in like flavor versus the actual story of the game.
Yeah, but like I don't think you can necessarily break this category down to like let's plot out the plot points and say how interesting are they.
But I would also argue the actual story of Doom where they are pillaging Argent energy from hell to supplement the power grid of Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where closing that might doom Earth in some rational way.
Now it all fits together, right?
Let me remind
Doom
you.
Earth.
Let me remind you of the middle of the game when you get to the point where there are corporate memos going out about
Yeah.
the like rah corporate spirit sessions they're having around demonic worship.
Yeah. That stuff is the best.
And then you get to the CEO's office or whatever. You know, the little holograms that have been popping
Yeah.
up, talking to you, like throwing out the little
Hello.
company slogans all the time. And then you get to that CEO's office,
Like your tier 3.
and like you're at the center of the corporation, and the hologram pops up and starts speaking in tongues. Like it starts speaking demonic gibberish in this really cheerful, like rah kind of way.
Yeah, that whole like the whole they call them tiers when you're like you're tier 1
yes.
or whatever, you're level 2
Like
whatever.
all of the corporate handbook stuff in that game about like give yourself over to the demons, like you were here to be
Welcome to
experimented
Make sure your
on.
monitor doesn't get damaged
Like
if demons invade.
it is an honor to let yourself be possessed and ripped apart by a demon.
Like in a way, like that stuff to me is almost like Portal-esque in its delivery.
Right.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's that level of just like deeply sarcastic, but also
Yeah.
kind of incredible world building.
it's perfect. I loved it.
Like there's that
definitely.
stuff, and there's the stuff in Hell where like they build up the mythology around the Doom guy being this like
Yes, that's to retrieve his-
demon slayer, fucking avenging angel guy.
Right, where hell is afraid of the Doomslayer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they, like, but there's also the part where like the Doomslayer doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Yes,
and
right,
just
right.
needs to close portals to hell.
All he wants to do is fuck up demons. Like he just wants to kill everything in his fucking face.
And making that like one note thing a compelling
Yes.
character
Yes.
without
Yeah.
any words.
A thing where every level I was excited to get more of that shit because it was all so hilarious and
Yeah.
and awesome. And I would ultimately argue that if none of that had been in that game, we would be looking at Doom as like an especially good Serious Sam type clone.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It would just be a really cool action game with fun, stylish, varied first-person shooting, and would be otherwise kind of forgettable.
Like that game to me was constantly like somebody with a 2,000-page fan fiction of Doom,
Yes.
giving it to the Doom guy who kept throwing it out or like burning it, and being like,
yep.
"No, I fight fucking demon. I don't care
Yeah.
what your tier level is.
I don't know why this machine is
The
here,
fuck
but
is
it
an
can't
Argent?
be.
Is this the thing that opens the door to hell?
Okay, all right, we're gonna punch this now.
Don't
for
you
a
want to
while.
understand how it works? No,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter how it works.
This
You need
is
to
the hell
stop
thing.
building these.
Is that thing red? Because I'll punch that too. Like that part was really fun.
all right? So it sounds like Doom and Uncharted absolutely must be on this
Yes.
list then.
Jeez.
I wish I was as affected by Firewatch as you, Alex. But like when maybe I am a husk of a person, but when I like happened upon that child's body in the cave, I literally thought the words, I guess I should be feeling something here, and I didn't. Because I forgot who everyone was,
Yeah.
and I didn't know, like, is this a plant? Is that a fake skeleton? What is happening? It did not congeal the way that I knew that it was supposed to as I was playing.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I could totally see what they were going for, and like I wish that it landed a little harder for me.
Yeah, after the fact, I was like, yeah, that is a great story. I wish I maybe like read it in a book or something.
I can't tear down Firewatch because I think it's a great story.
Yeah, and I didn't forget who those characters were, so yeah, it did hit. It landed with, I think, primarily the intended impact on me.
My biggest problem with Firewatch was the stuff got, like I said a couple of times, just too convenient to justify some of the red herring stuff.
Yeah.
Of like, that's just like you led me astray with stuff that doesn't make sense. And that's where it kind of fell apart for me a bit, but I actually really liked the ending and the
I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, I also liked the game a lot.
Yeah.
But
I also really like Zero Time Dilemma in its crazy story that it tries to make sense of. It's an amazing accomplishment that takes a lot of homework to go into and figure out. But it is also something that I think for the most part wobbles the landing but sticks it, but it is almost impossible to. Like it has so many threads it has to try and tie together.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing in that whole thing. Like when I was done with it, I definitely felt like, what the fuck? That's I don't know if that's a good ending or a bad ending, but I guess it all makes sense.
Well, what would you take off this list?
I would take Firewatch. just because it was the one that out of the three of these didn't stick with me as long. Like I didn't think about it as much afterward.
You're going to take Thumper away from me. You're going to take Zenyatta away from me.
There's plenty of Alex all over this document.
Alex is going
Gross.
to start murdering us all one by
Yeah.
one.
I don't know.
Going to take Firewatch.
I was the one
from
that
me.
said I would put you playing Thumper on in a frame on my wall. I like.
Where were you
Thumper.
when I needed you?
I was playing Mass Effect 2.
That was your first mistake.
I understand there's some copies of that game around.
Hey, we should play it. It's one of the greatest games of all time.
I've heard good things
Yeah, it's fantastic.
about the PC version.
If you told me before we came into these deliberations that Firewatch would not be in the top 3 of this, I would have screamed at all of you until that was no longer true.
Do I need to turn down your mic?
I'm not going to scream here because I don't have
me
that in me
answer.
right now. You've taken too much from me.
I would also, if we want to go down this road, but I don't think it'll get any traction, swap Firewatch for Uncharted 4. I think Uncharted 4 is a fantastic story, and I can't knock it down either. I think those two stories for me are probably even plateau at this point in terms of
Wow, really?
affecting. Yeah,
I feel like the story and the storytelling in Uncharted 4 are beyond reproach. Like,
Yeah.
even taking into account what you said about that one moment not fully working for you, like, because I think it did work, but also just like
I'm
is-
not here to say bad things about it. I'm
it
just
is
saying
it is to me it is an almost flawless example of how to tell a story in a linear action game effectively.
Yeah, I feel like I'm of no help here because Uncharted 4 was finally the game where I finally realized that I had been right all along and that realized that I just don't like any of those characters or the way that game plays. And the best thing I can say about it is that it looks amazing. Their set pieces are cool. And the things they've done with facial capture and stuff in the parts of Uncharted 4 I did play, I thought were really impressive. But zero affection for anything going on with Nathan Drake.
I will definitely agree with you that I am completely fucking done with Uncharted. Like, there were about 8 climax sequences in that game where I really thought about just not playing it anymore.
But hey, what an ending.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I was like super burned out on most of what I was doing in that game, gameplay wise. But I kept going just to keep getting that story.
I will chime in for the hell of it. I like Uncharted 4 to win based on what I've heard you guys say. I also like Doom, of course. But I kind of want to pick Firewatch over Zero Time. Like,
Okay.
everything that Vinny said sounds super impressive that they were able to stick that landing kind of and weave something, but it's also something that I don't think I want to experience and try and piece together myself.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I had to stop and think about what you were saying about 7 times during that bit because none of it was connecting in my head in a way that sounds impressive. I mean, it sounds impressive,
I don't know
but
if that's
yeah.
fair.
I'll say that you made me want to play that game.
Yeah.
Me too.
Until
Yeah.
you said that you had to play the other ones also, and
do
now
have
I'm
to
like,
play the other
I don't.
it's insane. I'm going to see if I can bring up a flow chart
oh, no. All right, if we have to do flow charts,
because like
Yeah, no, I've seen these for these games before.
This looks like
I know
DNA strands.
they're amazing and like they're great.
God, it really is Primer. If it's got flowcharts.
yeah,
Yeah, it really does. They're super cool. I really like what they did, and I liked being able to bounce around through the different timelines with knowledge and stuff like that. It was something that took more time for me to run out, or I should say, when I finished it, wanted to go research what other people were talking about. Was a more involved story. Firewatch was a very personal story, and I think I kind of got what I got out of it by the time I was done. I think they're both great. Like, I can't sit here and trash the Firewatch story to make Zero Time Dilemma better. I can't undercut it because I think it's also very good. The Zero Time Dilemma story, I think, was more involved and therefore just more engaging for me.
Firewatch is the kind of thing I wish more games did in general.
I
Just-
totally agree with
yeah.
you there. Like,
Yeah.
But I wish what it did was a little more effective at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference between us, is that for me it was still effective in spite of questions I had lingering at the end of it, whereas
I mean,
it was harder for you guys to latch onto that.
I understand. It's just, at this point we're talking about the 3 best stories of the year, and when there are
And I still think Firewatch plays.
when there are significant negatives there for a lot of us, it gets harder to justify. But
I've said
I
my
don't know.
piece on it. There's
I'll
not
let you
much else
guys-
I can do to defend it.
I'll let you guys hash out those two.
I think that's well said, Brad.
Vinny's the only one that played Zero Time, and Alex is the one pushing for Firewatch. So I feel like you guys just need to have a knife fight or something.
If you really feel that passionately about Firewatch, I'm not gonna shit on your Firewatch parade. I mean, I don't feel as passionately maybe about Zero Time Dilemma as you do about Firewatch. I think it's a better story, but like, I don't have to have a knife fight for it. If you're willing to pull the knife out, then you win it. Like,
It gives me no pleasure to pull the knife out, believe me, especially after knifing one of your kidneys for Mass Effect 2.
I'll be the bigger person and let you have your thing that you love on this list so that you don't have to feel the pain that I felt.
I think this is the best story of the year.
To be fair, I backed you on Reinhardt.
Because he's the best character in Overwatch.
I was willing to say that so that you got what you wanted.
What? That's lame. I don't want that. That's horrible.
No, I like Reinhardt.
Reinhardt don't need that.
Yeah, like you feel, I think, more passionately about Firewatch than I do about Zero Time Dilemma.
I just think it needs to be in the top 3. Like, I'm not pushing for it to win this category, but I do feel like it is representative of a thing that I want to reward in these awards.
And that is
I'm not going to
The
stop you.
style of storytelling, the character building they do in that game, I think that, and again, I think the majority of that story absolutely does work.
I'm not going to stop you, but I'm not a huge fan of like saying like, well, it doesn't do what it needs to do very well.
Yeah,
Well,
but I'm not
that's
saying
overly
that.
harsh.
And I'm not
well,
saying
no,
that.
you kind of are. I don't know.
No, I think it does the majority of what it needs to do to be affecting. I think, like I said, there are threads I think that
Yeah,
don't
that's-
completely
that's-
cohere,
yeah, that's
but
fair.
I think it does what it needs to do at the end.
When you phrase it like I want to reward it for what it could have been, not what it is, that
No, I wasn't
That's
saying
kinda-
that.
that's kinda
I
faint praise.
want to reward it for the kind of thing it is doing.
yeah, okay, that's fair. I'll accept that.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say that it just because it's not all the way there, it should be rewarded for a concept. Like I'm saying, I think the execution is almost entirely there. And what it does execute on well is worthy of being in this top 3.
Benny,
I would say exactly the same thing about Zero Time Dilemma, but
Yeah.
like I am
and
not.
it sounds like it's more ambitious.
Yeah,
It certainly is more ambitious. I'll grant that.
But like, it's I have no personal love for Zero Time Dilemma in a way that like it maybe sounds like you have for Firewatch. Like it's a video game that I thought was really silly and fun, and the story is kind of great.
Sure.
It didn't make me rethink my life.
Okay. All right. So do you want to concede to Firewatch then?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Vinny.
All right.
Firewatch is a great story.
Yeah.
Cut and Zero Time Dilemma.
All right. And is the general feeling that Uncharted takes this?
I guess I
think so.
could go Uncharted or Doom, honestly.
I think Uncharted
I just
4 is
kinda-
much more about its story.
I would say whatever the kind of feeling of the room is on this.
Like, I'm with you guys on Doom having a fucking uproarious amount of plot in it, and what it does very well. But I think Uncharted is a game that's much more about its story than Doom is.
Yeah, even I would say that based on what you guys are saying about how Uncharted 4 goes about its business, it sounds like it is definitely great at what it's doing.
It definitely has
And
more
it has
story.
more
Yeah,
story.
Doom. That's for sure.
You know.
Doom is an amazing game without its story that becomes amazinger with it.
Yeah.
Uncharted, I would not have finished if the story weren't that good. Like I would have absolutely stopped playing that game if
I'm with
if it had like an Uncharted 3 caliber story. I absolutely would not have finished that game.
Like my favorite part of the Uncharted story is that the MacGuffin quest is so back burner. Like the whatever I don't even remember what the fuck you're chasing around for, but it's more of a tale of like Drake and his wife
Yeah.
and like
In
his brother.
this one, you mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point actually. There isn't really a MacGuffin. Like they're looking for a place in this one, but not a.
There's something.
There's
whatever,
a pirate
right?
treasure.
There's a thing you're looking
Well,
for.
they
for
wanted money. It's just fucking
Yeah.
money in this
Right.
one. They just want to fucking get paid. Like in the past, it was always like, oh, we got to find the chalice or
Right.
the fucking sacred amulet that's going to open the Shanana.
Right.
But
I love Shanana.
It's
in
about
this one,
growing
in this
up.
one- Yes, in this one, it's more about the characters. Like the money is, or the treasure, pirate treasure, and the pirate colony is just there to give them a thing to look for. But and on top of that, I really want to salute them for not going fucking stupid supernatural at the end of this one.
Yeah.
Like they have done in every other game. Like every Uncharted, like clockwork, the last 10% of it is fucking blue guys. It's
I kind of expected ghost pirates by the end.
it's
and they didn't do
sand
it.
demons. It's what like monsters out of a submarine or whatever.
Blue
It's
guys.
Did they make good on the brother character?
yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah, the kind of.
I think the only way they blow it is that he lives through all that. I almost
but
feel
in
like
a kind of a fun way.
Yeah.
Like in an Uncharted way where everybody lives through
So-
everything.
like here is everybody's finished it here. I think, and you don't care.
No, I don't.
I haven't finished it.
I don't care.
Oh shit!
Either.
Go for
I
it.
hate to say this.
No, that's fine.
He goes into like business with Sully.
Well, that happens. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
he lives and they
that's
go
part
on
of
A
romps
legit
and-
business.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
Import,
I
export.
really hate to spoil it for Drew, but I think it's what makes
Or
that
Jason, but
character
who cares?
work.
Have you not finished it either?
I have not. No.
I mean,
But I'm actually
If you
kind
guys,
of
if you
intrigued
guys
based on
actually
what you
want to
guys
step out of the
have
room
said.
for it to take like 90
Well, whatever.
seconds.
I think
No,
he's gonna
just-
okay.
win anyway.
Okay.
So
Oh wait, so you don't.
whatever. Go for it.
Okay. Like they take like 3 chapters introducing the brother because they should, because he's never been mentioned in the last 3 games. So you should really take your time and be careful, like rolling a new major character in. You play through a bunch of shit that sets up like why he's no longer in the picture for Drake. Like literally playing, like seeing characters doing stuff. Like the whole game, you think this is the backstory of this guy. This is what happened to him. This is why he's on the run. This is why he came back and found Drake again. Like in the last like 3 hours of the game, you find out he was lying about all that shit. Like
I can't
major
remember
characters.
exactly why he was lying.
I like because he
'Cause I-
wanted money. I think
no,
He-
it was
or-
something more than that.
Because I think he wanted he wanted Nathan to think that he had to do this so this like Colombian mob boss didn't kill him.
Right.
But it was really just because he wanted to get rich.
like he deceived. He came back out of the hiding and deceived his own brother and the player. Like you think major characters from early on in the game that were introduced are a big factor, and then you find out they don't even exist, or
Or they've been dead for
they've
years.
They've been dead for 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
like
Like,
he
there's
is
no one out there with a bounty on his brother's head.
like he is revealed to be a giant asshole in a really effective way that makes you feel as deceived as Drake
Yeah.
feels at that same moment.
Especially
He seemed
considering
kind
that.
of skeezy to me anyway.
He was skeezy to talk about that, and especially when you consider the fact that, like, you know, not only did he deceive Nathan, but then as a side part of that, like Nathan had to make a very hard choice about whether he was going to deceive Elena, and like that has
Right.
major ramifications
Yeah.
on that relationship and all that. So like,
So,
there's-
yeah.
it's kind of a bad domino
it's
effect.
like Drake feels what it's like to be on the other side of that.
Yes.
After he has misled his wife for half the game, he then realizes somebody
So-
he cares about has betrayed him.
so.
yes.
The brother becomes Dark Drake. Like becomes
Kinda.
like basically
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, you're everything that if I went down this road would become like, fuck it, just get the money. Why would we ever walk away from this?
Yeah, he's the Danny DeVito to the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Okay.
Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
The search for more money.
Yeah, I just feel like as they were introducing like that character and Rafe early on in the game, before I stopped playing it, like part of the reason I stopped playing it was just like I don't want to see anything more from these 2 characters.
I could see how you would have that reaction, but they actually totally make good
Yeah.
on it. Like they
Yeah.
do way better with it than you would expect.
Cool.
All right.
It's a great fucking game.
Yeah. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End has the best story of a video game this year, with Doom
Yeah, I know.
and Firewatch close behind. Those are weird words to say.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 categories down, 2
to
remain. Let's take a real fast break, and then we'll come back and do those. Okay, we're down to the last 2 categories for Game of the Year
Things
2016.
are getting good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've almost made it to best game, but before that,
They're going to get worse.
we got to figure out the worst
oh,
game.
yeah, that's right.
Here's what's on the list for worst game of 2016. Wow. Super Mario Maker for 3DS, Ghostbusters, how do you say this? Alekine's Gun?
Alekine's gun.
Alekine's Gun. TMNT Mutants in Manhattan, Recore, Star Fox Zero, Homefront: The Revolution, Dangerous Golf, Metroid Prime Federation Force, Mighty Number 9, Soviet Monsters Ekranoplans, Shadow of the Beast, Resident Evil Umbrella Corps, Until Dawn Rush of Blood, Drive Club VR, Ace Banana VR, Lost Reavers, The Climb.
All right, which ones of these are just sick burns?
But not actually top 3 worst
the
games.
worst.
I don't think
Are-
Recore.
No.
Recore,
As
I mean,
disappointing as Recore is, there's
Recore's more
enough
disappointing.
I think
there's enough good about it that I don't like it on this
I
list.
might also say the same thing about Super Mario Maker.
Yeah.
While I feel burned by that thing the way it came out, like the single player levels are not the worst thing in the world.
There's 100 new Mario levels made by Nintendo
Yeah.
in there that are pretty good.
It's a bad
you know.
value that doesn't have the features that it should have.
Yeah, they
Right,
made
it's
stupid
not-
decisions with it, but it's not the worst
No,
game of the year.
I'd
No.
cut it out.
How about Ace Banana?
I mean, it's not
really
it's not-
bad.
it's not amazing, although I think addressing up that baby banana stuff
you can throw it though.
makes it way better than at least
Yeah.
3 games on this list. You didn't play it, right?
No, I just
saw
watched
that
you
stream.
play it, yeah.
Like at least half of that game being bad on that stream was the tracking going fucking crazy,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that was just the fault of the PlayStation VR.
Okay,
Right.
we'll take it off.
The game itself is just not
Not great.
mind blowing, but not awful.
The Climb I would probably have put on here if they hadn't updated it with touch support, or at least I would feel better about it sticking on this list. But like actually being able to climb in the Climb makes it at least work. I still don't think it's a great game,
All right.
but it's not.
3 bad.
It's not
3
3
worst.
worst.
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood is, yes, it's a shooting gallery on rails, but it is, with the exception of the last level, which is truly terrible.
It seems more lame
It's
than
better.
bad.
It's better than it should be for what it is.
Okay.
Also, just putting the Until Dawn name on it, though, is so dumb to me.
Yeah, I feel like the most
it's
egregious-
not at all. It has no connection gameplay wise.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's still the most egregious part of it.
I just hate that they did that.
It's kind of lame. Yeah,
Yeah, but not the worst game.
But it's okay.
Metroid Prime, I don't think anyone ever expected that to be anything good.
but this isn't
It's not disappointing.
I know
It's
it's
another
disappointing.
case of putting
This
the
is-
name on a thing.
This is how bad is the game.
Like I think that game controls really poorly, especially on an old 3DS where you don't have the right stick. It just is a bad controlling game. I think that multiplayer mode they put in there is pretty terrible. Like it might not be top 3, but I can't really say what the top 3 will be yet. So I'm not sure that I want to give up on that.
I feel like that one is less of a sick burn than just some of these other ones that we just peeled off.
Yeah, like Home for the Revolution is bad, but I don't think it's the worst.
There are actually like 1 or 2 things in that
Yeah.
game I can point to and go like, there was a cool idea here. It's just that the
Yeah.
core game is just so dull.
Okay.
I think RE Umbrella Corps is just lame, and it's a bad idea.
That game is shit.
It's
dude.
bad.
Everything about the way it
Bad.
controls,
Yeah.
that game is
Like, I-
fucking
top 3, I mean,
terrible.
I almost
I
maybe.
feel like that game
Okay.
might be top 3. It's fucking
It
bad.
sucks.
What about-
Dangerous Golf, I think, just misses the mark.
Yep,
I
it's
don't think-
confusing,
I don't think
and
it is-
it's
Well,
not
it
what
also
it could have
kinda
been.
launched
It launched broken.
Yeah,
that stuff was real rotten.
They fixed it relatively quickly for whatever that's worth.
That's worth something.
yeah.
In this category, that's worth
yeah,
something.
yeah. Like where it's at now is not where it was then. So.
Okay.
Take it off.
TMNC's in my personal list. The game's not inherently broken, but man, underutilized potential. All the fucking quips are lame. All
Yeah.
the turtles play the same.
It just seems ill-conceived all around.
Also,
Also-
lacks personality.
Also, coming from Platinum, like that Transformers game last year was not terrible.
yeah, it seemed
So,
like you know,
kind of
from,
hoped
like
like
from Korra which was pretty bad to
Yeah.
Transformers. Hey, it's getting better.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
like, maybe,
and then
maybe this Ninja Turtles will be cool.
I feel like we have firmly established that there are A and Z teams
Yeah.
at Platinum, and the Z team does not have it.
Yeah, but is it?
I wouldn't peel that one off
it's
yet.
playable, but man, I mean, liking the turtles, like as a fan,
It's like a
fuck
bad.
that
It's like
game.
a terrible use of the license.
Yeah.
It's like super generic in ways you wouldn't expect. It's
Yeah.
fucking. Real
I'm not ready to peel
bad,
that one off
man.
yet.
Star Fox Zero is another disappointing Star Fox game, but whatever. That they all.
I mean, the
are, except for
controls.
2 of them.
There are some ill-conceived things in that game.
The gamepad stuff is terrible. They tried to do a Nintendo 64 Star Fox update, which is kind of what I've wanted since
Yeah,
the
me
Nintendo
too.
64 one. And it could have been all right if they didn't have the gamepad stuff in there, but no.
They've been
Yeah,
making
it's-
disappointing Star Fox games since the N64.
That's fair.
So
Yeah, take that off.
I do feel like the abundance of
All right.
Nintendo on this early list is maybe indicative of just how much they fucking threw in the towel this year as they were getting ready for the
they-
Switch.
or like
Did.
got their stuff out for the platforms that they're not going to be caring about that
Yeah.
much longer. It's like well, here's this.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo stuff, I had a hard time remembering what was so bad about Lost Reavers, and I checked on some videos.
What
and
is that?
So it's a free to play game, and it's like a not an arena brawler, like a grid based, like fucking you go from room to room and you fight like one or two different enemies. There's only 2 different environments in it. It looks awful.
It's a Wii U game?
It's a Wii U game.
Weird.
Looks awful, like low types of environments. You would go to like one area, pick something up, and you have to bring it back to the start. Controls are shit. Some characters you can only use guns, but then you've got to like pay real money to like fucking buy more bullets and shit.
That sounds bad. This looks bad too.
Like I wiped it clean from my memory. It was that bad, and I had to remind myself. And yeah, once I got brought back into that, my stomach turned a little bit.
So the one thing that may disqualify it is that according to this, it was released December 2015.
Yeah, it came out super late last year.
Really?
It was like just
I thought
under
it was
the wire.
like
I think I do remember that coming
in
out.
Japan. Maybe
No,
it was
here.
released
No, it was
Yeah.
here.
Really? Okay.
All right. Well,
You done lucked out.
that was
I
actually
guess.
looking pretty good.
Oh, wait a minute. No.
You sure?
Yeah, no, it was so December 2nd was the Japan release.
Okay.
It was April 28th here in the US.
Oh.
I thought they were doing
You're right.
maybe
Back
they were
in the
doing a
game.
beta here.
They might have done
They
a
did
beta,
a beta.
here. So okay, that
Saving
brings
grace.
it back.
Okay. All right.
All right. That looking at those screenshots, that looks like a contender here.
This looks like shit.
It looks really bad.
Is. Oh man, I was. Oh.
All right,
Harada
let's-
worked on that.
let's
too.
leave it
Like,
on for now.
He produced it.
I'm torn on Mighty Number 9. It's not a good game.
It's not a good game, and it's buggy as shit.
Is it?
Yeah, there's some weird, funky stuff with controls in that
didn't-
game that
I
does
don't-
not.
I don't remember having any control issues.
I
just, the level designs are incredibly boring.
Yeah,
Um,
that game did like there were
lot of
parts
the-
of that game that I played that just seemed like they weren't finished.
a lot of the alternate weapons are not fun to use.
That
Like,
game sucks.
a couple. Most of the bosses are fine, but like 2 or 3 of them I found like just incredibly infuriating to fight.
I think any game that comes with the immediate caveat from its creator, like literally
Yeah.
within the first couple weeks of saying we did the best we could,
Yeah.
that's a real man.
I got like a level away from beating that game and just didn't bother because I was so fed up with it.
I didn't even make it that far.
That probably sticks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that, Lost Reavers, and Ghostbusters. Is that what we're actually looking
Well,
at here?
I didn't play Ghostbusters.
So
Tell
let me.
about
The
how bad
problem,
that is.
the thing about Ghostbusters isn't broken. It's just the most boring thing I've played in a very long time. Like it's repetitive as shit. It has one gameplay thing, which is catching the ghost or whatever, and it doesn't even feel that good. Like it's not a satisfying game at all. It has kind of a dumb attitude to it. Not the worst, but not good. Like I don't think Ghostbusters is top 3, but that thing, it looks like it was made in about 6 months, and based on what happened to apparently the studio pretty much shut down as soon as it came out. Sounds like that's actually what happened.
Seems like one of the dullest games.
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily one of the like most angrily worst.
Let me
Alright.
tell you about a little game called Soviet Monsters Achronoplans.
Please do.
So Achronoplans are real things. They are craft. They are what are called ground effect vehicles. So they're like a flying boat that can't take off like a plane, but it like uses a cushion of air, kind of like a
real thing,
hovercraft.
yeah.
It's a real thing. They built them during the Cold War to fly supplies around the Caspian Sea. There's a button in this game. It is a simulator game where you are flying these Achronoplans. There's a button to enable the ground effect. The whole point of this craft and game, half the time that button does not work.
Okay.
But it's a simulator. Maybe you're not up to speed.
Maybe they were really unreliable. Seems like they would be.
Also, when you pull back on the stick all the way, it just tilts the model of the plane up about 15 degrees and does not go any higher. It doesn't stall. It just is doing a wheelie along the water. Also,
pretty great.
you can, and this may be a feature, when you change views, you can go into the cockpit or from behind or to the gun position and get in a turret and like shoot enemies. Despite the fact that there aren't guns on most of the boats, when you switch to the gun position, there is a gun and you can shoot.
Okay.
They just add a gun.
Yeah.
It just pops in.
That sounds like a feature.
It also looks like garbage.
Yeah.
Yup.
What I've seen of this does not look good.
And it like there are missions where you have to go get close to a dock and like pick somebody up or something.
You have to evacuate a whole town. I think you had to evacuate like Chernobyl or something.
Yeah,
Didn't you?
and it's super finicky about where you park and like what mode you're in, and doesn't tell you any of that. It is terrible.
All right.
Sounds like
so
a pretty strong contender.
Maybe we
Yeah.
cut Ghostbusters.
I think we do
Metroid
cut-
Prime probably doesn't hang
Yeah.
in this list anymore. Shadow of the Beast is lame, but not, it's not one of the 3 worst.
Looks like there's a late entry on here. What can you tell me about?
Oh,
this late
come
entry?
on. That thing's awesome.
Inner Kung Fu game is...
I did not put it on.
Who put that on there?
Vinny and I technically tag teamed on that one while y'all were talking about something else.
How did this is available on the store?
Yeah, this is for sale on a PlayStation 4.
What?
That
It's
thing is magical.
what
That thing
is
is
this?
magical. Oh yeah, you were out that week,
What the hell is this?
dude. That thing is amazing.
I don't know that it is a game.
there's a right and wrong.
I guess so, but there's no consequence.
There's a
to-
score. It has
yeah,
trophies.
the
Like there are
score-
things to do. I feel like almost disqualifying it because it is just such a non-thing. I don't know how it.
It has a charm that a lot of these other games do not have.
That's true. It is.
How do you
yes.
sum this up? How do you sum up this game for people that have not seen?
What the fuck am I looking at?
That's how I sum that game up. Yeah. I don't know. It's a guy, and then some spheres grow, and you're supposed to stand a certain way. You're supposed to hit a control
supposed to-
direction on the D-pad. Is the
Teach you to like harness your chi in order to do better. What? It has nothing to do with like kung fu, other than like conceptually, like internally.
it has a handful of different modes. It's
So you're supposed to like breathe in and like hold a ball and like move your hands in different directions. And
you imagine there's a ball.
Yeah, you imagine.
Look at this website.
Imagine.
Look at this official website for the
Wow.
video game.
Oh man, what is that URL?
This is like a Time Cube website, man.
No, yeah, okay, yes, it's the video game equivalent of the Time Cube.
So it can't be on this list.
Yeah,
In
it's
fact,
too-
if anything, it
it's
should be on
too
Game of the
good.
Year.
It's too good.
It's too good.
It really is.
Inner Kung Fu Game presents.
Kevin Waknov made this game.
yeah,
Good name.
Single,
I will
single
say
developer.
Yeah, single developer. That's pretty impressive.
The PS4 version of Inner Kung Fu game has more audio file descriptions, so it's easier to use.
His email address is a prodigy.net email address.
Sweet.
Okay.
That's pretty.
If this guy is doing a bit, he is committed to it in a way that I greatly admire.
Kevin Waknov.
Waknov.
Isn't that what you put when you don't want to be associated with the film you just made?
No, you're thinking of Alan
Alan
Smithy,
Smithy, yeah.
which those two things sound nothing alike, and I don't know how you got there.
If you
It's a joke because
Okay.
it's a pun.
if you rearrange those letters, it spells frog fractions too.
Oh whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, so hey, heads up. Do you guys beat this game yet?
I don't
Go to
think there's
some
an
place.
ending.
Okay.
We should bring back the most likely to be Frog Fractions 2 category
Winner!
just for Inner Kung Fu.
Yeah.
game.
Yeah,
Kung Fu
Jesus
game.
Christ, I
All
never
right.
even heard of this thing.
Yeah, the thing's Drive Club VR. It sucks because it's based on Drive Club and has bad VR in it, but it's not one of the 3 worst games of the year.
You sank
Okay.
into that seat pretty good.
Yeah,
So I think the only one we haven't talked about here is Alkeen's Gun, which maybe doesn't make it, but I'll just say my piece. It is a Hitman wannabe that
Is that what that is?
Yes. It is a stealth game, stealth action game, and it
Okay.
sucks shit. Like the stealth is terrible. The mechanics are stiff as hell. The level designs are awful. There's almost an interesting story in there somewhere, but it's buried under so much garbage that I don't care. It's not necessarily broken. There's some pieces of it that definitely feel broken. But like you can play the game as intended. It's just the way the game is intended is incredibly difficult in the most infuriating way. And it was $50 when they released it.
When you put on a guy's hat, you wear 2 hats.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
I'm looking at the screenshot.
It's accurate. I mean, that's
2
how it works.
hats.
2 hats.
I'm looking for a double hat screenshot. I'm not seeing one, but
It should look harder. There. That's a man with wearing 2 hats.
Can you have 3 hats?
don't be crazy. Keep stacking them up.
There's a very cool Cold War premise in this game that they absolutely do not deliver on at all. And granted, I did not finish it, but that's mostly because I was so angry at it by the time we did the quick look that I never wanted to touch it again.
But yeah, there's stuff there.
There's ideas, they're just badly executed.
Do you think it stays?
I mean, I think it's top 5. I don't know if it's top 3.
Yeah, I feel like we're talking about Mighty Number 9, Chrono Plans, and maybe Lost Reavers. As much as I feel strongly about Umbrella Corps' awfulness.
That Lost Reavers game sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, that sounds real.
That sounds like a
Neko is
mess.
fucking terrible too.
Part about
So,
having
like,
to pay money for ammunition.
Of course,
sounds-
you're fighting zombies in there, and they're just teleporting around the screen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That sounds no good.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you don't necessarily think Alakine's gun stays.
No, I think it's top 5. I don't think it's top 3.
And his Ninja Turtles.
That just
I don't
sounds
think that's
disappointing.
bad.
Yeah, that's just- it's-
super
it's-
disappointing.
That game sucks.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
It's messy, but in a way that is not comparative to these.
Okay.
It's better than that Ninja Turtles Connect thing.
I did not play.
that's a better game.
That's a better game.
Yeah.
That's somehow a better game.
Game's all right.
I think a Chrono Plans probably takes this.
Yeah, that you made a pretty good pitch for that being not
They look
good.
so cool.
There's something about a Chrono Plans that is so. You do not make that game unless you are way deep into this weird niche thing.
And there's like systems in there. Like you hire crew members and you load up your chrono plan with certain weapons and stuff, but like all the weapons are like they're the same. The guys don't do anything. Sometimes the guys, I mean, this is kind of a cool touch. Sometimes the guys won't follow your orders if they don't have enough like discipline meter.
How do you get their discipline?
You go
up,
beat
though?
them,
I
go smack them around.
don't know.
make 'em play a
I don't know if
Chrono
any of
Plans?
that works. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't see you in like really angry at video games very often. I feel like you have a pretty, on top of having a decent taste level, you have a pretty high tolerance for bullshit when it comes to stuff. And like seeing you this infuriated at a game is pretty convincing.
The Chrono Plans are cool.
Yeah.
Like that's a cool, weird.
I'm just over here looking at pictures of a Chrono Plans, and I don't know that I actually agree that
What
they're
they
cool.
look like? They look like
thing in
planes
Metal
I
Gear
would-
They look
3
like
was in a
planes
Chrono
that can't
Plan.
fucking fly.
They look like planes I made in Banjo Kazooie.
They look like they look like a boss
Yeah,
in a
okay.
Raiden game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's okay.
So wait, hang on. Are we all arguing for the game winning?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
All right.
I mean, this seems like the most
bolding it.
tragic of these.
It is $15.
I am bolding it.
Yeah, which is maybe too much for a Chrono.
I mean, Mighty Number 9 is a bad game, and
It is, but
it deserves to be acknowledged here.
yeah.
Lost Reavers is the only thing I think compared because just not only does that
That would
description
be
sound
my
awful,
pick.
it just looks awful at first glance.
And I have a high tolerance for bullshit
Yes, you do.
in games,
Yeah.
and I found nothing redeeming about this. It was ewy.
There's a compelling case there.
No, not correct.
It's a good pull. All right. I think it's decided that Soviet Monsters Chrono Plans is the worst game of the year.
I can get behind that.
Mighty Number 9 and Lost Reavers also not good.
Middle fingers to those.
And now with worst game out of the way, let's move on to best game.
Dun 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 dun.
It's our final category.
All right.
For
AKA
2016, we will be assembling an ordered list of 10 games,
Game of the Year.
culminating in the best game. So we're going to go about this the reverse way that we have done it for the last 2 or 3 years, where we would roll into this thing with a big old list of games and then go around the table like slashing and burning one by one. And I feel like it just it was just this negative process of shitting all over games that are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then once we got down to a list of 10-ish, it really just turns into a process of like,
Who liked it more?
shit. Well, no, it was the opposite
Yeah.
of that. It was like shitting on the games other people like, so your game can rise up the list. Like
So we'll
the whole
still
thing,
have that back part.
Yeah, that's still gonna happen.
Go away.
I don't know if there's
Obviously-
any way around some of that stuff.
some of
but-
that is unavoidable. But like, I really think we should go about celebrating the 10 best games of the year in a more positive way.
And how do we do that?
So
Are we-
instead, we're going to yes.
I was gonna say, are we establishing a hard limit of number of games we are going to add for this? Like
Well,
in terms of like our initial like pitch list.
So here's what we discussed earlier. So
Okay.
we're starting with a blank list here. We are going to go around the room. There are 7 of us. Initially, we're going to go around the room 3 times, and each person will add a game
Okay.
once
Okay.
per pass. So we will end up with a list of 21 games. Not that we can't add games later, but like that will,
The core.
If something seems
Obviously-
egregiously missing,
obviously add the games you want the most.
Can a person pass if they are done adding a game?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
if we get to that point,
Sure. If there's nothing else you feel like
Okay.
should be represented on there, then sure.
Okay.
Feel free to abstain, but
I feel like we won't have a hard time adding games to this
but
list.
yeah, I feel like that'll leave us with a good working list that we can whittle down.
Okay.
from there.
Brad,
like
why
that.
don't you kick it off?
Oh no.
I'm excited about this.
So this gets weird because then, like,
Yeah.
do I waste my vote on stuff that I know other people are gonna?
I mean, you don't know for sure that somebody's going to put Doom on
There
there.
are a
You
few.
should probably use your pick.
I have typed Doom.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Get
Drew.
some caps in there.
All right. Not bold.
Drew has added the witness.
Okay.
I'll jump in here.
Dan.
You should say the thing
Yeah,
you're
definitely
adding.
say it.
I am typing
Yeah.
in
Or here, how about-
Stardew Valley.
I will type the things. You just say them.
I like that plan.
Oh, okay.
Jason?
Hyper Light Drifter.
Huh. Okay.
Cool. I will just wait for you to finish typing.
You don't need to.
Okay. Overwatch.
Super hot.
Hitman.
Oh man.
There it is.
Well. Inside.
Drew?
Overcooked.
Okay.
Bold choice.
Picross 3D 2.
Huh.
Thank you.
That's a dark horse candidate.
I mean, it's incredible.
I'm
All right,
not- I'm not.
We'll have that conversation.
Yeah.
But okay, that's your pick.
I'm just surprised.
Into it.
Okay.
Somebody's got to put on Titanfall 2, I guess.
Oh, sure.
That someone can be you.
Yeah.
Thumper.
Uncharted 4.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, there's plenty more games to talk about.
Super Hypercube.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Where you at, Brad?
I'm.
Can pass if you really want.
Yeah, I mean, we can come back
Well,
to
so
you.
Yeah,
we-
can I take a pause?
Yeah, you won't lose your
No,
pick.
I would say you
Okay.
pass.
I mean, it sounds like
most-
that we're going to be able to just add more games to this after this part's done anyway.
That's true.
So.
Well, it's more that I don't have much else that I feel
Yeah.
super strongly about.
This would be the final run through.
It is the final round.
I mean, we can. I think we come back to you at the end if you want to think about it for a minute.
Yeah, give me a little bit. There's
I'm fine with
nothing.
that.
Nothing else is like super jumping out at me right now.
Abzu.
I'll say Watch Dogs
2.
2. No.
Okay.
I want to talk about the first
No.
Watch Dogs. Adam Pierce.
It's about time. We
Put me down for Salt and
Aiden.
Sanctuary.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm torn between two here.
Okay. You can say them both. You can.
Do you want to add them?
No, I'm not adding both,
okay.
but I'm saying I'm.
Well, the two I'm
just
torn between
curious.
are Firewatch and Darkest Dungeon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Firewatch.
Okay.
Oh, I'll say Event Zero. I like that game a lot.
Sure.
Okay.
Nitro Plus.
Right the wrongs of the past.
yeah.
Yours.
Our overall game of the year, Nitro Plus Plus. No, Job Simulator. Yeah, like I'm over here trying to like suss out what is early access and what isn't. It kind of makes it harder.
sure.
Abduction, Brad?
I think am I the literally only person here that played it?
But that's okay because it's your pick.
I know. I didn't finish it, which I regret not having had time
So
to
you
do.
don't have to add something if you think there's no chance of it going on.
I think that game is really good though.
Monster Hunter Generations.
I don't know.
Cross.
Abduction is a strong one. The other one I would add, and I don't know how this is going to land, but Res Infinite. even though it's been weird in other categories.
Like we've disqualified it in other categories by virtue of it not being a new game.
Yeah.
Or new
And
music,
I
or-
think that's hard to then bring back here. Like Resident Infinite, I feel like is a game that belongs on our personal lists.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
we're-
yeah,
if
it'll
it-
definitely be there.
Yeah. It would be. I think it would be really weird for us to just have this about face on that game just because it's the final category.
I kind of agree with that.
How'd you feel about Dark Souls 3?
I was gonna suggest.
I
slash
think
inquire
I
about
said
that.
this to one of you a couple of podcasts ago. Like, did you notice we haven't said the words Dark Souls 3
Yeah.
this entire time?
How'd you feel about Deus Ex?
Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Deus
No.
Ex didn't really do it for me. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is okay.
I feel like I liked Deus Ex more than anyone else here, based on the way you guys have been shit talking Adam Jensen's smooth voice.
Sexy voice.
But I don't know that it's gonna. I don't think it would make top 10.
I like Dark Souls 3 quite a lot.
Yeah, I did too.
I also like Abduction, and this is my last pick.
I assume that AM2R is not eligible,
No.
right? Okay.
No,
We
thing-
generally don't do fan games.
that
and
thing
stuff
is
like
cool.
that
But like
across-
personal list, we could?
Oh, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
whatever
Personal
you want.
list.
It's your
Yeah.
list.
I picked Mass Effect 2 10 times. Go on.
it did come
One
out.
could do that.
It did come out on the Xbox One this year.
Yeah.
Is my understanding. Man, I can't pick between Dark Souls 3 and Abduction now.
I mean, at this point, I think you should just add them both because that's.
Okay, are we
should-
okay with that?
Yeah,
it
we
sounds
should
like
just keep
we
moving. Like,
we
this
have
is-
a pretty good like working list here.
Can we put Darkest Dungeon on there too?
Oh, I thought
No, because I put Firewatch.
I would back-
We should.
I
I
would
mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know,
Is
like,
Gears not on here? That's
I don't.
seems weird to me.
none of us picked it,
Yeah,
and
I don't-
I don't
I
think it's one of the 10 best.
I don't
games
feel
of the year.
strongly about
I
it
don't
at
think
all.
it's top 10. I'm
yeah,
surprised to
well,
not
then
see
if,
it.
if nobody thinks that, we
Yeah.
definitely shouldn't put it on here.
Okay.
From a
Yeah.
staff perspective, I
For
just
me,
don't think
Darkest was the only one that felt like it was absent from this list for me.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, this
That's a
feels
list.
like a pretty solid and complete list of games. I think are strong contenders here.
That we feel strongest about for sure.
I think we can cut Doom.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
just get that right out of the way.
Should we start locking stuff? Is that the way to go about this? To stay,
That'd be smart, I
to
think.
stay positive before we get into
I think we lock.
neck slashing?
I think we try and lock what we think are going to be at least our top five. Like not necessarily top 5 of the top 10, but like ones we feel like are the 5 biggest
I
locks.
say let's just lock ones that we think are going to be on the 10.
Would anybody feel good about cutting Doom from this
No.
list?
No,
No,
like,
God, no.
Doom is on this list.
Does
Doom's on the
anybody
list,
feel good about
Hitman's
cutting
on the list.
Hitman? Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
All right. Would anybody feel like, well,
Like Overwatch is on this list.
I agree.
Yes.
There's no.
There's
way
no getting around
that.
that.
Yeah.
Titanfall?
Yeah,
I
feel like
very
Titanfall-
much feel that Titanfall is
I
on
do
this
too,
list.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yep.
The Witness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do people feel? I know some
I
people
haven't
are
played
not
that one.
super strong on the Witness.
Yeah.
I have no
But based
feelings
on what
about
I've seen,
the Witness.
like I've
All
seen
right.
the ending, like I've seen most of the game played through by you guys, but I haven't yet to actually play it myself. So I haven't experienced like the puzzle solving.
Yeah.
would you guys
eureka
mind
moments.
if I shuffle these around into an unordered form so just we know how many we have locked?
Sure.
Sure.
I would also say the same about Super Hot in terms of.
I would say
like,
Super Hot
I
too.
feel
Okay.
strongly about that game being on this list.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh boy, 2 people editing a
boy.
document.
Okay, I'll
let me
Vinny
get in
do
there
it.
and start making edits too.
Uncharted 4.
I want to say yes,
Maybe.
it would, but
I don't think that's a lot.
I don't think it's a lock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not from the sound of it.
Inside.
I think
I think
Inside
that-
is
I
a
think-
lock.
I don't.
Based on past discussions, I feel like that is a pretty strong top 10 contender.
A lot of us were, yeah.
Contender, but I don't know if it's a lock.
To me,
Yeah,
it
I
is.
think it's at some point it's like, what's the purpose of?
I think we're getting
Yeah.
into
Okay,
the.
all right, yeah.
This is now we're in the
The
woods.
weeds.
I mean, I will fight Stardew to the death on this. I don't care if it's number 10. I think it belongs on the top 10 list.
Is that this year's Destiny or Invisible Ink?
I think the way like Austin was passionate about Invisible Ink, that's how I feel about Stardew.
One person on staff is ready to fight everyone to
The
get a
problem
game on the
is
list.
there's also one of those for me, and it's not
I mean,
Stardew.
A lot of us are going to have those. The ones that we feel super duper passionate about
I'm
that others
good.
didn't play or whatever.
Are you? Are you good?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I have one of those this year that I'm gonna like
I'm good.
fall on my sword to get on the list over all objections or something.
I mean, I love the hell
I-
out of Picross 3D as well, but I
Yeah.
will fight for Stardew above that.
Uh,
I think
mean,
Picross
I
3D is a
feel
better
like
game than Stardew Valley.
Hyper Light Drifter is definitely something I would die on a sword for.
Really?
At this point,
Man,
I feel
Thumper.
super
did you
strongly
finish
about
that?
No,
You didn't. Okay.
Thumper is that game for me.
Oh,
Was that faux surprise?
yes.
Okay.
They're gonna have some weird, not like some weird technical, like. Well, Thumper was
Well,
released
Thumper
in
technically.
November.
Under the name Rhythm Violence, you strapped a Wii remote to your forehead.
Okay,
Play.
hang on.
You are a space beetle.
All right, how do we want to do this?
We have 7 games on a list of
So in fairness, should Inside be in this lock category? It
I
doesn't
think
sound
so.
unanimous.
I totally think so.
I think it's the last one that's even close to unanimous.
That
Yeah.
feels like a lock.
Okay. Is anybody here willing to sacrifice anything else for Inside?
What do you mean sacrifice?
Like, would you put Stardew above Inside?
Oh yeah,
All right.
yeah, a million times over.
I
yeah.
would not.
I would put almost all the games on this list above Inside.
That's insane.
So I don't know. That sounds like maybe it's not
Okay.
a full lock.
I would put several games on this above.
I
Inside.
think-
Well, yeah, but like the same is true of The Witness,
I think now is maybe the time.
and Overwatch. Like I know me and Jeff are not remotely interested in Overwatch, so like that's true of all. But like I would say probably Doom and maybe Titanfall are the only 2 like unanimous. And
Like
Hitman,
Hitman.
absolutely. You're right. You're
Like
right.
I think the 7 we have here at
think-
least have majority support.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is that I don't think Inside is any less uneven than stuff like
Inside and The Witness seem like they're the same level of uneven.
right.
Sure.
And maybe Overwatch. I guess everybody but me and you are way into Overwatch.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not way into it, but I can
okay.
I can totally
Yeah, like I
appreciate
recognize
it
that Overwatch is
that's where I'm at with The Witness. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably something I'll play in 2017.
Did you ever play it at all?
I did. I played. Like I said, I got like
Oh,
2 or
right,
3 towers
okay,
or whatever.
Okay.
So can we pick through what else is on this list and just start talking about the stuff that we don't necessarily think either belongs or it has the support necessary to make it?
Yeah, we just have to be realistic. Some of this stuff
Yeah.
is good, and it's just
Yeah.
we have several things like the Thumpers and the Stardews that people will passionately fight for.
Right.
The way that Jeff, I don't think you'll fight for Job Simulator the same way.
I was just about
Right?
to say, like,
Right.
I like that game, but it didn't even make it in the VR category.
Yeah,
So-
that's okay. But the VR category is different because it allows
Well,
early
that's-
access.
that's true.
So
That's
like
true.
And also
the-
things like Google Earth VR.
Yeah, like
Yep.
the cuts on the VR categories make it a very different thing. I mean, yeah, if none of you feel strongly about Job Simulator at all, I really like it and really do think it's funny.
I totally agree.
That would be a
Yeah.
game I would skirt on at number 10 or something like that. But okay.
It's not as good as it could be to me.
Sure. Okay.
I feel very similarly about Event Zero.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I think that's a great use of text input and a fun little story.
a
to
really
play
cool
through.
game.
It is
Yes.
a very, very cool, tightly contained game that we should keep on this list. Great.
Wait, which one?
It's
Debut
fun.
on this day.
Very
Event Zero-
smooth. Very,
Event Zero.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything you just did.
I will offer up Salt and Sanctuary. I think it's a really, really good
man.
2D Dark Souls
Oh, man.
style game.
You mean offer it up for deletion?
Deletion.
Oh man, I really like Salt
Oh,
Sanctuary.
fucking yeah. I mean, I'm ready to die on a sword for Hyperlight Drifter.
Really?
But I actually put Salt and Sanctuary higher on my top 10
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Just personal enjoyment, but I think Hyperlight's a better overall game.
I'm not
You know
gonna-
what? I don't know if I'm ready to let Salt and Sanctuary go.
Okay.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I feel like it's a game
I
we
mean,
haven't.
if I feel like I have support, I can get behind that.
I mean,
Dark
but-
Souls.
here's my, and this is actually the same argument for Dark Souls, which is to say that I have not heard any real conversation around those games anywhere else in these categories. I realize that there's certain places where obviously they don't fit, but
Those are both very mechanics heavy games, and we
Right.
don't have a lot of categories that recognize that kind of
Sure.
thing. Like we have visuals and story and multiplayer and a bunch of things
Yeah.
that neither of those games fit into.
and I think what I'm saying is I need to be sold on those games because we haven't really had conversations around
Yeah,
them
we
yet.
can get to that. It's just
Okay.
that they haven't had their time yet necessarily.
I will offer up Darkest Dungeon out of this. That game, again, tonally, I love it. I think the grind can be really fun, but the difficulty spike in that game is very unforgiving. I think it's not an inviting game for people to play at all. But you know, if it hooks you, it's going to hook you real bad.
Yeah.
And
It did for me.
I think
for
a lot
long
of that
time.
game rules, but I don't think it's top 10 of the year.
Yeah, I like it a good bit too. But yeah, reading about what it turns into is pretty off-putting.
Mhm.
I don't think I have it in me to go through that.
I guess I can sacrifice Abzu.
It's a beautiful object.
It's really pretty
It really
and is a just a great sensory input. But it's kind of basic.
I do think the swimming and it's the swimming. Like the controls feel like unnaturally good in a
Yes.
way. Like
It is journey-like in that
Yeah.
regard. And
Yeah.
that, like the feel of it is
Yeah.
almost like
the
50% of the
swimming
game.
around and also especially like jumping out of the water and back falling back in. It feels natural in the way that like skating around on the sand felt in Journey.
Yeah,
It feels like weirdly, especially when you're like swimming through those big schools of fish and stuff like that. It's got a great feel to it.
I feel very similar to Abzu as I do Bound, and I think I liked Bound a little bit more, even though it's not on this list. I just saying like they're games that are very much about their feel and their visuals, and they're cool as shit. But they aren't necessarily like what I consider to be like the most lasting experiences I had this year.
Yeah, I guess I could get behind that too. I liked Abzu quite a bit.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know that
it is really
I
neat.
don't know that it's gonna.
There's other stuff on here that I would like to see more on the list.
Sure.
Okay.
I love Overcooked. It's one of my favorite experiences
And
of
that's
the year.
one of them, so don't you dare.
I mean, it's on my top 10 list for sure. It's some of the most fun, like probably my favorite multiplayer of the year. There are other games I would fight for harder than Overcooked.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily ready to let go of that one yet.
Okay. Watch Dogs. Is anyone going to go to bat for Watch Dogs for top 10?
I could see
It's
Watch
cool.
Dogs being number 10 on this list, maybe, but I don't.
Between the ones that it seems like we have space for like one or two maybes here because like he's going to go crazy for Thumper. I'm going to go crazy for Stardew.
Let's not start plotting just yet, like
Yeah.
how those strategies are going to go. But
let's like actually talk about the merits of these games,
Okay.
and not just like wheel and deal
like
here.
the thing I'll say for Watch Dogs 2 is that they course corrected in just about the best way they could have for that franchise. It is a very fun open world game, but I don't know that it is necessarily an exceptional open world game. Like it is a game I had a lot of fun playing, but I don't even know if it's going to make my personal top 10.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it'll make my top 10 either. Like I just beat it and I love it. I'm probably going to go for the platinum on that. But it's a really good open world game. I wouldn't say it's a great one.
Yeah, I think that's where for me it would be maybe a little tough to stomach. Is what all of you guys. I've played a little bit of it, but what you guys have all said about it, kind of overstaying its welcome gameplay wise.
There's that aspect of it. Like once you kind of figure out how you want to solve everything, you just go solve everything that one way, and the missions don't change it up enough. And
It's very enjoyable, but I don't think it's top 10.
okay.
All right,
I'm okay with that.
Someone wrote Forza Horizon
I wrote
3
Forza
on here.
Horizon 3 on there.
Okay. I really like that game a lot.
I think you maybe even like it more than I did, and I
Yes.
did enjoy that game.
So the key thing for me is that I really only play those games solo. I think they are much better as single player experiences than they are as multiplayer, and that's weird to say about a racing game, but that is the way I enjoy those games. And I do think the single player experience in that game is a ton of fun, and the world they built out for it is awesome. But the multiplayer aspects of that game are not interesting to me in the slightest.
I think that they're not well implemented, and the whole time I played that game, they didn't work particularly well either.
Yeah.
So okay.
Like that's the thing for me that maybe keeps it off this list is that a big chunk of what they think is supposed to be the appeal of that game is not appealing at all.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. And also,
it's also definitely like the best driving game of the year, like in a walk.
yeah.
But
I mean, Trackmania Turbo came out. Don't forget.
I'm just saying.
I would also say, just in the spirit of put on, put off, is the Civ 6, Civ 5? What are we up to?
Civ 6, whatever it is.
Does that get it like any place on this list, Alex?
I say no, and the reason I say no is because while it is very good and makes some strong improvements over what Vanilla Civ 5 was, it's not as good as that game became once it had its expansions. And there's some AI fuckery in that game that I found very off-putting that they still haven't completely fixed yet. Okay. So I'm not top 10 fighting for that one.
All right. So the stuff we got. Brad, you want to read what's in contention here for those that are listening?
Yeah, currently we've got Stardew Valley, Hyper Light Drifter, Overcooked, Picross 3D2, Thumper, Uncharted 4, Super Hypercube, Salt and Sanctuary, Firewatch, Abduction, and Dark Souls 3 on a maybe list. That we need to whittle down to like 3.
I would have a tough time cutting Uncharted 4 from this top 10.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
It's really good.
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah.
Do it.
I think I'm with you on that as much as, man, I don't know. Like, I'm very glad it won Best Story.
I knocked that thing down to easy immediately because I don't
like
want
the gameplay.
I stubbornly kept playing it on normal.
I like the puzzles.
I don't think
it
that
looks
game's-
incredible. Everything
looks
about it. Like, the
amazing.
environment design, like top to bottom, amazing. I got so fucking tired of finding handholds on the sides of cliffs and climbing around ruins and rock faces.
I guess
And then also the shooting by the end of the game. Was it you?
What?
I talked to somebody around the time it came out about that last firefight. And
Oh,
just
when
like,
you're swinging around on the ropes and
you're
stuff.
on that
the pirate ship.
on the pirate
stuff.
ships. Like,
That's pretty frustrating.
right before you go back into the cave for that final encounter. Like
At that point, you're pretty much ready. It's like, okay,
I
I
was
get
just be
it.
done.
I
Yeah.
was so over even the combat at that
I
point.
feel like that's like the criticisms you're laying out for this game are things you could probably say about 3 and 2 as well.
I mean, I was nowhere near as sick of those things.
Yeah, I
then
mean,
as I
there's
am
definitely
now.
like a fatigue associated with it, but like that kind of
Also, but like
looking for handholds, kind of just like
I-
here's this climbing bit that's not really.
no, I mean, there's too much of it. Like,
Yeah.
there's way more of it.
Again,
than there should
you're,
be.
you're saying what I feel about this entire franchise.
But this is coming from somebody who
Yeah.
really enjoyed the previous 3.
Yeah.
Like it's they laid it on too thick, and I don't think the third person shooting is just not as good as other third person shooters.
Yeah.
It's totally serviceable.
I think
It's-
you're
it's
making
okay.
You're making a case for this to not be in our top 10.
I want to
That's what
watch
I'm
someone
saying.
play it.
That's
I
fine.
don't.
No,
I don't
no,
have
no,
to-
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't. I don't think it would be like unjust if it did make it into the top 10, especially if you guys feel strongly about it. But it's
Does have the best story of the year.
I'm very torn on it
and certainly among the best graphics.
For me,
between the things it does really well and the
I-
things that are kind of like worn out.
I think it stands so tall that a couple of knocks against it still puts it above some of these other games. Like,
Certainly.
there are set pieces and story elements and narrative hooks.
Yeah.
And the shooting I found not as bad as you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you also played it on like the easiest difficulty. Like,
I
don't
think
forget.
I had it on normal, but with aim assist on.
Or maybe that's what it was,
Yeah.
because you said you were just like
Yep.
swinging and shooting, like
Super
nailing,
fun.
nailing
Just
headshots. So see, I feel like at the time I was stubbornly just like, no, I play video games. I'm gonna do this. But then hearing about your experience, I wish I had done what you
Yep.
guys did.
I tried that aim assist stuff. Like when I was nearing the end of my rope with that game, I was like, well, maybe I'll just turn this on, and that stuff felt really unnatural in a way that I didn't enjoy either.
See, I'm more with Vinny. Like, to me, it just made me feel like, fuck, I am the thing that they have painted this character as forever, which is the dude who is preternaturally badass at just fucking smoking
Just like
dudes.
Should not have to aim at all.
the swash,
kind of dumb.
like the swashbuckling dude with endless luck.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wish I had played that game as. Not like, oh, I just died on this firefight for the 3rd time. That's getting boring.
How about we move it up there and see how it compares with everything else?
I think it should
Hang
stay on
I'm
for
gonna
now.
I'm gonna put it in. Hang on, I'm gonna put it in Game of the Year limbo.
Okay.
Right here.
The middle section. The new middle section.
Are there other ones we should move there?
So here, I'm just going to make this easy right now. After the conversation we had about Firewatch, I know I'm not going to get the support for that as a top 10, and I'm willing to let go of it here. I think that game is exceptional in a lot don't but
I'd back you on Firewatch if you want to push that up.
not
Yeah.
over certain other things on this list.
Well, I don't know that it's as cut and dried as that, because like a lot of us like Firewatch to varying degrees.
yeah. I'm saying there are like at least three other games on this list right now that I would take over Firewatch.
Right, but that's just you. I'm saying
Yeah.
there are other people that might back things like Firewatch more than some of the other stuff you're. Well, I guess what else are you talking about? I guess this is the question.
I mean, so for me, like the ones I would take over Firewatch are Uncharted, definitely Thumper, and probably Hyperlight Drifter, certainly. And then and the one I'm maybe like kind of on an even keel with is Overcooked. Like that's kind of where those two round out on that. I don't really have any feelings about honestly the other games on this list.
Is
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm just gonna say I love Super Hypercube for what it is.
Yeah.
But it's so one note.
It's like a very tight package, like
Yeah.
that executes incredibly well and does it with style.
The look
but-
of it is incredible, but I wish there was like at least one more mode in there.
Sure.
Like I would play 2 or 3 runs in it and then kind of just put it down at a time.
How about P-Cross 3D?
It's so good.
Oh, it's really good.
It's one of the
Vinny.
best puzzle
I
games
like
ever.
P-Cross a lot.
I like it a lot. I like that game a lot.
I haven't played this one, but I
This
like
one's
P-Cross.
better.
Did
somehow.
you play the first 3D one?
Yeah, we can spin the cubes.
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. This is better than that.
Okay.
And the first one's so good.
Okay.
Is it top 10 of the year good?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
It's my top 5 for sure.
I'm not going to make this easy, are you?
You can go down. You can go down a hole in that game.
I feel like the Dark Souls support is extremely tepid,
Yes.
even from the people who like it.
Yeah.
Is that a...
Yeah,
It's good.
it is.
It's
And I had a
I
great time
like
playing
it a hell of a lot more than Dark Souls 2.
But I mean, I've played those games, and
it is just a good Dark Souls game.
Okay.
And the like the super referential stuff to the first Dark Souls, like kind of
Oh, that is
it
kinda
works.
nice.
It works
Yeah.
for what they're going for, but I could see that maybe not. Did you play it?
Yeah, I never walked away faster from a Souls game than I
Really?
did from that. It was
Really?
weird, yeah. Like
I
Bloodborne,
guess me
if you don't count Bloodborne,
Yeah.
like, I played all Demon Souls and,
You were
eventually.
you were the first Souls convert here.
So, and like the narrative stuff sounded like it would be right up my alley,
Yeah.
like trying to tie all that stuff together.
And
but-
there are cool moments, like
don't
obviously like going back to Honor Londo is the big thing, and like some of the bosses and
I think it was too much too soon. Like between the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and more Souls,
Yeah.
and like a couple of other
That
also
I could
Souls.
see.
Like I was like, I think these games are stressful, and
Yeah.
they're supposed to be games that come out every once in a while. And my thirst wasn't there for.
I
that
could
game.
totally get that. Like it may not be super fair, but I feel like in a world where Bloodborne doesn't exist, we might be a little more excited about Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, like
'Cause
I
we
feel
just
like I
played-
also
we-
had stuff to do already
Yeah.
in Bloodborne. Like, oh, I've got a backlog.
Like
of
I never
Souls.
even finished that Bloodborne DLC, and then Dark Souls 3 came out. Like
And
maybe
it didn't seem like they changed enough up to be like, well, I'll try something new with Dark
Yeah.
Souls
They
3.
they added stuff, but you're right, it's very like incremental. All right, Dark Souls 3 is probably on my top 10, but I'm going to remove it.
Does abduction belong on here?
I wish I had finished it so I could make a stronger case.
It seems like a very cool thing.
I have a feeling from what you're selling that game as that might be between now and the time that I have to write my top 10 list.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get home and play
You can
this.
play it.
'cause
I think you especially are
'cause it
really gonna
sounds
enjoy
kind of
that game.
amazing.
It's fucking awesome. It's one of the,
Maybe we have a little play date with
it's
that.
one
What
of
do
the
you
it's
say?
one of the cooler.
Well, I might just want to just go play it.
Ooh,
on
I
my
wonder
own.
how that would go on a stream.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of running back and forth trying to figure out how different machines fit together, and also learning like reading journals to figure out like what the different aliens mean.
Maybe I can
who they are and
load
what they
that up on my laptop for the plane.
It's kind of demanding actually.
Graphically.
I would say maybe wait until you get home.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know. It's
Either
the
way,
art,
it's
the art.
kind of irrelevant here,
It's
but
got full motion video, Vinny.
Also, the video is so good in it. I don't know, man. It's not quite cut it yet. Like in a world where Dan's gonna
Lose his mind.
fight for Stardew and Alex wants Thumper, let's at least leave it for now until we.
Fair enough.
Insultant Sanctuary sounds like it's got support.
Maybe I don't know. I mean,
I
this is getting
support it. I
tough.
think Hyper Light Drifter like has more mainstream appeal over Salt and Sanctuary.
Like, I'm very willing to go to bat with you on that one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I never played that, so I can't.
And I'm surprised.
in there.
I'm surprised.
It is-
evokes
I
the feelings
know
of-
it's dumb, but like once they went in and started overhauling the frame rate shit, I just decided, I'm just gonna wait till that's out.
Okay.
For
that's
Hyperlight?
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I'll say for that-
I do want to play that, but it hasn't happened yet.
The thing I'll say for that is that the frame rate is not a thing I ever thought about while playing that game.
yeah,
Some
I-
people
I-
did not have an issue. with
It's
it.
not. That's not the reason I didn't play it to begin with. I just
Yeah.
didn't get around to it. But then once they came out and said, "Hey, we're gutting a bunch of this to make it better," I was like, "Well, now I might as well just wait."
Gutting a bunch? What do you mean?
Well, they went in and like re-engineered the whole engine.
Oh,
to
not like taking out parts of the game.
No,
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah.
redoing
They
Right.
came out and said, "We're doing a ton of work to make this better." So I was
They
just
cleaned
like,
up the
well,
undercarriage.
I've waited this long. I might as well wait another month or two till they patch it.
Yeah, and I'm glad I did actually. Yeah, because the 60 frame thing was, or the 30 frame thing was an issue for me
Yeah,
at first,
yeah.
and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll come back to this later. And I did come back, and I really fell in love with the game.
Did the frame rate issue help with that dash challenge to unlock those doors?
You know, I found that pretty easy. Actually,
What?
I don't know. Like you
The,
just
like,
kind of go in a
800
circle.
dash?
Yeah.
Like you did all of them? You
Not
unlocked it?
800. I did like 100 and
Yeah,
then
well,
like
that's
200
child's
and
You didn't get the last door?
no, not yet.
Did you
There's
do it with
still
the
time.
mouse and keyboard or did you do it with the controller?
Controller.
Man.
Yeah, I played that game with a controller.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I think it's got a really cohesive soundtrack. It looks great. I enjoy like the Zelda elements in that game, and it
Yeah.
certainly evokes that. I love the way that they tell story in such a minimalistic way.
Yeah, that game is
it's
really
affecting. It's striking. I think there's something super special.
There's
about
even
this game.
I would even and obviously they're very different games style, like in terms of mechanics, but like there is a Firewatch like quality to it in the way that story is very personal and especially for the developer and the whole
Yeah, certainly.
like because the developer suffers from a heart condition and that game is very much about that character like trying to find a way to overcome
any
deadly sickness.
It was amazing. Like I never got to be, or never thought I'd be affected so much by this little sprite that just kind of walks into a room and the black rain comes down and he starts coughing and choking, and I felt for him.
It all ties together in a really lovely way.
And there's some really, really good sprite work in there. Like when the giants come on screen and stuff.
And the
there's
cutscene
some like
stuff is
really
good.
And the combat's good.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough,
really,
but
really
it's
hard.
good.
And it's rewarding. I love when you go into a fucking room and you just slash the shit out of, the entire room, and then you like at the end of it, you just take your sword, swing it up, spike it in the ground. It feels great.
But okay, so Salt and Sanctuary off then to whittle the list, or
Like I said,
sounds like me and Jason are the only ones that care at all.
on a personal level, I love it a lot. I can see where people might think this as being derivative because it does lean on Dark Souls stuff.
I don't think
Extremely
I don't think
hard.
lean on is even fair. It is a Dark. It
is.
is a Dark Souls clone in
but
2D.
it's a 2D,
It's
right?
a damn.
But I think that's actually like an impressive
Yeah, it's kinda
thing.
neat
that
They pulled that out.
They translated that so well to 2D. I think it's pretty impressive, even if it is like by the numbers, it is a Dark Souls game.
Yeah, I have personal love for it. I just think it's a hard sell in this
Yeah,
group.
yeah. If you think that,
know.
I don't. Did anybody else here even really?
I didn't touch
play
it.
or
I
care
messed
about
with,
it?
I messed
No.
with it a little bit. Yeah.
It's not going to penetrate the top 10 here if it's just me and you and you're
It's a shame.
waffling.
Well, so what do we need?
I don't want to waffle. Like I'm
One,
just trying to
two.
pick and choose my.
I want a
battles.
waffle.
Yeah, that sounds
waffle
great.
right
Do we
now.
get waffles when we're done?
Yeah.
So we have 7 in that lock category, right? So
Yeah.
we're right now debating 3. Should we do a?
Well,
top-
and Uncharted has sort of floated up into the maybe.
well, we can put that back.
Yeah,
down.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's still debate to have
Should we
about
go
that.
around and do the like star next to pick 3 and add up the stars and see where we're at? 'Cause I feel like
I
otherwise,
don't know if there are enough games left for that to be super useful. I think we can just kind of like.
Can we funnel all of our stars into one?
no.
No,
Oh, fuck.
absolutely not.
I mean, we need 3, and I think otherwise we're just going to sit here saying that like this game is really important to me.
I think we abide by that as non-binding. Like it's just a good way to sense where people are at.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a pretty good sense already. Like, let's just kind of throw them out there. Picross, like, do you guys really feel?
Yes.
Of the games on that list,
Yeah.
that bottom list that we've got, Picross is the only one I would move up.
Okay.
Jesus. All right.
Let's do the vote.
All right. Okay.
All right,
Well,
I
think
how
it's
do
the
you
way.
how do you want to structure this?
So I would say just what do you think the top 3 should be, or the last 3 should be here?
just
Brad?
pick 3.
The last remaining 3,
Okay. All right.
and that includes Uncharted in this.
Yeah. Let's just put that back.
Yeah,
in the, all right,
okay.
Vinny, you start.
Okay, I would say Uncharted.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you're going to do it, right, Brad?
I'll add the
Okay.
stars.
I would do Uncharted.
Okay.
I would do Overcooked and Firewatch.
Okay. Jeff.
I would take Picross, Uncharted, and Thumper.
Okay. Drew.
Uncharted, Overcooked, and Picross.
Okay. Dan. I think
Stardew.
I can guess yours.
Picross.
Yeah.
And should I go with Uncharted or Overcooked? Overcooked?
Wow. Okay. Oops.
Hyperlight, Thumper, and I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass, but Stardew Valley.
Did you actually like that game?
I didn't play it, but
What?
I respect that game for
Okay,
what it does.
That's fair.
I'm going Thumper.
Okay.
I'm going Hyperlight Drifter.
Okay.
Need one more.
Yeah, I know. So I think it's Uncharted.
Okay.
I would like to change mine from Overcooked to Hyperlight.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
So can we safely remove Abduction and Firewatch now?
I haven't. Well,
Brad.
Probably,
Oh,
but I haven't cast votes here yet. I mean, Abduction obviously is not going to make it.
Okay.
Although I feel like we shouldn't delete any of these just in case the top 7 somehow
Just,
ends up being subject to change.
Enter him down.
I'm going to say, despite everything I said, I'm going to say Uncharted.
Okay.
Man. This is weird because I'm like, I know what I would pick, but then it's like, that has only got
Yeah,
one or two
we should have
votes.
voted in secret.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
right now,
yeah.
like now, what already has votes is influencing what I vote for.
I think you should just be honest about what
yeah,
you would pick.
yeah, okay, sure. I'll be honest, and okay, I'll vote for Firewatch. And man, I don't know. Like it feels weird to vote for something I haven't played, but
But you shouldn't. Like
Well-
all the games I voted for are ones I played.
right, but like I don't.
We've also heard a lot of arguments about
yeah,
these games.
That's what it
so
is.
that's-
Like
Yeah.
like
And this is the site list.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't vote for Picross even though I've played quite a bit of it, and the same goes for Overcooked. I'm gonna say Hyperlight because I think Jason made a good argument
Okay.
for that. So it looks like Uncharted is pretty
gonna
That's
be
a
it.
strong.
Probably
That's a
a
strong
lot.
enough majority.
pretty strongly a lock for the top 10.
Okay. So now we have 2.
And then
Can I float something here?
Sure.
sure.
We said the top 7 could be subject to change. Now
Well,
top
it
8.
could, but
shit.
like you're gonna have to make a good case for it because these
We
are
wheeling
the
and
games that
dealing? Okay.
people feel very strongly
My
about.
case is I see 4 games on the bottom that I would put above Inside. I like Inside a lot. It was a cool, better version of Limbo, and I love Limbo.
Well, okay.
And it
I'll
had
let you
some
finish.
major, some really, really cool, memorable moments. Like I'm not going to forget that game. That whole like last stretch is incredible, but you know the puzzles were not quite. It's more atmosphere and moments than it is puzzles and gameplay. Art design's incredible. Like there are some really cool things about Inside, and I loved my time with it. I just don't think it offers as much as a lot of the stuff even on this bottom list.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. My position is pretty clear on Inside. I don't think it's good. I don't think it
I think
belongs
it's
on a
good.
top 10 list.
I think it's very good.
I just don't disagree at all that the puzzles are as mundane and forgettable as you say.
You don't disagree or you don't agree?
I don't agree.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
I mean, there were like 2 times that I felt like kind of baffled, but it was more kind of like busy work stuff. So like the thing where you had to put all the guys on the thing to make the number go down. You realize 2 seconds into looking at that, like, okay, I'm gonna have to run around until I find enough
Yeah,
guys.
but each
and it's
individual
never that hard to
each
do.
individual
It doesn't
area where
need
you're
to be.
collecting the guys is like there are every single encounter in that game is so uniquely designed for that area.
And I,
Right.
The argument I would make is that that's fine that it's not. I agree, it's not an especially challenging game. But the benchmark for me, at least, with something like that is, in spite of it not being challenging, am I engaged with what this game is asking me to do? And there were only like 2 moments in that game where I felt like I started to feel a little disengaged. The rest of the time, I was fully transfixed on what was taking place and how I was interacting with it.
I would say the vast majority of like mechanics, like puzzles, like things that you're interacting with like like maybe 2 exceptions were like extremely clever, like really clever uses of a very basic control scheme.
But clever in the way that a lot of games have done clever puzzles. Like, okay, so I need to put stuff on this to weigh down this thing, so this thing goes up and I can jump.
I definitely feel like it was like I saw the solution and then had to just do it.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's the majority of that game was like, okay, all right, here
Yeah.
we go again.
I didn't think
like
it
nothing.
was particularly clever.
Yeah. Like there are neat moments in it, and yeah, but
Looks and sounds great.
Come on, feeding those little chick things through that blower to
Yeah,
like,
that
to,
was
like,
awesome.
knock a box off.
Yeah, that was cool as hell.
It's full of stuff like that.
Like,
yeah, it's
the way I'm looking at it is there are 2 games on the bottom list that I would put above Inside, but I would put Inside above all of the rest of those games. Which means that I think it stays in the top 10.
well, like at some point we just kind of need to whittle down this list. So if we end up with 11 and then have to then start ordering the list before we start figuring out where the actual battles are, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So hey Brad, do you want to run down for people who are listening what that vote tally?
What's got votes down here?
Yeah.
Stardew Valley has 2, Hyper Light Drifter has 4, Overcooked has 2, Picross has 3, and Thumper has 3, and
Firewatch has 2.
has 2.
Abduction has 0.
Yeah, like I
I think we have to let go of Abduction.
yeah, that's clearly
Yeah.
not going to make it into the top 10. But you guys should play Abduction.
I will for sure.
Yeah, that's just going to be a holiday game for me.
And Picross is only on 3DS.
3DS,
Yep.
yeah. And it's kind of the perfect 3DS game.
I
Yeah,
kind of wish
you
they would
kinda
bring that
want a
to like
stylus.
iPad or something. Oh, it
Yep.
needs to be that.
You want the stylus, yeah.
Okay.
It could be done with an
It could
iPad.
absolutely be done with an iPad.
Easily
It would
play
be
it.
perfect with an iPad.
Okay. It'd be a lot easier for me to play that on a plane heading
Yeah,
back.
but,
Oh, yeah.
but Nintendo put it out.
Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
So maybe
Right,
in a couple
sure.
of years.
Yeah, give us some time.
it'll be a
When
Picross
Picross
run.
yeah.
Free to start.
I think there's a lot of support for Hyperlight, but it's close on the rest of these as well. So I don't know what the next step in some of these arguments are.
I mean, Dan just wants Stardew or Picross on the list. And
I mean,
wheeling and
hey,
dealing right
I love
now, right?
Overcooked. I loved Picross. I love Firewatch. I love a lot of these games, but when it comes down to it, like Stardew is the game from this year that I will, I remember the most fondly. There is so much going on in that game, and I think it's just, you can't just boil it down to just like Harvest Moon wannabe. It's got this combat stuff. It's got the farming. Like the characters are written pretty well. The soundtrack is great. All the strategies on how to maximize your time and like how to when you're planting what and what part of the season, and then, completely changing your strategy, when like winter comes or when it's raining. Like every day feels completely different. Like every time you wake up in your bed at the beginning of that day, it's just like, okay, what am I doing today? Is this going to be, I guess the crops are already watered, so, maybe I'll go talk to people in the town, or, there's this festival going on, or shit, I haven't collected, I haven't done any fishing stuff for a while. There are a million different things you can do. Like you can do everything you can do in an Animal Crossing, collecting stuff for a museum and fossils and things like that. Plus, like a whole series of like a 100+ level cave with combat and rare enemies that drop stuff that you can use to craft things and build. Like you can start making wine and stuff. There's just a billion things you can do. Every day feels different. I never felt bored in that game. I can't tell you how many times I said like, I'm going to go to bed, at the time my character goes to bed this day. But then I wake up the next day and realize, like, oh man, those crops are ready. I can go make a ton of money there, and then I can use that to upgrade. I can buy this farm. I can start getting chickens, and there.
Listen, I'm with you on
Yeah.
Stardew Valley. Like, I think it's a neat game, but the argument you leveraged against Inside, where you see the solution and now you have to go through the motions, is the part of Stardew that frustrates me or makes me go away, which is like, I see where I have to go. Now I have to go put in all the work to make this farm.
But I think
there's-
the thing is,
yeah.
I think it is fun. It's delightful and engaging going
Totally.
about the stuff in Stardew. With Inside, I felt like it was kind of a chore. It's like, okay, I get it, and now I just have to climb up on this ledge and make this jump and do this. And like Stardew,
Is
it made me-
literally doing chores.
okay, yes, that's true.
I mean, there isn't much more of an apples and oranges argument to make there because the whole point of Inside is that it is this incredibly stark, bleak, awful
Yeah.
world that is fascinating to behold. But
I would
it's
love
like-
to play Stardew Valley in the world of Inside.
Oh man,
Well,
then
yeah,
you'd be talking.
Inside is supposed to be dark and oppressive and
Yeah.
everything. Stardew is just the happiest, calmest. Like, I was happy the entire time I played Stardew Valley. And in fact, it's coming out in like a week on PlayStation and Xbox. My thought I had this morning was like, I want to play through both versions of that and get every achievement in both of those and put another 100+ hours into both of those.
that just sounds like a sickness.
I mean, it just made me goddamn happy the entire time I played that game.
Yeah.
How about this for just a bit of progress? What if we were to take Overcooked and Firewatch off as the things that, or put them down the list as like not in the big fight stuff there?
Overcooked in particular, I really can't see making it into this top 10.
It's a great game.
I love
It's-
Overcooked.
It's awesome,
It's a great game.
But yes, I think that's fair.
but it's
I don't think it makes the cut.
It's a simple, fun thing that I
Yeah.
think is very effective
Yes.
at what it does.
It'll make my personal top
Like
10.
I-
It might make mine as well.
I hope this doesn't sound dismissive, but it's just a really good local co-op action game.
a really good one.
It's really
A
good.
lot of charm.
Yes.
It's really good, and like I go back and forth, and personally asking myself this question, making sure that we probably all ask ourselves this question: am I putting it someplace because it's novel right now too? And like, if this had come out in January, would I feel as good about it?
It's
Like
been
right
out
now, I really want to play Overcooked.
I've played
Yeah.
a fair amount of Overcooked since it came out.
It's
Like
been out
I've
for a
kept
while.
playing it,
You know,
but I also think that it doesn't stay compared to some of these other ones.
yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
problem is I just don't have a big dog in this bottom fight. So like it's kind of listening to you guys
Yeah.
fight for the things that
Yeah.
you're most passionate about, and I could go any way on these. Like I know Alex really loves Thumper. You really love Stardew. Jason really loves Hyperlight. not hearing as much love for like Picross, Firewatch, or Overcooked.
I mean,
I thought Picross is pretty. I mean,
It's-
people that played it
it's
seem
awesome.
to really like it.
It's of the games that are on that bottom list. Like Picross is the only game I actually care about. Like, and I don't expect to win the argument, but I will say that I'd like have like kind of an active dislike for some of the games on this list. That like Picross I think is really really good.
I really like Picross and I really like Overcooked. The things that I'm grappling with and why I haven't really been speaking up about them is probably because I'm trying to build a site list.
Yeah.
And while a lot of us like Overcooked, to some degree, I don't think it is like I don't think its place in the top 10 is necessarily representative of
Giant Bomb.
us as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I guess,
And Picross, I think, would be if more of us had played it.
and so if we put Uncharted up there, which it kind of just
Seems like it is.
went through, so we need 2 more games to make this list.
But again, like Jeff said, we can
Yeah, we
do
can shuffle
11,
around.
12, and then
The
order
only
it.
thing that holds me back on Picross is just what a known quantity it is. Like it is
Yeah.
it's a really really good Picross game, but like there have been so many of those and it doesn't do anything.
There have been 2. It's been Picross 3D. There have been 2.
Well, but Picross games in general.
and they made gameplay changes
They
to this
made
one.
massive
that,
gameplay
like,
I know
really,
it does have more stuff to it.
I mean, the whole change, the color thing completely changes the game of what Picross 3D is.
Yeah, they really changed the game.
They did.
Yeah, you know, I feel really great about Picross 3D. I think it's awesome. You know, I'm not sure that.
Yeah, okay, so that one's got pretty broad support. The 2 outliers here right now seem to be Stardew and Thumper. Those both seem like games where
Well, I was gonna say Hyperlight is getting a lot of support.
I'm basically thinking how many people have gone to bat for each of these games, and in both of those cases, it's kind of one each.
Well, I don't know, Jason. Just because
Hyperlight-
Jason is quiet, don't discount his.
No,
love for
I'm counting.
Hyperlight.
I'm saying you and Jason both seem pretty strong on Hyperlight,
And I am too.
and Alex. So like that's got like 3 people.
He's looking at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Stardew
I'm
and
just
Thumper.
looking.
Oh.
I'm saying like Dan wants Stardew. Nobody else really seems to care,
Well, no one else really played it.
but that's still telling, you know.
I tried,
tried it.
and said, "Hey, they made Indie Rune Factory. You should play some Rune Factory."
I tried it.
And
I liked it.
I mainly voted for Stardew during those rounds because I know how much it affected Dan.
Yeah.
Like everything
Yeah.
I've seen of that game looks like a really good one of those games that I personally don't have any interest in.
I'm not that interested in Stardew. Like I don't have
I've
a problem.
watched-
I don't have a problem with it being in the top 10 based on Dan's enthusiasm
Same
for
here.
it.
That's the thing,
But
like, I don't want-
All I'm saying is that like everybody here, besides me, I guess, seems to want other games. So at a certain point, you guys are gonna have to like
Okay, well, it sounds like that we
fight it out over
It
those.
sounds like that when you look at the available slots and where we're at on these games, that Overcooked and Firewatch are not on this list.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
probably a fair assumption.
They are both excellent games, but I think they ultimately fall at the sword.
I
here.
don't know. It's weird. Like I would take Firewatch over probably anything else on that. It's the only game I care about out of these remaining. What is that? 6 games. But like I'm not
Right. And I would probably take Overcooked over most of this.
right. But like I don't have it in me to like fight for that.
You're just saying the passion is just not quite as intense.
Yeah, compared to how much you guys want, like
Right, and,
Stardew
like-
and Thumper.
Yeah, on a whole, I don't think they make sense.
I think we can we can say we like those games quite a bit.
Yes.
and we wish them well.
And for me, Firewatch got the props where I thought it deserved it, and I feel good
Overcooked
about
won
it.
Best Multiplayer.
Or
It was nominated for Best Multiplayer.
and I think that's where those games deserve their nods.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing I would say is that I would definitely put Firewatch over Inside.
I would too.
I would definitely not do that.
I would not.
Same.
I would not either.
Wait, you would or would not?
Inside over Firewatch.
Okay,
I would
Yeah,
put
I'm
Firewatch over Inside.
I'm inside over Firewatch.
Jason, you are as well.
Inside over Firewatch.
And
Yeah,
you-
same.
yes. Okay, so that's 5-2 on that.
Yeah,
So-
whatever.
Is anyone besides me and Jeff in favor of dropping Inside from the top 10?
No,
I'm not
the
in
sound
favor
of
of
that.
it.
No,
No,
Are we
absolutely
the only
not.
two that
Yeah,
would want that?
no.
Okay.
No.
definitely not.
All right, so we have 4 here that we're working with:
We need to cut 2.
Stardew Valley, Hyperlight Drifter, Picross 3D, and Thumper.
Thumper, man, is just so one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does
that's
it
kinda-
really, really well.
I like the
Abzu
game,
did its one thing really,
But
really
yeah,
well.
like it just.
So should I make my case here now for Thumper, just to get it out there.
Now seems to be the time as people are
All right.
lining up the crosshairs.
My feeling on Thumper is that it is honestly one of the purest and best distillations of what a lane-based rhythm game is. It is the sense of speed. It is the simple but, shuffled up and frankly, frantic mechanics of dealing with the controls and the way the visual language is presented to you in that game. I think the soundtrack and the visual style, I don't know, like there's a coherence to it that really struck me from the second I booted that thing up and kept me like just deeply, deeply engaged with it the whole way through. And honestly, like the way they play with, time signatures and music in that game, the way they build that stuff around, like the momentum of that game is frankly unlike just about anything else I played this year. Rhythm games are not necessarily in vogue these days. There aren't a lot of good ones coming, at least on the West. I know there's more stuff coming out in Japan still, but the stuff we get over here, it's not very often. And in a year where there wasn't much, I still think even if there was a ton of rhythm games coming out, Thumper would stand out well above them. Like it is honestly one of the best rhythm games I've ever played.
Do you think it belongs on Giant Bomb's top 10 list?
Well, in Alex's defense, not to take words out of your mouth, he's part of Giant Bomb, and he has a real love for this game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, after Destiny, I can never knock a single person wanting to get a game on a list. And again, Austin got Invisible Ink on last year. Like that's not.
It happens every year.
Yeah.
in different
It's
degrees.
just it kind of depends on the degree of burning passion one person has for a game.
yeah, so I think, that's valid.
It is an uphill climb though.
It's one of the few experiences that I don't know. It's just like the tension of that game is built at such a perfect pace, and like every time I played it, like I would actually feel my hand starting to cramp up a little bit because I was gripping the controller so tight, and it's one of those games where losing doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't hurt the momentum of it when you fuck up a stage and you have to start over again.
Oh, I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Oh no, it's a quick
I don't
return,
think-
and I think that the way that it breaks up the different levels in the stages, like I think that it all flows together really well, even when you're not good at it.
I wish I liked Thumper as much as you like
Yeah,
Thumper.
that's kind of where I'm at because I did play about the first half of it and wanted to like it more than I did.
I got pretty into it. I'd echo a lot of Alex's sentiments,
Yeah.
but I did bounce off of it because it didn't change up as much as I needed
That's
it to.
really I think where it broke down for me was it just felt a little too repetitive.
I think the ways in which it changes up are subtle. Like from stage to stage, it's not even just the time signature. Like it's the way that it shuffles up and presents the different little control mechanics and how it delivers them to you.
It never seemed like too much, like as far as like throwing new mechanics at you. Like it
No.
was a good ramp up for
Yeah,
that, for
it's a
sure.
good ramp.
It felt like it was kind of one new mechanic per level or something, which felt fine to me.
So like I've seen Alex deep in a
deep in it.
Deep
in
thumper
a
hole.
Thumper
In a
trance.
T-hole.
In a
Yeah,
T-hole.
definitely a T-hole.
And it's pretty amazing like
Yeah.
when you see like it.
And I'm not even that good at that game. Like I've seen people who have the dexterity to really deal with the combo system in that game and really like perfect levels. And it's a really magnificent thing to behold.
Like if I hadn't seen him play it, I would probably be with you guys in a this is a very unique but maybe doesn't stand on this list, but like I've seen him play it in a way that is like this is artful. There's something here that is kind of amazing and very tense and a kind of like high five when you're done with the level kind of thing, which was kind of amazing.
I've seen that and felt it, and it's hard to quantify. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to like
Because
let
again,
you guys know
on paper, it
what
is
it's like.
It is absolutely the thing you guys are saying. Like it is a game that does one thing very well. It is that fucking lane. It is that sense of speed, and it is just go the whole way through. It really is for me. It's that sort of intangible quality of the experience that resonated so hard with me. Like that is my number 2 game of the year.
Stardew Valley is also very relaxing.
hang on, if we're bringing up numbers of the year, Stardew Valley is my number 1 game of the year.
Oh, well then.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, there's a game in that top 8 right now that is my number 1, but like Thumper is the only thing that came even close to scratching that, and it came very close.
All right, if we put Thumper and Stardew on this list, are enough of us okay with that 10 to start with?
I'm okay with that.
just about to suggest that exact thing.
I'm okay with that.
But I know Jason
Yeah,
feels strongly
that,
about
like,
Hyperlight.
Jason's probably the one here.
Because the thing is, I feel most strongly about Hyperlight and Thumper.
I will say,
based on the votes,
I
like
will
I
say
thought
Hyperlight-
Hyperlight was kind of a lock here.
Hyperlight has double the votes of Stardew, and also if it came down to it, having not played either one, Hyperlight looks a lot more like something I would want to back or play. I do want to play it, so there's that.
I guess I would say I played what felt like a significant chunk of that game, at least. Not that I got super deep into it, but then it got to a point where I just kind of had my fill and moved on, and I don't know. I think at some point we kind of have to, like, now that we've removed a bunch of games from the list and stuff, like the numbers, the stars next to it are not going to hold any weight.
Yeah, because if we revoted, it'd probably be different.
It would.
Let's revote. Let's get a piece of paper, tear them up, put them all in the center of the thing. We vote for the one we cut.
All right, cut out a bunch of Tetris shapes. Start laying them out on the table.
Everybody write the name of a game you want to cut and throw it into the middle of the table, and then we look at it, and a game comes off this list.
So, I mean, the thing I'll say...
The
thing I'll say
Stab each other.
to Stardew and Dan's passion for it, which is that, I don't necessarily believe that my intense love of Thumper is in any way more valid than your intense love of that game. It's
Likewise,
just,
yeah.
They just resonated in very different ways for each of us. And, I think I see a little bit of my excitement for Thumper in your eyes when you talk about Stardew.
You like feeling scared and afraid. I like feeling happy and relaxed.
The thing you're seeing in each other's eyes.
Jason, do you have an intense love for Hyperlight Drifter?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I want to make
He
sure.
doesn't
that-
look insane. Jason, you need to look more insane if you want to
Just
make this
because he's
argument.
not
Hug your eyes
crazy
out
like
just
you
a little
guys.
bit.
Yeah, I'm just bewildered as to what's going on right now. But
I mean, we're figuring our shit out. Is what
Okay,
we're doing.
Hyperlight
Okay.
Drifter. What if we cut Inside and put all three of those games
Yes,
up there? Then
yes,
everyone's
yes,
happy.
yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Like,
no,
come on,
everyone's not happy.
That seems
What? No,
ill-considered.
what?
5 people out of 7 here feel very strongly about Inside. Like, come on.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody feels.
What if we
I'm
put
just gonna
inside?
say-
What if we put inside down at the bottom thing and then we vote?
No,
it would just
dude.
go back up.
No.
No, I don't feel
Like,
good
I get that you guys hate Inside, but like
I love Inside.
Or you don't. Well, then your arguments are kind of.
These are all really good games.
I know that, but like it's just at a certain point on that game, it is a matter of sheer consensus.
And the Witness is staying on there, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
The Witness is something really special.
And Super Hot is staying on there.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
The only one on that list that I feel like a little less strongly about, well, other than The Witness, which I'm just conceding to you guys because of how much you love it, is Titanfall 2, which I like a lot, but I don't necessarily have the exact same energy for it that I think some of the other people at this table did.
I think Titanfall's up there. The only two I would argue don't belong in that top thing are Inside and maybe Super Hot. But I know that Super Hot is a big thing.
I
on
think
this
Super
table,
Hot
so-
belongs.
I'm kind of with you on Super Hot, but again, I know people like that's so yeah. Like I'm there on Super Hot and Titanfall, but I know that some people feel so strongly about those that I'm not bothering.
Yeah,
to,
I'm not going to try.
What if we took? What if we took
why are we
Uncharted?
taking
4
shit off? Like I thought these were locked.
Nothing
I-
is locked until
Really?
we're done.
They were locked until we had to make hard choices.
like it can't be a democracy. It can't be. It has to be some kind of loose consensus.
So what if we took
We need
Uncharted?
to look each other in the eyes at the end of this and go, all right.
What if we took Uncharted 4 off and put Stardew, Hyperlight, and Thumper?
I don't know
but
that
just
I feel
honestly,
good about that, though.
I would be all right with that.
I would be fine with that.
like I think the tilt factor on those games
Yeah.
for how much personally people love those games outweighs the consensus vote on Uncharted
I think
4.
that's a good point. I love Uncharted
And
4,
like-
but I think that's a fair thing and maybe more indicative of the whole team's list.
Like
I
it,
think that makes sense.
it seems like Uncharted 4 got there because everybody thought that
Was,
that
like,
is the
willing,
safest.
willing to come together on it.
Right.
And Uncharted got it in best story. It won best story, and that's its
Yeah.
strongest part.
I mean, I do like Uncharted better than those other 3 games, like put together, but there are some significant knocks against it.
and it already won best story in the thing that it did the best.
But that we can't necessarily always just
We
say
brought that up before,
It got it
Seth.
earlier.
Oh yeah,
but this is the end.
that is not
This is
that's
it,
not
man.
relevant at all.
I mean, that argument's come up several times in the past.
this
during
these are the best
podcasts.
games of the year. Like nothing else.
But my love for
affects
Uncharted
that.
personally, like I will not put up against your love for Stardew Valley. Neither would I put it
Yeah.
up against Thumper
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
Hyper
Like
Light
I
Drifter.
I like Uncharted very conditionally.
Like,
Not in an absolute
Like
sense.
that's the thing I would take out of this is that like I like Uncharted a lot, but I'm also not 100% sure it's going to make my top 10. And I think that the way we approach Uncharted is that we all really like it, but no one here is deeply passionate about
Yes.
it in a way that some of these, in fact, frankly, almost all of these other games are. It's just a game we all really enjoy.
And if taking off one game that we all like a lot for the most part means that we get 3 games on that various members of the staff are extremely passionate about,
but they're kind of.
I think that's a
but they're
worthwhile
like 3
sacrifice.
games that like one person feels very strongly about.
But there's multiple ways to do the numbers game too,
Yeah.
right? If we did weighted lists, like it might shake out very differently.
Yeah.
Where if we did our top
Right.
10 lists and like number 1 gets 10 points, like you could shake the numbers
Yeah.
out. In
I keep
really
thinking
bad
I
ways.
keep thinking about what Drew said about like it's Giant Bomb's list, and so
I feel. I mean,
It's also Giant Bomb's list.
like these are 3 games that I don't feel passionately about,
Right.
or 4 games. I mean, include Uncharted there, but I feel better about like people making good, like passionate arguments about these games, making this
Yeah.
list, as opposed to all of us going like, yeah, Uncharted's good.
Yeah.
Because Uncharted is very, very good, and it's it surprised a lot of us. I think how good it was, but
yeah,
I just
like,
don't.
yeah.
I don't have the burning passion
None
for
of us do.
that game that I do. Honestly, like at least 6 or 7 other games.
Right,
on this
I mean,
list.
I'll take Burning Passion over that any
Yeah,
day.
I have burning passion for aspects of Uncharted 4, but then other parts of it are straight up off-putting
yeah.
to me.
I think the right. I'm actually
good
super
point.
okay with that move.
Yep.
Okay.
Hang on, let me
Jason?
something real
Yeah,
fast.
that feels right.
It feels
Yeah,
right to me
yeah.
too.
That feels right. All of us
And I
can
love
recognize
Picross
Uncharted.
3D, but I don't have a fucking like
Yeah.
I mean,
for Picross 3D.
I kind of do, but not in the way that's worth, overriding Alex's love of Thumper and the consensus with Hyperlight.
Yeah.
And your own love of Stardew.
Exactly. Like, I
Same.
fucking love Picross 3D, but I'm fine with
Like
kinda
I'm
bad.
looking at this 10 now with these games in it, and like this
Hey.
feels right.
This looks like a good list
Yes,
to me.
This
yes.
feels really
This
right.
is Giant Bomb's list.
I think you have one
I think there's
prominent
some out of order
mistake
stuff.
in there, but a few minor ones as well.
What's the prominent?
Well,
Doom is
we're-
not the number 1 game of the
we're-
year.
Oh, you're talking the order?
We're referring to.
we haven't done the
we're
order
not
yet.
talking about order.
No, that's
Yes,
what
we
are.
that Brad has moved on.
Okay, well, yeah. Now we gotta have that
I'm
discussion.
just
because there are
moving
10
stuff
games
around.
here.
Okay, like I don't see any way that Stardew, Hyperlight, and Thumper rise above 8 through 10 the way that
No,
this
no,
has
but
gone.
I'm fine with that.
I think the bottom 4 makes sense where they're at. I mean, unless you guys
Well,
want to
I'd put-
scrap fight for
I'd
the
put-
order of the bottom
Can
3.
Can we?
I put Hyperlight up above.
So it currently stands at
and
Stardew
Thumper.
Valley at 7. No, at 8. Hyperlight at 9, and Thumper at 10.
Yeah. See, Dan, I don't hurt me, but I'm just gonna say
Just gonna back up here.
there were 2 votes for that game. Your passion is very strong. Mine is very strong for Thumper. I feel like there was just a little more enthusiasm for Thumper. I think Stardew is a really good number 10. I think Thumper is a very strong number 9.
I said at the beginning of this, I'm fine if Stardew makes number 10.
There you go.
I
Stick
think
with it.
I think Hyperlight makes
And I related number 8.
at number 8. Yeah.
There
I'm
were like
fine with that.
multiple people were into Hyperlight, so I could see that.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I think that is the right order right there for those bottom.
Sure.
3.
Yeah.
So do you just want to read out the 10 games we've got here?
All right, here are the 10 games. Doom, Hitman, The Witness, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, Super Hot, Inside, Hyperlight Drifter, Thumper, and Stardew Valley.
Is there anybody with me that will go on a run to get Super Hot up higher on this list?
No.
Me.
Now,
All
there's-
right.
I mean, this is no particular order, so yeah, but at the same time, like, Super Hot's really cool, but
Can Super Hot overtake Titanfall 2?
I think it
No.
can.
But I think they both need to be higher.
I think a Super Hot is better than Titanfall 2.
All right.
that's a tough call.
I think I enjoyed
I think I
Super
might-
Hot more than Titanfall
It's
2.
definitely more unique. Like, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. No one's going to deny that.
Like to me, Titanfall 2 goes above Inside, and that's where it stays.
The stuff Super Hot did, I just want more of it. More
Yeah.
and more and more and more and more
Yeah.
of it.
I feel like, and I haven't written the list yet, but I feel like by the time I get around to it, like my 1-2 could very easily be Titanfall 2 and then Super Hot.
Yeah, with the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Super Hot is. I want parts of Super Hot in every game that has a gun in it. Like it's the part where
let's not be hasty. Too much of a good thing might be.
Well, like it's what I imagine I'm doing in those games.
Yeah.
If you were to go back and cut the highlight reel, right?
Yeah. And then they cut the highlight reel.
reel.
Yeah. Super Hot is amazing style. I really like all the out of game, all the out of shoot action stuff. Because I think a lot of that stuff is really fascinating and fun. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which I know is kind of a weird thing.
No, I think there's absolutely merit to being a tightly edited experience.
Tight. It is tight. And then unlocks an endless mode. In case you do want to go back in and go like, well, what if I could kill 80 guys?
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat. The hidden stuff is obscure and crazy, but still neat, with like a good payoff. Even if I did end up just staring at a guide to go get all that shit. I like Super Hot a lot.
I want
to see it higher on the list.
The Witness is where it needs to be. Like the Witness is one that I really don't have a lot of.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I guess that's open to debate. I mean, The Witness is easily one of my very favorite games of the year.
I love The Witness, but by the end of it, I was ready to be done with it. I had stared at enough grids, and I was like, okay, I've spent enough hours drawing lines. It's great. It'll be on my top 10, but I could see that going lower.
Yeah, I feel like I just can't offer up a meaningful opinion on it because it's just not my kind of game.
My experience with The Witness was me oscillating quickly between serenity and being infuriated.
Yeah.
And, in between where you're puzzling with something and you figure it out and it's very gratifying, but it's not that like overall good feeling that I have about some of the other games on here.
I mean, I definitely was like enraged at that game on numerous occasions, but I don't let that detract from how I feel about it overall.
Lost sleep to The Witness. I had to bust out paper and pen for The Witness. I had to take screen pictures of puzzles with my phone and then Photoshop them together.
There are so many clever setups for puzzle solutions in that game. It blows my fucking
I started
mind.
reading about philosophy as a result of things that appeared in The Witness.
I don't know. I would say, if anything, the philosophical aspect of that game is the weakest. It's by far the weakest part of it.
But I did go down that road with that game.
I just think about the range of inventive clues for puzzles. Like there's sound, there's color, there's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like just so many ways that they embed clues to puzzles that you don't think are there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they're written into the environment in so many different crazy creative ways.
Yeah, you're right.
So just judging by where they are, is there support to put Overwatch over The Witness?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel very strongly about that.
That probably is going to happen. I don't feel that way at all.
I mean, I would move it down by putting it below Titanfall 2 and Super Hot and putting it above Inside.
I would put Super Hot.
I mean, we have to contend with Overwatch because I think.
No, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what I would do.
So wait, you'd put it between Super Hot and Inside?
Yes, that is where I would put Overwatch.
I would put Overwatch much higher.
Yeah,
see, that's what I'm saying. I would too, if not lower. But I know we're not going to get away with that in here.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's part of me that thinks Inside should be higher, but I don't think the support is there for that.
I totally think that. I mean, if there are enough people that think that, we should have the conversation.
I mean, but the problem is that like the games I would put it over are games that other people feel much more passionately about than I do. So
are we happy with 8 through 10? Can I?
I would put Inside over Super Hot. I don't know how many other people would.
I would as well.
I would put it over Titanfall 2, but not over Super Hot.
Vinny and Alex also would not. You said.
Yeah, Super Hot comes close to me as one of the ones that I will push for being higher on
really?
this list. Yeah.
So we are locked in on the bottom 3. That's not moving. We're all okay with that.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Okay.
The one for me on here that is The Witness is one that I just can't really speak to, and Titanfall I like a lot, but for me the multiplayer was something I just couldn't get into, and like those are The Witness and the Titanfall 2 though are games I can appreciate, so it's not like I'm going to sit here and slag them. But like the multiplayer in Titanfall, I played a couple of times, but showed my shortcomings in like kind of more Twitch-based traditional multiplayer, whereas something like Overwatch was a lot friendlier to my style of team-based, hero-based multiplayer.
Same. Yeah.
All right. What if I propose the one change that finishes this list?
Let's hear
and
it.
we just are done.
Okay.
Swap Doom and Hitman. We walk away.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The one change I would make in addition to that is that I would swap Super Hot and Titanfall.
I definitely like Titanfall more than Super Hot.
You know,
Yeah?
like
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you not like Super Hot that
Super
much?
Hot is a cool gimmick.
Okay.
It's a cool few hours with a cool idea. It's really fun. I liked it a lot. Titanfall 2 I thought was fantastic.
That's kind of how I feel about Titanfall
It's
2.
a really hard one because we're like, I could see it if both those games were higher, but I feel like both those games should be top 5 games.
Titanfall 2 and Super Hot?
It sounds like that's not happening.
That's the hard part for me. Is like if I'm going like, well, top half, bottom half, like I feel Titanfall 2 is very much a top half game.
I don't know if
That's how I feel
fair.
about Super Hot, and that's not how I feel about Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
Like for me, Overwatch is probably 3 on this list.
Yeah, I would propose swap Doom and Hitman and drop the Witness and swap Witness and Overwatch. So Overwatch is 3, Witness is 4, Hitman's 1, Doom's 2.
Overwatch is 3, Witness is 4.
So you swap the top 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah, like those are both changes that I'm personally opposed to, but I don't know what the consensus is on that stuff.
I mean, with the way people feel about Overwatch, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
So should we go ahead and put Witness below Overwatch and be okay with
Like that kind of sounds like how it should go.
I mean,
even
I'll back that move.
as like strongly as I disagree with that. It
Yeah,
feels
like
people
on a
are-
personal level, that's not my list at all. But
Sounds like there's just-
but I see where you're coming from with Overwatch. I can feel good about that. I can
Okay.
sleep with Overwatch at number 3.
Yeah, and like I'm okay with Super Hot being underneath Titanfall again. I think Titanfall, like single player campaign, for me was a godsend because it's the reason I didn't play Titanfall,
Right,
the
right,
first one,
right.
and I thought it was really entertaining and worth my money to get into that.
Like
game.
these last few weeks, as we've been getting busier with Game of the Year stuff and you know just a lot of the other stuff coming out and reviewing Watch Dogs and all this other stuff, like it has been killing me that I don't have as much time to play Titanfall 2. Like at every moment, there's this thing where it's like, fuck, man, I'm getting worse at that game because I'm not actively playing it, and God, I want to play more of it.
So like Titanfall 2, you and I talked a little bit about this outside. Titanfall 2 is one of those games in the multiplayer where I know if I don't play it, I will suck horribly and like be creamed at it. And Overwatch is one of those games where I feel like I can jump back in and still feel like I can have fun without getting murdered.
Yeah.
And that's
whereas for me at some point, I just stopped having fun with Overwatch. Like I got to be decent at the characters I kind of felt strongly about, and then played that for a while, and then was like, you know. And also, the other thing that happened is I only had fun playing Overwatch alone. Anytime I partied up with any other people, we got fucking ripped apart. And it wasn't even in like a fun, like, let's do better next time. It was just like, I'm playing with people I actually know. And for whatever reason, even though they play way more of it, like it's just going fucking horribly.
I would only posit, and this is a theory,
Go on.
That since you grouped up with a group that
Right.
traveled together,
you
you
got
guys,
matched against another
Yep.
group.
Yeah.
And
I find that happens too.
because I've had really good experiences in like groups of 3, but once we go higher than that, it starts going up. Feels like I'm going
Yeah.
up against teams.
yeah.
And I think Doom is just such a good package overall.
It is.
It's
not a good package overall.
It's a
It's a great
yes.
campaign.
Yeah,
It is
that's
an
the thing.
amazing
Yes, yes.
campaign. It is campaign of the year.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so like over Hitman, which also has a bunch of stuff which I never tried. Like there are like those user made things that I never touched, and you know I like so I think Hitman is amazing as well. But there are parts of Hitman where I have the most fun doing the sandboxy stuff that's in there.
Yes.
And I don't know.
I feel like I can back the stuff in Hitman, like the user created stuff, as like this is cool stuff.
Definitely more than Doom.
that is implemented well.
More than
whereas like
SnapMap.
Whereas it's like SnapMap is like, you know, yeah, you can kind of create your own stuff, and on some level it's I don't know if it's with the way they surface it or whatever, but like there is a way to play multiplayer stuff with SnapMap stuff, but it never linked up, and I never was able to get in with other players and all this other stuff. Like that didn't work well. I think the multiplayer in that game is like just bad.
I can't make this fight entertaining at the top because I think both of these games are just superb, and like I will remember Doom as this amazing thing and will continue to play Hitman because it's what I want to go play right now.
And I think,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the thing is, like neither of those experiences are caveat free. There are things about both games that are, let's just say, problematic. Like the multiplayer in Doom is not compelling at all, and never was, and probably never will be.
Yeah.
And with Hitman, it's like the structure of it shouldn't have worked, but it does. But at the same time, some of those maps are far better than others.
Yeah, that's true.
And some of those missions are far better than others.
Like I did the elusive target on Marrakesh last night, and it reminded me how much I dislike Marrakesh. Like,
and there
some,
are also
some of those maps are amazing, and a couple of them are real.
Like I'm not gonna call them junkers, but they're not. They're just not up to the quality of the others.
In a game with only 6 maps, like that matters.
Yeah.
Like Doom felt to me like in the campaign, if you take the multiplayer part out of it, in the campaign felt so polished and tight, right? Like this thing that is just amazing. Hitman is kind of a perfect mess.
It's a beautiful mess. Definitely.
But sometimes the mess rears its head in ways that are really frustrating.
Yeah, like that time that we failed the golf coach plot because when we knocked him out, his cell phone fell down the cliff and we couldn't pick it up.
But also kind of a beautiful mess.
I think
funny,
the chaos
but also
does more good than it does bad.
I think you're right. That definitely overall it's a net positive, but when it goes bad, it's not. It's not fun.
It's the stuff you get from a lot of other Clockwork style games, a lot of open world style games. Like this game, that Hitman does some of that too.
But when it comes down to it, we've done like 20 something hours of Hitman stuff on the site, and how many times can you name when that stuff went bad? Obviously, when the cell phone fell off, and how many times can you point out when something hilarious and awesome happened?
Well, sometimes something hilarious and awesome happens because something went bad.
That's what I'm saying. The chaos is good way more than it's bad. Like we can think of like one thing right now where it went bad.
Like I feel like I have seen some shit that shouldn't have happened. The people coming through walls, maybe.
Yeah.
Or,
yes.
Or
sometimes it works to your benefit.
Vision cones that are picking stuff up that should not.
Yeah.
Or like that. Sometimes that stuff can get infuriating where you think you're playing by a set of rules and then somebody acts outside of that set of rules.
Yeah.
And that in a game like that can be very infuriating where you're like, that never happened to me before. Luckily, there's a quick save and an auto save if you need it.
It's not always game breaking, but like I got spotted through a wall the other day. Like that's not. But that sucks.
It's rare though.
It is rare. Like
for how many moving parts there are in any one of these giant levels, it should be fucking up way more. It feels like
maybe
and it's kind of rare.
I mean, but the converse of that is that with Doom, like everything in that game works the way it should, and arguably in a lot of ways better than it should. And for a long shooter campaign that is resurrecting a fairly dead thing, like the sheer number of amazing moments, the sheer amount of just how long it manages to sustain, that combat and that the excitement around that combat. And the fact that honestly, I can't think of a moment where I felt like I was taken out of the experience at any point during Doom. It feels like it's talking about tightly edited. Like that game does everything it needs to do in the amount of time it needs to do it.
Like even the map that is a redressed version of a map you played 3 levels ago somehow manages to be still interesting because they change your path through it and they fuck enough of it up that it feels enough like a different level that even that doesn't feel cheap.
But
like it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Hitman, they somehow nail the throwing of objects and weapons, and to take guns out of that game in a way that makes everything else more fun is a brilliant design decision.
It makes you want a spaghetti can more than a gun.
Or a fire axe. It makes you want to risk the hit because it's so much more fun to play around in that world.
It's so inventive in that way, you know? And
also, if this is our list and this is our number 1 game of the year, look how much stuff we did with almost everyone on staff playing or coaching or being involved in some way. I feel like this is the game that kind of defined giant bomb
I can,
and
I,
what
can,
we were
I, can,
playing.
I can see where you're coming from, but I don't think you can't go to just like an argument of like hours of site content.
I'm
Because,
not
like
saying
Doom is not something that lends itself to that.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying like it's just a hey, we did this many hours of this many of that. But we managed to have so much fun with so many people on the site. Throw out hours of site content.
That's
or
true,
whatever.
but we all played through Doom and also enjoyed the hell out of it.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
If you want to get
they're
into sheer metrics, then we'll have to do what's the watch time versus completion rate.
Right.
Like,
I think they're just two apples and oranges to really compare in that way.
Yeah, but honestly, like I can't separate the sections of Doom in a way that makes me feel good about it being at the top of this list.
like the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, I can't get away from it.
I feel like
I won't get away from it.
As somebody who reviewed it, I feel like the opposite of that because that campaign is way longer than the average shooter campaign and better than all of them.
Like that's the
And
thing.
that alone, like we have praised to high heaven plenty of single player shooter campaigns that are shorter and not as good as that.
Like I don't come
And
to
said they were worth the money, like right there. Like that game, easily worth $60 just for that campaign.
I don't-
like, fuck everything else in there.
I don't go to a person when I'm talking about Doom and say, well, you might want to wait for the drop of the price because the multiplayer is not that good or whatever. It's like, no, you should fucking play Doom. Full stop.
Yeah.
No consideration beyond that. Just if it was just the campaign, even if you just strip the multiplayer out of it entirely, which maybe they just should have done.
Yeah.
That is a game I would recommend to anyone.
But then Hitman delivered on its elusive targets and its episodes in a way that I feel like they didn't drop the ball. I mean, some maps are better than others, but they kept the content coming for you got in on that game and they delivered on it.
They fucking dropped the ball when they pushed 2 elusive targets during E3.
Yeah.
Dicks.
It stayed at the forefront of our minds and interests for like a full year.
And like that to me, if we're kind of going by like complete package stuff, like that's delivering on that is very important to
It
me
is.
because it's rewarding that investment, that upfront investment to be like, get in and you're going to get a ton of shit.
Yes.
And I don't think you could be really dissatisfied with what they gave, given all the speculation too and the shifting around on what that package
Like
was
my
gonna
only
be.
counter for that, like the elusive targets are an incredible idea. Like I spent 30 minutes on a rooftop with a sniper rifle last night waiting for the perfect fucking moment to snipe the lady, and I got her. 30 minutes staring at a crowd waiting for her to show up. But you miss those and they're gone. Like nobody coming into Hitman right now is ever going to get to play those unless they literally go against their word.
I kind of admire that
Like I do too.
that ephemeral notion of like this is a thing that people get to experience when it's not like there aren't more elusive targets that just keep popping up.
You're right.
It's not like you'll never get to do one. It's just you won't get to do that.
You're
one.
right, but like, and I was fortunate enough to get to try most of them, but like they're gone now, and like there are little things like that. There's that, like the way the offline or the online mode has worked all year is inexcusable. Like the fact that if the servers are down or you can't connect to their service or whatever, you might as well not play the game.
How often does that happen though? I've never seen
that
that
is
once.
irrelevant. Like
But that's
you've
fair.
said that
That's
multiple times, and you can't say, well, it didn't happen to you
But if
because it
something-
guaranteed has happened to some people.
And I think it's a fair argument to say if they were able to turn that off, which they have, right?
Kind of.
That it was not maybe as integral as
Like it wasn't a good idea in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. For people that don't know, so it's an online game. You have to connect to their servers when you play it, and you can only unlock stuff. You can only gain experience. You can only use the stuff you've unlocked if you are connected to their servers. If for any reason you can't get on their online service, you play at level 1 with no extra gear.
But I thought they changed it. I thought they just recently
So
made this change.
they have just patched in an offline mode, but again, that's like 8 months after it came
Right.
out. Like,
yeah.
But again, if this is our list and none of us had a problem with that once, how does that even factor
I did
in?
have a problem
You
with
did?
it. It did happen to me.
we had that problem during videos we recorded.
It launched rough.
At the very beginning,
For the
very
first, like,
beginning,
month
yeah.
it was out, if we like in the middle of a video, we got disconnected and booted to the menu and lost our mission.
Like it was
progress.
not a constant issue by any stretch, but it did occur and it didn't go away until I guess this recent patch. I haven't played since they patched it, but like I mean, I do believe there were at least a couple of instances where I tried to connect in recent months and I was not able to get on the servers.
The reason it bugs me so much is that there was zero reason it had to be that way. Like they
Yeah.
did it just because they felt like it and they could. Like
I think
nothing
that's a
about
fair criticism.
nothing about the structure of the game required those limitations other than the fact that they put them in place.
You can play Doom whenever the fuck you want.
And that bugs me as much as I like Hitman. That really bugs me that they did that.
I think for me, if I were to spend money right now, it'd probably be on more Hitman.
I think you're in luck.
Yeah.
if they're going to give you that ability.
But like if there were DLC for Doom or Hitman, I'd probably want to see what the new thing in Hitman was.
Well, yeah, I'm totally with you on that, but that that largely goes to the structure of that game.
I just downloaded another 11 gigs of Doom multiplayer stuff. You want to come by?
Like Hitman is an episodic game. Like it is designed to bolt more pieces
Yeah.
onto. Like
Yes.
Doom is a thing that begins and ends.
I'm just kind of trying to think of like if it's a really tough one. And again, like I said, it's hard for me to even argue about these two games, which I think are just fantastic. But I think I want to play more Hitman, and I'm trying to go by what metric can I decide what's better than the other.
I think the metric for me is which game did I have more fun playing this year, and for me, it's Doom. I like Hitman a great deal. I think it rekindled my interest in that series in a way I never expected it to. And I think the playgrounds they have built within that thing are, by and large, very good to exceptional. That said, the entire time I was playing Doom, from start to finish, I had the dumbest fucking smile on my face, and that game just made me very, very happy.
It's hard for me as someone who played like a significant amount of multiplayer Doom when Doom first came out, and Doom 2, to accept the notion that they put out a multiplayer mode that was so lame.
It's bad.
It's a
multiplayer
bummer.
is an integral part of Doom. It always was.
It's kind of a bummer, but like Doom 3 already had bad multiplayer, so I feel like I had stopped expecting that from them at this point.
Doom 3 is just not a good game start to finish.
Yeah.
But,
I'm with you on that.
What I'm saying
But
is
I
that
think
it had not proven itself to be able to make a good multiplayer mode in like 15 years. So like I wasn't necessarily.
and I don't
looking
think
for
they
that.
made this mode. Like
They didn't. They didn't.
outsourced it.
But it just didn't bother me that wasn't there because the campaign is that good.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I think that campaign's incredible, but like ultimately, it's easy to envision a scenario where they did what they did for the campaign, also for the multiplayer, and made something really amazing. Especially when you look at like just straight up free for all deathmatch is so out of vogue. Like there's an opportunity for a game like Doom to bring that type of stuff back. And they try to. It does. It has it.
It's got those modes
in the
like-
snap map mode.
Yeah.
They've got regular deathmatch, and people have built some stuff in there, and you're like, oh, I see what you're going for, but it doesn't pan out the way it could have. And so, like, I look at it as like there are large chunks of that game that are completely disappointing. Like 2/3 of it, if you want to be even, even it out across what that main menu is, are things that you just look at and go like, man, fuck, what a huge missed opportunity. Like they even tried to do something with Snap Map and bungled it, Like there's ambition there that is unmet.
Like there's pretty cool things that have come out of Snap App.
But like what I'm saying is that like, that's also a weird multiplayer hopper on its own that's separate from the multiplayer stuff, and that it's clunky and
The
built
stuff
weird.
that people make
and,
out of that thing isn't something you could put into a multiplayer hopper to begin with, because people are making like MOBAs and weird shit.
Yes,
with
there
those
are
things. Like,
weird things coming out of it, but also that thing's designed to make multiplayer maps as well. And then you kind of can't play them really as easily as you should be able to. Like there's ambition there that ends up only serving to make it that much more disappointing.
What's the temperature in the room? So
Yeah,
Brad,
Hitman.
I feel like there are like Drew and Jason. I haven't heard a whole lot from you guys about this one. I'd be curious to know where you're leaning.
For me, it is kind of a toss-up. I think we all really, really enjoyed the hell out of the Doom campaign, and it's sad that Jeff can't remove the multiplayer component from his head because nobody fucking played it. Nobody gave a shit about it.
I think
We knew
it's
that it was
the sad
bad.
thing is that people are willing to give it a pass on that stuff. We're looking at complete packages here,
I mean,
And-
I
I don't think that's true, though.
I think we have to. I think we absolutely
There's
have
no
to.
hard and fast rule that we have to do that. Like, this is a completely subjective list. Like, there's not a guidebook here.
Like I think it's just the thing we feel the strongest about. Period.
I feel like that's a number one game that comes with significant caveats. Like, well, just ignore this other stuff, and like
I mean, no game is
feels-
perfect. Like,
no game is perfect.
Like, you
but
can't-
like this is stuff where you are trying to completely sweep these parts of the game under the rug and pretend like they don't exist.
I think
I think that's
that's
you did, and I think that's fine in the context of your personal list and a lot of other stuff.
But I would say the same thing Alex said.
But-
Like, there isn't a person on the planet that I would discourage from getting Doom because of those other modes.
But I think it's a fair criticism when you're at this tier of like what's our number one game of the year to look at all the things that come with the game. I don't think it's
Like the bugs in Hitman?
yeah, like the bugs in Hitman or the even modes in Hitman or the bad maps in Hitman, right? Like I think that's all like
It's the whole package.
We're in the part where we're looking to split hairs for what two great games will be number one. So I think it is a fair and valid criticism.
and I would take the downsides of Hitman over the downsides of Doom any day.
So yeah, I think that stuff is completely valid to look at. Here's a part of this game that was poorly designed, like in Doom, just as you would with Hitman, and look at stuff that's like this isn't a great moment. I think there might be parts of Doom that rise above the best parts of Hitman, and I think that's an argument to make.
yeah, I think that's basically what me and Alex are saying.
Yeah. Drew, where are you feeling right now?
So I've played half of Doom and only a little bit of Hitman, but so one thing I'll say about Hitman is that playing the tutorial level, that you can immediately feel that game's ability to do what a lot of games purport to do but cannot, which is give the player freedom to complete the objective in any way that they want. Like, I've played a lot of Metal Gears that give you a lot of ways to do things, a lot of gadgets and stuff, and Splinter Cell, and I mean, Doom. You could use any weapon you want. Hitman allows you and compels you to be creative in a way that I've never seen a game do, and it is very successful at it.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that.
The thing I would add on to that is that some of that was in earlier Hitman games. Like, it's always been a game about
And I've never played a Hitman game before.
They've always been games about freeform murder. It's just the way that they construct these levels and these maps makes that freeform feel like so much more significant even than those games were capable of doing.
And I think it is so well designed and crafted that I feel confident in my ability to carry out what's in my head. And it's a well constructed game.
It's also a game where when things do go wrong, there's an excitement that comes up. Like, it's not even just like there can be frustrating parts of that game for sure, but like I feel like when things start to go wrong, it's an exciting and thrilling thing versus a universally "oh fuck this" kind of thing.
It's definitely like a lot of feelings of just like, oh, can I get out of this? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Jason, well, I want to hear Jason's take. You've seen a lot of both.
I think Hitman got real lucky. I think we've seen a lot of the stuff that Hitman has done in the previous games, and I think it's a better polished game. In terms of like how low our expectations were, they were super low with Doom, and they blew it out of the water. And I agree, the multiplayer is a piece of shit, and it shouldn't be that bad. However, like, I'm fine giving people the caveat saying, hey man, you should fucking go play Doom. It's great. I mean, don't worry about the multiplayer. Don't fucking touch that. That's not this game. The game is the campaign.
I feel comfortable telling someone that.
Yeah.
But also putting that game
I'm not saying
putting
that
game at number one feels like we're doing a bad job.
That's not fair. That is
I don't think that's
completely
fair
unfair.
either.
That's how I feel.
I want to add something about Hitman. Drew really kind of nailed it with the freedom and the ways it encourages you to be creative and everything. But one thing we haven't mentioned at all is that game has a really amazing sense of humor and personality
Yeah.
to it. And not just in the chaos that you cause, but the NPC dialogue and the goofy stuff like becoming a drummer and animating him going through the drums and all this stuff. Like, that is a funny game.
Yeah, I mean,
that's very true.
we've talked about the myriad ways in which Doom amused the shit out of us
of
over
course.
time, but
And-
yeah,
and
you're
valid
right.
there, too.
We
Like, to be-
haven't
like-
sold necessarily how funny Hitman
Like-
can be.
Yeah.
Like to be perfectly honest, if you want to win me over on Hitman, like, say stuff like that. Don't like shit on Doom multiplayer constantly. Like convince me why Hitman should be the number one game.
And I think that is a big part of it, is that, it like Agent 47 is this incredibly dour, fucking like emotionless character, and the situations they continually place him in that game are so absurd.
At a level that's so much higher than previous Hitman games.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
as well.
Is it?
They've never made me laugh like
They're-
this before.
I mean, obviously there have been
I
crazy
ran around in
situations in previous
squirrels
Hitman
costumes
games,
before,
but
there's
it's
tons
the-
of goofy
it's-
shit going on in those games, and
it's
we've seen it.
cleaner and
Yes.
better than
It
they've
is.
done in
It
the
is.
past.
They
It's
leaned
much more
harder.
refined.
They leaned way harder into it this time. Like, yeah, you can dress up like a big bird and drop a piano on someone's head and
Yeah.
blood money, but they get kind of elaborate. Like the whole Helmut Kruger thing and the drummer stuff. Like they lean into the humor more than they've ever done
it's
before.
a stride that those earlier games did not quite have. Like there were
Right.
moments in those games that were great and funny, but like they didn't feel like they were necessarily an encapsulation of what the whole of those games were, which was really more just about creative murder.
Yes.
Whereas with this, it feels like the writers are stretching their legs in ways that they never felt empowered to do before, and it works way better than you would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
And lends itself to replaying those maps
Yeah.
over and over. Like you do get a kind of neat Groundhog's Day thing of like where you know where everybody's going to be, and then walking around and being like, I'm going to be here this time.
That's another thing. I haven't gotten past the tutorial level because I've replayed it so many times.
It's a really good tutorial.
to finish every challenge or what are they
yeah.
called? Like,
Yeah.
now kill him in the toilet. Like,
Okay, so like this is the type of stuff I need to hear to hear to
I
feel like the
never-
room wants Hitman
Yeah.
to be number one. here,
ever.
but-
I never do that stuff. Like, I don't do side missions. I don't replay it to get collectibles. But I did all that.
And that's interesting because that would be the sort of thing you would think would only happen by virtue of you playing it as it was coming out. Because you're like, well, this is the current map, so I guess I'm just going to play this one over and over again. But coming to it after, like, primarily after the final episode had been released, I did that too. Like,
I did the same thing.
I love this weird cardboard ship, and I want to stay here for a while.
Yeah.
And then I did a bunch of stuff there. And I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this later, but I want to see Paris now.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna sit here for a while.
I'm the guy who
before
gets 1 star on a level and moves on.
Totally, same here.
But I will say that was probably the part where I got a little caught up in the mechanic and loop of it was when I started trying to do the checklist stuff on the maps is when I think I least enjoyed Hitman of, okay, like I did these two things, this thing on this run, this thing on this run. What's next on the box? Okay, kill him with the chandelier. Okay, I did this thing because I just started grinding that stuff out for the unlockables and I had a lot more fun. And you can turn that stuff off, and you don't have to have those with what are the opportunities.
opportunities
Yeah, yeah.
and challenges are the thing. Opportunities don't give XP, just challenges.
So like you can turn some of that stuff off with the guiding hand in that game.
Yeah, I turned all that off.
And like so I think it works both ways, but I definitely had the most fun trying to figure out my own ways to kill people.
There's definitely a little bit of a rote aspect to maxing out mastery on a map because at that point you're just ticking boxes to
That's
hit
exactly
all the
what I mean,
challenges.
right.
Well, but then you get to have these artificial constraints and like trying to match multiples of them together, like use this
Yeah.
to kill him this way. Like then I just created my own mission.
Yeah, and it's also a great way to learn the map. Like
Yeah.
they put that stuff there in
Yeah,
an
that's-
awesome
yeah.
way to take you around the map.
Like going in the first time and doing it kind of the way that the opportunities kind of lead you, I think is like a great way to be introduced to a map. And
Yeah.
then like over time, it's like, okay, let's do less of
Mix
this,
and
let's do
match.
less of this, and let's, or maybe
Okay.
I'll try this, do this.
Let's take a pause here. Are we happy with 8 through 10? That's not changing, right?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
totally fine with that.
Is there anything in this middle 5 that anybody...
I will just say this one last time. I still think Titanfall 2 should move down that list, but if there's not support for it, I'm okay with that list as it is.
And like, you know,
So
I
the
would
list
put it up.
currently
I think
is-
we got a good compromise overall
Yeah.
on those 5.
Yeah, the list currently
I feel okay
is in
with
number
this.
3, Overwatch, 4, The Witness, 5 is Titanfall, 2, 6 is Superhot, 7 is Inside. I feel like that's like no one's really. It's a compromise. No one's
it's-
really
yeah.
happy with it, but it's kind of the average of
Yeah.
where
We'll all
everyone
live with
wants
it.
it. to
Honestly,
be.
yeah, like that's a compromise I can live with.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good with that.
yeah,
same here.
I think I'm okay with that.
So it's just figuring out this top 2.
And I think at this point I would put Hitman. for
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah,
I think so.
if people-
I feel like the stronger support is there for Hitman, you know, and again, I don't think the things that are not great about Doom are necessarily disqualifying of it as a first place game for these awards. But I feel like the enthusiasm is greater at this table for Hitman and the things that it does.
Yeah, I think I could get behind that. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess I've played more Hitman here than anybody this year.
Probably pretty close.
I've gotten pretty fucking deep into that game. I've maxed out my mastery on like half the maps at this point. It's a pretty fucking amazing game.
And
I still think the Doom campaign is better than Hitman.
I fucking love that Doom campaign.
Yeah.
Word. It's the only game I started over this year.
It's the best shooter campaign in probably 15 years.
Yeah.
Wait, what's better
Yeah.
than it? Riddle me this.
Yeah,
Brad, you're gonna make statements
Now
like
you're getting
that.
into some like
Halo Combat Evolved.
some like Halo Half-Life level.
Halo
Definitely
campaign's pretty good.
probably since like Half-Life 2. I think.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better shooter campaign in the last like 12 years at
Modern
least.
Warfare
like-
4.
I like it better than Half-Life 2's campaign.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
do
say,
too.
like,
I do too.
It's better
I
than
totally
Half-Life
do.
2.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's better
totally
than Call of
like
Duty
it.
4. It's better than Half-Life 2, I think.
I like that.
Call of Duty 4 is going for such a different thing. at
But
that
yeah,
point. Like,
yeah.
it's a weird
But if we're just saying
comparison,
first-person
but
shooter
yeah,
campaigns,
totally.
yeah.
But that
I
that
don't know
fucking
if-
kills me for us to sit here and say like practically the last 2 decades of shooters pales next to this game.
But Hitman's so different.
And
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I just mean in terms of that is a really like
It's a crazy thing to say.
historic level of quality to say this is the best shooter campaign since the last century.
right, but like that's amazing. But I can't think of another game that does what Hitman does.
That is also true.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I won't deny that.
Even
is
like
also-
previous Hitman games.
And let's
haven't
just be
done this.
clear, these are both games that should have been terrible just by virtue
Yes.
of the way these things were initially presented, by circumstance, by just the way the universe fucking works.
Yeah.
By their names.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2016, Hitman and Doom are our top 2 games.
By and like by a lot.
Should we
Yeah.
lock it?
I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like just by sort of vote, I think Hitman has got the support.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I like my leaning is Doom, but I am 100% okay with Hitman taking this.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. All right, I can get down with that. All right, Hitman, you're our best game of the year.
Fucking
Wow.
I'm gonna put
It's a world of assassination.
It sure is.
Doom, you're our best campaign of the year.
rip and tear.
Overwatch,
Maybe
The Witness.
we should do that category because we do best story, but like there's something to be said for like best single player. Maybe we do that next year.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see what comes out next year.
Overwatch, The Witness, Titanfall 2, Super Hot, Inside, Hyperlight Drifter, Thumper, and Stardew Valley are the rest of the list.
I think everyone got at least something they really wanted on here.
I'm happy with this list.
And that's what
Who keeps
the
fucking,
holidays are all about.
Stop fucking with this list. Somebody clean that up.
Brad, you want to take us down the rest of the day?
Let's recap the whole thing. Sorry.
Yeah. And with Mass Effect 2 coming in at a very honorable
Strong
11th.
11th.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2 presents Overwatch Character of the Year is Reinhardt, with Lucio and Farah running up. Best Story, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Doom and Firewatch close behind there. The worst game is Soviet Monsters Chronoplans.
Congratulations.
Fun to say though.
Mighty Number 9 and Lost Reavers, also crappy games.
Blah.
And then, yeah.
You know what's not crappy?
What's that?
Our top 10 games of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good games this year,
I like all of these games.
for sure.
Well, Stardew Valley. I don't give a shit about
No, you know what?
Kind of with you.
I was gonna say everyone can like 9 games on this list.
I got my
There's
number
no-
10. I'm fine.
There's no hate in my heart for Stardew Valley.
it. Yeah.
You'd have to be a dark person to hate.
And I am
to
a dark
hate,
person.
And even you can't
And I
hate
can't
Stardew
do it.
Valley. All right.
I can't do it.
I'll take it.
All right.
Do you want to count them? Did we count them down?
Yeah,
from 10 to
I,
1?
I just read through the whole
Okay.
list.
Okay.
I can again if you need me to.
No.
10 to 1?
Yeah, let's do it one more time.
Fine,
10
I'll
to
go,
1.
I'll go in the other direction. Stardew Valley, Thumper, Hyperlight Drifter, Inside, Super Hot, Titanfall 2, The Witness, Overwatch, Doom, and Hitman.
Great list.
That's our
Top notch.
That's Giant Bombs.
That sounds right.
The best.
That is Giant Bombs.
What a season. What a season.
Top 10 games of 2016. I feel like we don't talk about the games enough. I feel like we talk about where we want them to be on the list without getting to actually discuss
yeah,
them.
we talk a lot about these
I don't know
games.
if I agree with
I
that.
feel like we've talked a lot about all these games in the
Other categories.
previous categories.
Yeah,
for the most
yeah, I guess
part.
so.
You know,
I guess.
like these games end up coming up in some other categories along the way.
Sure.
You know, so
I guess that's fair.
I don't think we're hurting for discussion about these games.
Yeah, that's
this
fair.
year.
That's fair.
I don't think we've done a poor job of framing why these games belong on this
1
list.
hour per game starting now. Go.
All
All
right.
right. Let's go.
All right. So pumpkins grow in the fall.
Uh-huh.
Nope. All right, that's it. Let's get out of here. We've got our top 10 list. There should be a gigantic bulk of content on the website at this point.
Yeah.
This being the
A
last day.
glut, if you will.
There's a zillion top 10 lists, hours and guests, a bunch of random videos that we've done.
Yeah. Some good
Those
shenanigans.
were fun. It's fun to get together.
Those
and
are
do
carefully crafted videos.
fun,
Thank you.
Fun to do some goofy content. I had fun doing that stuff. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. That's going to do it for 2016. We'll see you next year.